All right, hello everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Jiu-Jitsu and Coffee, episode 4. Today my guests are Nicole Baudin, Keni Kenni, and Brendan Secor. So we're going to start off with some talk about Jiu-Jitsu. So we'll do a kind of a round table. Some of you guys don't know.
A square table.
One of my guests today, Kenny, used to be my business partner. So we met in the Philippines. When did we?
It was 2007.
Was it set 2007? I wasn't sure if it was 8 or 9 or.
It was
7.
when I was in Japan, and then I went over to the Philippines for a week.
Yeah.
And we met in Manila at the what are the two malls? There's Greenbelt, and then what's the bigger mall right next to the Greenbelt Mall?
I thought Greenbelt was the big one.
Well, there's like two, but there's another mall. They're all kind of close together. I don't think it was Greenbelt, but we met right there.
Yeah.
We met in the mall.
Yeah, and then we just hung out for like 2 years, like just solid.
Yeah.
Just trained and.
Trained, like talked
Yeah.
on the phone 4 or 5 times a day.
Wow.
Ended up hanging out
Stuff,
with, did some traveling with Hoist. That was a good time. Those are some good times.
Yeah, for a few years after that.
So before we come back, Nicole Baudin, Savage Nikki Baudin. That's her nickname. That's
Savage.
it. She's earned her nickname. She is the Savage. She is Savage Nikki Baudin.
You know.
So 3-stripe blue belt, teaches my kids program, yoga instructor, working
Keep
on
the
it.
flexibility.
Yeah. And to my right, we have Brendan Secor, white belt.
Hey.
And jiu-jitsu practitioner, lover of
2 solid months, baby.
cool. So Kenny, I think one of the cooler things you did is you lived in Japan for a while, and you got to hang out with why don't you share that story, like getting to hang out with Megumi Fuji and Josh Barnett.
This last time? Well, originally, how I met, the first time I met Megumi was with you. So, Josh is, he's in the car, Mustangs and stuff like that. So, one of the guys I used to buy parts from, High Performance Parts, he sponsors Josh. I became friends with him from, just from ordering parts and stuff from him. He's in Florida, it's Lethal Performance, Jared from Lethal Performance. And then I had already, that was back, so 07, no, not 07, Jared had ended up seeing, or I saw a post or something that I saw that Megumi Fuji was going to be coming to fight in Bellator at the Seminole Hard Rock Cafe down in Hollywood, Florida. And I had already knew who she was because back during the days of MySpace, Josh used to post different things of her, so I had kind of followed her. I was a fan of hers way back then before really anybody knew her in the U.S. And so I saw that she was coming and that Josh was her coach. And so I knew Jared knew Josh, so I called Jared. So I called Jared and I said, "Hey, Josh is coming to Florida with one of his fighters from Japan and stuff, and so see if you can call him. I can go there and I want to meet Megumi and stuff and Josh." So he was like, "What?" He's like, "I didn't even know he was coming." So he got a hold of Josh and we went down. Then I called you. I said, "Hey man, I don't know if you had knew who Megumi was." So we ended up. That's the first time I had met them, and so that was.
And we hung out.
That was 2000
and we ended up hanging out with Josh that night, right? Like,
yeah.
We were backstage. We were
Yeah.
hanging out with Megumi and Josh,
Yeah.
and who's the other fighter on that card with Megumi?
Who did she fight?
No, wasn't there another
No,
Japanese fighter that came with her?
no, it was just. Well, Hitomi Akano.
Yeah.
Was there because she was in her
And
corner.
didn't she become a good MMA fighter as well?
Yeah, she was already fighting then. I think
Yeah.
by that point she had already fought.
Right.
She possibly had fought Cyborg and a couple of.
Weren't you in Josh's corner once or something like that? Weren't you in like? Was it Megumi's
No,
or Josh's?
Megumi's and Megumi's a corner for 2 fights, and then Ayaka Hamasaki, who was one of Megumi's students, Megumi and Abeane at AACC.
But we ended up.
Tokyo.
We won't go too far into it because I don't know how.
And then we went, and then the next time she fought, I don't know if you went to that one. I think you might.
I don't think so. No, I just went to the one. I went to the one where what was his name? Who's the guy that snapped the dude's leg? What in competition? When we were watching?
That was before he got in the UFC.
Hector Lombard.
Hector
right.
Lombard, yeah.
And he was calling out
well,
Josh Barnett. Remember they said, who would you want to fight next? He's like, I'll fight Josh Barnett.
Yeah,
you know?
that was that one.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Josh
that was at one of the Megumi's Bellator fights.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then every year since the first time I went to Japan, every year I always go there for vacation. So after meeting Megumi and Abe and all them and stuff, so whenever I would go there, I'd always hang out with them or train or something like that. So that's how I became friends with them and Hitomi and Ayaka and all them and Abe and stuff.
No,
and then I would just go to Josh's fights and stuff when the Strike Force heavyweight Grand Prix.
Yeah. Now Nikki, have you ever heard of Megumi Fuji?
Only when you talk about him like in class,
Her.
Yeah.
Or her.
Yeah. She was a
See,
super.
I don't.
Yeah, it's all right.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah.
You wouldn't know. We don't know Japanese names, Megumi.
Yeah. So she had the longest running record for a while. 21-0 out of the men. Nobody at that point in time when she was 21-0, there was no man or female, man or woman in MMA that had gone undefeated for that long. But now a couple people have broken it.
I wasn't sure.
Now Khabib is like 24-0, and then somebody else I think went to 22-0 or something before they lost. But she was the longest running.
Wow.
She was like before her time, a little bit before her time.
Yeah.
Right when the women started getting good in the UFC, she was about to retire. So, but yeah, that's pretty much how that kind of came about.
Yeah, and you're what are you just a you have
just
any stripes?
blue.
Just a blue?
Yep.
Yeah. Hoist gave you your blue.
Yeah.
You didn't want it.
Yeah. Nah.
You're kind of upset about it when Hoist gave it to you.
I was just like I wanted to train a little bit longer. I'm not in any hurry to get anything. I'm kind of a little bit more humble.
But people don't expect it, right?
Yeah, they don't
like
expect
all the
it,
time. I know because you know.
It's kind of like because I hadn't really got to compete yet as a white. I hadn't got to do any competitions yet as a white belt, and so then to just be thrown in with the blues, I didn't.
Yeah, because
But
if you don't know, like what you can't see if you're new to the show or you don't know Keni, is Keni was in a horrific bike accident. It actually just severed him in two, and I can't look at the pictures.
Yeah.
His whole back, just above his waist, was just ripped open. You could it was just severed, and I don't know. Somehow he pulled through and lost a leg.
Yeah.
But roll's solid, man. Like we rolled, you've rolled. I've seen you tap out some people that didn't expect to be tapped out.
Yeah.
So,
it was probably just luck.
Yeah, you get lucky from time to time. It's like it's funny if you practice a lot, you get lucky. People don't.
Then I keep getting hurt. So I haven't trained in a while. I keep getting injuries. When I got hurt, I was just there in 2000. I'm in Japan, training at AAC at Abe school, and I tore my pec over here. This one training, so I haven't trained since then. That was like actually November of 2016.
You were doing some yoga for a while, weren't you?
A little bit. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So is your pec all solid now?
Well, I mean, they always do that. We can't reattach it, and I went to the hospital in Yokosuka base, and they looked at it. And they're like, "Oh, we can't reattach. They're not going to do anything like that anyway." So now this one I tore years ago, doing bench press. So now this one's torn. So now they both look jacked up.
Now, what was it like?
But it's not really.
So Keni actually moved to Japan, and he was living there when I met him the first time. But
no, I was going to school.
Yeah, but
for 3 months.
For a long period of time. Then you moved there and got a job
2016.
at a shipyard, right? Like you were.
Well, it was on Yokohama North Dock. It was for a company. It was for Maersk, and they had a contract with the U.S. Army.
How long did you do that?
A year and a half.
Did you just like kind of get burnt out or just?
No, I just had to come back for some stuff, for some personal reasons, stuff going on. So.
Ever think about going back?
Yeah, probably at some point. I like Japan.
What were you
Japan's one
going
of my
to school
favorite
for?
places. Philippines. Oh, I was going to Japanese language school at that point in time. I was going to UNF to getting my bachelor's in international studies, and then I needed a language credit and everything.
Oh,
so I went over there for an intensive language course, and then so I knocked out like 6 or 9 credits in like 3 months in the language and stuff.
Dang.
Yeah, so I got it done pretty quick.
Is Japanese a pretty hard language to learn?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm still learning. I still don't know.
They
it's
speak
pretty
so
hard
fast.
and stuff. Yeah. Well, it kind of seems fast
It
because if you
yeah.
don't know the word. I mean, but there are some
Exactly.
people that talk faster than others.
Mhm.
But yeah, I still got a long way to go. Because there's times in between, like I studied then for 3 months, and there's times in between I didn't study, and then even when I went back now, when I was living there for a year and a half, I didn't grow that as much as I should. But the problem is, I was working on base. Everyone speaks English, so right, I'm surrounded a bunch of Americans. There's a few Japanese.
Oh, I didn't know you were on a
Yeah,
U.S. base.
It was Yokohama North Dock. It's a
I didn't know
small
that's a US
base.
base.
It's an army base.
Mm.
Yeah, it's all army boats there. And so I'm speaking English all day. Then when I leave, at that point, there's this little restaurant like bar by my house, Japanese. I would go and eat. But by that time, I'm just so tired and everything. And then it's actually, learning a second language actually gets mentally tiring.
Yeah.
So by that time, I'm like, I'm not really wanting to concentrate. So I would try to use my Japanese, but I really didn't use it as much as I should.
Yeah.
So I didn't.
It is hard learning another language.
Yeah, it's hard. I would study there
Josh
and
speaks
try to use it. He speaks some
wicked
Japanese,
Japanese, right? Like, he
knows
speaks
some
it pretty good.
Japanese, Yeah.
I've been talking to these guys about the Philippines, trying to get Brendan to go out there. He's single.
I've done the Google search. I looked at some apartments out there, just messing around. I obviously, I have 2 children that are in high school and college age, so I want to stick around for them. But who knows what the future holds? I know.
At least
I've
just to
found.
visit,
You can go out for a vacation.
I mean,
Yeah, I've been throwing that around, like just maybe traveling. I thought for a while before, I found jiu-jitsu that I was gonna learn how to sail and eventually sell my house and motorcycle and buy a sailboat and travel that way.
see, that's what my dad said. He's like, man, if I could just have a sailboat.
If you were, and a lot of people don't know this. I had no idea when I went to the Philippines. No clue. There's over 7,200 islands that make up the Philippines.
Right.
That's
insane.
You better pick the right
7,200,
spot.
just the Philippines. Like, I would have thought that would be like enough for the world, right? But
Yeah.
Yeah.
and the water is like just crystal blue. It's like
That's where I really
white
want to
sand.
visit. Like, crystal water. Because you come here in Florida and there's like,
ours
maybe
is like
Neptune Beach has
sewage.
decent water, but like, I want to go see some clear, pretty Philippine water.
Well,
Yeah.
and another thing about it is it's a native route for the what's the largest mammal in the ocean? It's the whale shark. Whale shark, right? It's a native route for the whale
the
shark.
blue whale or whale shark?
No, I think it's called a whale shark.
Maybe.
whale
One
shark?
of them. Yeah.
Well, maybe it's not the largest
Might be
mammal,
the blue whale.
One of them.
but it is.
One of
Yeah.
them, right?
You can
'Cause I
go out
thought
there and
the
swim with
humpback
whale sharks. off the
What?
coast. Yeah,
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Okay,
but
I'd do
you may
that.
not like it because they don't have horses there.
Psh, I'll swim with sea animals. Y'all don't know me.
Have you ever
They have
went?
seahorses though? You can swim with those. You can,
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, they got, and you can rent little saddles.
Oh my god.
They got little saddle. You can
Just
rent
put one on
stuff.
each one of my toes.
No, it's a
Just-
full size saddle. It just
Yeah,
collapses
yeah.
down to a tiny little.
They'll
lap.
give you. You'll
Oh
get
my
foreigner.
God.
They'll give you foreigner price.
Oh my god.
There's an island in Georgia that has wild horses.
Oh,
I'm
really?
not familiar with the name. Have you and your
I think
parents
I've
ever
heard
went
of it.
there? Yeah, it's like right here
But it's
near
like wild
Camden.
horses, right?
They're wild.
Oh,
Yeah.
they're,
But
But they're on an
protected.
island.
They're usually when
protected.
they're protected,
Yeah.
they don't
Mhm.
usually
You try
let
to
you
go
up
there in
to
your boat and get
close
one,
to
yeah.
them.
You probably wouldn't want to jump on one of those horses. And
Yeah.
I mean,
take off.
sometimes they'll walk up to you, but normally they just keep to
Yeah.
themselves far away. And it's like,
Philippines was
All right.
voted for a lot, or consecutive years, like the most beautiful. Oh, it's the most beautiful. I think most beautiful oceans in the world.
I heard
For
they.
years and years, and then I think Thailand beat them out once, and then went back to the Philippines because.
Now we had me, Kenny, a couple other friends I invited, and Hoyce. We
Yeah.
did some tours around the Philippines. Were you there for both tours?
Yeah.
Yeah. We did
The first,
Philippines.
the first tour. I don't know if I was. I don't even think I was training at that point. The very first one.
Thailand,
Yeah.
Singapore, Taiwan.
Well, the first one we just went around Philippines, so
Yeah.
Manila, Cebu,
Yeah, yeah,
Mindanao,
yeah. The second one was when we
and
had
then
it
the
on
second
other
one
ones.
we went to those same places in the Philippines, but then we went to Thailand, Singapore, and Taiwan.
Yeah, I didn't go to one because I had pink eye. Remember, I didn't go to Taiwan.
Yeah,
Everyone in our group got pink eye.
Right.
Everybody.
oh
Didn't
my
we go
god, from
And that
what?
tour is all. Are they
How?
all schools you're going to during
Yeah.
the tour? So there's like each spot you went. You
Oh yeah,
to
we
another-
trained. Yeah, it's
you
several.
trained in
There's
another
one or
school.
several.
Oh, we went 3 years.
schools.
Cause one year I didn't leave. You guys left. Oh, and I didn't go to I didn't leave the
It was just
Philippines.
two, I think. I could be wrong, but
Cause one year I don't think. Oh no. Okay. No, that's right. Maybe maybe it was just those 2 years.
Yeah. I told
Wait, so how did y'all get pink eye then?
One person got it. I can't remember who.
Mark.
I know
got
it's
it
contagious.
First. Yeah,
but
it was with a friend of mine named Mark, and he got it first, and then it just went it went to every. The only person who didn't get it's like Hoyce. So.
I didn't get it.
Oh, you didn't get it.
I thought just you and Mark got it.
Yeah.
And then that was back when there was the bird flu and all that stuff. So you guys didn't.
Man.
So when we were like every 2 days we were catching a flight. So they were worried they weren't going to be able to get on the plane. So Bobby he made this homemade patch, ridiculous homemade patch on his eye
like
and
a pirate or
everything.
something.
Well, it was white and stuff, with athletic tape and everything, because they probably wouldn't let you on. They wouldn't let.
They're freaking.
Plane. They wouldn't.
They're even taking your temperature when you're coming up the planes. Remember that they had this thing that scans you. It was
so
like all futuristic and shit. Everyone that walked by like kind of gave a readout of their temperature or something like that. It was like some type of.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
Thermal scan going on.
And remember that time like 2 days before we were going on a trip, the cap on your tooth broke?
No, it was the day.
It was the day, so you want to tell it?
I'll tell the story. Hold on.
I kind of want to hear that.
Wait till you hear the funniest thing though when we talk. Go ahead.
So for those of y'all who can't tell or never noticed, my front 2 teeth are crowned. I broke them when I was little. I'm getting ready to go to the Philippines and meet Chin, right? And I think it's like the second time I'm getting ready to meet her or something. But then it's like we're talking until like 1 in the morning, 2 in the morning. My flight's at like 7 in the morning, and I'm eating a Snickers. I keep them frozen. I like frozen candy bars. So I'm eating the Snickers, and all of a sudden it's like impossible to bite. And I'm like, I'm trying to crunch through. I'm like, what the? I spit it out, and I'm like, what the fuck is this white shit in here? It's all like nuts or something. I'm like, I'm gonna like sue Snickers. And I'm looking, I'm like, wait a minute, this is my tooth. I'm using my tongue. I'm like, shit, no tooth. So, and it's too late to fix, right? And I'm getting ready to go to the Philippines. She's gonna be waiting at the airport. So I'm like researching, what can I do? How can I? And I come across this story of Buddy Holly. Apparently, Buddy Holly got in a fight with his one of his band members before he went on to do the late night show back when it was like black and white, or the late show with whoever it was, Johnny Carson or something. But he used a chiclet. So I went to Walmart, got a whole bunch of chiclets, and when Chin met me, she didn't know it, but I had a chiclet for a tooth.
Yeah. He's telling me that. He called me right after he was.
Because it looks like
he's like, dude, I just broke my tooth, and we're going to. Because I was going on the trip. He's like, man, we're going to the Philippines. We're gonna be through the airports and layovers and this and that. I'm gonna be missing teeth and stuff.
Yeah.
I was going to do. He calls me back later. He's like, man, I got a chiclet. I'm putting.
Oh, she's like, why would you smile? I'm like, I just don't feel like smiling. It kind of passes for a tooth unless you're like really looking at it, and as long as I don't open my mouth a whole lot, But I took like an X-Acto and like shaped it the right and stuck it on there, and on the flight over there, every once in a while I'd eat my tooth, I'd just be like, chew that up and eat it,
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
that's hilarious.
So I've got a tooth story.
Oh Jesus.
I was living in Hawaii before I moved out here, and I was stationed in Pearl Harbor.
Yeah.
I'll cut it short. I worked on Makalapa compound for 4th Fleet, and I lived a mile or 2 from work, so I'd ride my bike home. Well, after mid-watch or late watch, it was like 6 at night to 6 in the morning, super tired. I'm riding my bike home downhill, and it had been raining, and it was getting kind of hairy, getting kind of going fast, and I grabbed the brake to slow down. Well, I grabbed the front one and went face over, right? Smacked my face and cracked my front tooth. And I was too tired to go to the dentist, so I went home and went to sleep. And I figured out later that, no, you can't. You can go to the dentist. If you go fast enough, they can fix it and reattach the tooth and it'll survive. I didn't do that. So,
wow.
So I had to go to work with no tooth. I wasn't smart enough to look up the chiclet story. Mm-hmm. But what I did do is go on eBay and I ordered a gold cap,
no, you
right?
didn't.
Oh yeah, a gold cap as a joke, because I went to work the next day with no tooth, and they're like, "What are you gonna do?" I went to the dentist. They did a mold, but they didn't give me a temporary one.
Yeah.
So I did the gold tooth, and I went to work the next day, and my boss was like, so pissed off. The look on his face, he said, "That better not be fucking permanent, man." And I was like, "I'm sorry." I was like, "I needed to get it fixed."
Yeah.
And like I let that slide for a couple of days until I got them. But yeah, I had a gold tooth for a little while.
Nice.
Dude, you should have just bought a whole grill and just
The whole,
it out.
do the whole. What's that dude's name with the Post Malone? Yeah, just
Oh
get
my
a
God.
whole grill going on.
Or do like diamonds. Some people do diamonds. I don't know why, but
But yeah,
They want to be extra.
That was fun to make your boss kind of be pissed off because I was military at the time too.
Yeah.
So
Oh yes.
So-
Not as professional, but
Let's change it up for a second and let's talk about some conspiracy / woke stuff. Who's got a non-mainstream conspiracy? Kenny, are you into any non-mainstream beliefs?
Oh, God,
so
I'm
you
not the
think
only
you
one.
think 9/11 was terrorists? You subscribe to all the mainstream.
I mean, I haven't watched all the, I guess, the conspiracy films and stuff like that. I've just seen different, people arguing on Facebook and different stuff like that. And jet fuel doesn't melt beams.
It doesn't.
Steel. Yeah, but you don't have to melt it for it to collapse.
Yeah, but
You just have to weaken it.
buildings around the world that were made by lesser architects, right, have burned for days, and the building just burned.
Well, there's one
top
that
to
was just
bottom.
burned in, where was it? China or something like that. It caught on fire in the middle of the building, and the building collapsed. It fell straight down upon itself, the same way the towers did. Right. So that's another thing conspiracy theories say. Like, it wouldn't have fell down. Only if it's demolition and implodes do buildings fall down. Well, here's a building that caught on fire in the middle.
I'd have
No
to see
plane
that.
even
But
ran into it, and the
it's
building
sandwiched. Yeah,
Yeah, it's
I
sandwiched.
could. Well, there's
It
two
fell-
problems
it
there.
fell straight
First off,
down.
you got Chinese architects, right? That's like problem number one. But problem number two is it was burning in the middle, so I could see like the weight of the top collapsing.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying it wasn't burning at the top. It may have been the upper floors. It wasn't perfectly in the middle, but it ended up. But the fact that it ended up collapsing straight down.
So if we took a poll, I'm curious, Nikki, what do you think? 9/11? No. So I've got Kenny for a no. 9/11.
I gotta see more. I haven't watched any.
It's all out
Tom
there.
documentaries, but I
Like,
haven't.
I don't know. I'm with Kenny on this one.
You think
I know,
it's-
because I mean, there's no other evidence. Like,
No, there is.
I don't think I've read enough about it to say, oh, that wasn't real.
Yeah, I'm not saying my
But
mind can't.
I'm not
changed,
exactly. I'm not saying my mind can't be changed. I'm just saying I haven't read up enough on it to say, okay, well, I don't believe in it. So
but nobody has
I don't know.
said anything that would convince me otherwise.
Yeah,
Loose Change
exactly.
9/11. That's a documentary. You got to watch that. If you watch Loose Change 9/11, I think it'll change. There's
Some of the
there's so
stuff
many
I-
now.
Yeah.
Um,
I
Well,
only
man,
go
I
off
meant
what
to
I learned already.
Write
so.
down the.
Brendan, what about you?
Oh, he's
Write down
gonna
the
be
password
like,
to the Wi-Fi.
well.
So Brendan, are you a
I can tell you, I know exactly where I was, exactly what time and what day, what I was doing when 9/11 happened.
Me too.
Well, I wasn't born, so yeah.
Oh.
But it did change my life. It changed a lot of people's
Yeah.
lives. I was ready to get out of the military, and I re-enlisted shortly thereafter, and I stayed in. But after watching, I believed it at the time, probably like everybody else. But I've seen a documentary where there's like news footage of like people on the scene at the Pentagon, right? Saying that there's all this destruction, but not one fuselage, not one wing. There's bits and pieces of stuff, but there's no aircraft. And then you got, I think it was Building 7 that just collapsed.
Yeah,
on
nothing
its
touched
own.
it,
Nothing
nothing.
touched it.
Now,
no
wasn't
plane.
Building 7? There's there's pictures of Building 7 on one side of it where like floors 18 through something or 17. There's like about 10 floors on the side where one of the buildings did fall on it. There's pictures of it.
I haven't seen those
7.
pictures.
Well, because the conspiracy theorists can't never show those pictures. I mean, it's one thing. It's like the conspiracy theorists think, okay, the government's lying. They're doing this and that. Well, can't the conspiracy theorists also be lying? Can't they also doctor pictures? They talk about how, we got these pictures and they were doctored or they were fake.
Yeah, but
you could
there's-
fake and doctor pictures too.
But that's the thing. If
You know what I'm saying?
If you research
There needs to be
it-
conspiracy theorists against. You can now have conspiracy theorists against the conspiracy theorists.
Yeah.
Versus the people that just say, right? It's a never-ending chain. So for every argument that a conspiracy
But did
theorist
you
has
know,
that
like-
it was a conspiracy,
So
the next level can say, well, that the fact they're trying to prove it's a conspiracy is a conspiracy,
yeah,
and
but,
here's
but
why.
there's too many highly improbable things that happen. Like first off, 6 months before it happened, one of the Bush brothers who owns a renovation company, ironically, got to renovate the towers, and they closed each floor one at a time, and then they went through every floor in there. Now that just happened to happen. It just happened to be one of the Bush brothers, family member that did it and got all that, and then that just doesn't add up. Or the fact that as soon as the buildings come down, they come and take all the steel and sell it to China. Like, that's supposed to be evidence. No one even got to examine that. All the steel gets shipped off to China. Or what about the NATO exercise or the NORAD exercise that they're running? Well, where federal regulation says that we will scramble a jet within X amount of minutes beside a plane, any plane that's hijacked. Now, none of them. We had all these planes hijacked, and none of them had a jet scrambled beside them. Why? Well, because they were running an exercise at the same time for the first time and last time in history, just happens to be on the same day, of airplanes being hijacked running into buildings. So when they actually have pilots on record saying, well, we saw it, but we thought it was just part of the exercise. Mm-hmm. Now, what are the odds? Now, think about this. It's never happened in history before, and it's never happened again. But you're going on record and saying it was probably just a coincidence that our government was running an exercise where the exercise was that jetliners are running into buildings, and that just so happened to be the reason why none of the jets scrambled to assist any of these jetliners, right? I mean, that's you think that's possible?
Well, I don't know. Correlation doesn't equal causation, so.
Yeah, but there's way more than that. There's way more than that. Also, there's if you have an entire country saying, like, calling out our government. Well, the Pentagon had footage. You cannot tell me the Pentagon. And why wouldn't you?
I know the government is shady and they do think they can't be trusted with a lot of things, but every time something happens, they think it's some type of a conspiracy. Even the Vegas shooting, they think there's some type of a conspiracy.
Oh, I've heard about that.
You know what I'm saying? They're like, how did this guy? It's got to be a conspiracy. So how did this guy get all these guns? He hid him in a suitcase or a bag, and he carried him upstairs. Because he got all the guns upstairs doesn't mean the police were in on it or the government.
Yeah, I'm not on that one right now, and honestly, I'm not even.
So, and it's always, I don't know.
I think 9/11 was an inside job. I'm sold on it.
You're sold on it? Yeah. I'm not. I did watch 9/11, but they were just kind of talking a little bit more about the pilot stuff.
My favorite was Loose Change 9/11. Watch Loose Change 9/11. I think it'll change your mind. But then what'll happen is you'll go down the rabbit hole and you'll start watching them all, and then you'll be partially woke.
Well, I mean, they also have their own agenda. They also have their own agenda. They're going to spin it the way they want.
Well, they can spin it the way they believe.
And how, and how do I know what they're just as they don't believe what the government is telling the truth. How do I know they're not telling the truth? Like you're kind of blindly believing what the conspiracy theories.
No, for me, it's about what's improbable and what's probable. I mean, it's highly improbable that it's actually impossible that you don't have footage of a plane going into the Pentagon. And actually, there were several frames released of what hit the Pentagon. They're out there now. There are several frames from like a parking meter someone found and released.
Yeah, but who found it? Where it came from? Is it something that somebody made up? Is that also faked? How do you know?
Well, then we could have that argument. That's a never-ending argument.
Exactly.
You're just gonna say that any.
So, but if the government released it, people, it's fake. But when all the conspiracy theorists want to. Oh, well, it's real.
But the government didn't release anything. They did a NIST report.
Right. I know they did.
They didn't release the model because everyone's like, the model doesn't work.
Right, but I'm saying the new pictures you're saying that come from a parking meter or something. Yeah. That could be.
That's what I heard.
Something that was fake.
I've seen the frames. Someone said parking meter. I don't know how accurate parking meter is, but I've seen the frames, and to me, it looks like a cruise missile. It's definitely not an airplane. Yeah. Definitely.
I mean, I'm not. Like I said, I got to watch those. None of these hijackers had even. They were learning to fly Cessnas. Right. And then they never even soloed, and then they're flying 747s with pinpoint accuracy that even like 747 pilots can't fly. There's a lot of messed up stuff in it.
There is flight simulators though. Like I remember like back when I had AOL and a gateway computer, I purchased a flight simulator, in 97, and you had different planes you can fly. But I do find it hard to believe that you could be pinpoint accurate.
Yeah, I don't think you have a flight simulator with the cockpit of a 747.
Well, would all they have to do is know how to program it, the coordinates to put it in to head in that direction? They don't necessarily have to steer it there. Now the planes fly themselves if you just punch in. So all they would have to know is how to program where they want it to go.
Maybe. I don't know if you can just put
I mean, if I know how to program a thing, I could fly and land a plane in wherever at any airport that I want.
I don't know if a pilot just puts in court. I don't know. Maybe it does work like that.
Yeah, I think they'll even land themselves. I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they don't have to. I don't actually have to know how to steer it and feel and do all that stuff. The plane will, provided nothing goes wrong, do I have to put it?
I don't think you can. I strongly doubt you can put in GPS coordinates of like the Pentagon and have a plane fly itself into it. I'm a doubter of that.
Why?
Oh my god.
So I recently saw another conspiracy thing. This is a little older one. I don't know if you're up on this one, Bobby, but the Nazis in Antarctica.
He's up on this one.
Oh yeah.
Searching for alien stuff.
Operation High Jump. Yeah, we went out there looking for them.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, we went out there.
Looking for Nazis?
Yeah. The U.S. government. It was
Shortly after
Operation High Jump, the U.S. government went out looking for Nazis. We thought they were in underwater bases.
Right.
But I don't know if you know this. Supposedly, I think Operation High Jump, I believe, was headed by Admiral Byrd, who had done prior expeditions. I could be I could be wrong about him leading that operation, but we did go out there and supposedly everything. Change the cam 1 second here. Supposedly everything I said, we were attacked out there from everything I saw.
Right, I
we
saw
were attacked
that.
by
and
UFOs.
Right.
And all our planes were shot down, and
I saw that. 3 UFOs came out of the water,
Yeah.
and everybody packed shit and left.
But that Admiral Byrd had done 2 prior expeditions to Antarctica and said there were mad resources on Antarctica. He's on a show called Longines. It's on black and white. You can watch it on YouTube, and he talks about it's a talk show, and he's talking about just the crazy resources we found in Alaska, right? And you've got now Alaska not Alaska,
Antarctica.
Sorry, Antarctica. I need more coffee apparently, but. You have all these, billion-dollar companies, and he's talking about all these mad resources, and nobody owns Antarctica. All those companies had the resources to go out there. Instead, what happens is a national treaty called the Antarctic Treaty, where 50-something countries basically agreed that no one will go to it and no one can go to it. You can get if you want to go to Antarctica, you can go to the peninsula, which is just under the South American tip.
Mm-hmm.
But if you want to go out, and at the end of that peninsula, it's like a little strip that goes out into the ocean. It's fortified with military bases. But if you want to go onto the main continent, you have to get permission from your country.
And they'll deny it.
They'll deny it. Yeah, you can't just go to Antarctica. And I think Antarctica itself it's amazing because it's 300-foot sheer cliffs all the way around it.
It's barely 3 or 4 miles, right? Land is 3 or 4 miles deep.
I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure on that.
It's ice, and
Yeah.
because it used to be it's mapped, and they had solid continents. And
yeah, what's really crazy about it is they've got maps out there like the Piri Reis map that are before we had the ability to, we just found out, I don't know, X amount of years ago that there's land under, Antarctica and Alaska, and then they've got maps that show that land accurately. That it's how did they know that? How could they possibly have known that?
And they got to be careful if all the people stand on one side, it'll flip over like Guam.
Yeah.
Well,
who was that senator guy that said?
Hank Johnson.
Idiot Hank Johnson.
Johnson.
What a moron.
I also saw that they're finding pyramids out there now as well. In Antarctica.
That wouldn't surprise me. I see. I think that there is a history to this world that it's out there to be uncovered, and people like David Wilcock and Graham Hancock and Lloyd Pye and Zechariah Sitchin and all these, and Stephen Greer and all these guys are unearthing all this, and I think they've unearthed a large portion of it, and some people just have no interest. And there's this history to our world. We're going off of fabricated history. What history do we know of? It stops at the Sumerians, and we don't even teach that. The most amazing civilization to ever stand in my opinion, because of the time, right? Like our first civilization just springs up out of nowhere, and it's got democracy, it's got farming, it's got court systems, it's got libraries, it's got written language, it's got mathematics, algebraic equations, it's got they use a base 60. They know about the precession of the equinox, they know about the planets, they know about the asteroid belt, which they called the hammered bracelet. They knew about, they wrote a history too of how they came to be. And then people don't want to learn about that. How could you have this written history and someone not? That's enthralling to me. That's
right. No, I agree. They don't teach that in elementary school these days.
Yeah.
No, they don't teach much. I don't remember ever learning anything about the Sumerians. We talked about Egyptians briefly, but that was most of it was like more modern. In history classes, is more modern, like stuff that happened on North America.
Right.
I remember I had a class in middle school. We also talked about like religion, like Jesus and stuff. We used to talk about like, what really happened. So they don't ever teach, outside of like religious,
Nobody wants to talk about that stuff.
Conspiracy.
Yeah.
The fact that that I may be a blue belt. That's a conspiracy.
You are a blue belt. Boys give you a blue belt.
No.
No one can dispute that.
That's a conspiracy.
That's the highest authority.
That's a conspiracy I do agree with. So that's the one conspiracy I agree with.
Yeah.
I may actually, in reality, be like maybe a 3-stripe white.
I hate to tell you, but he just made you a blue, and you're a blue.
That's pretty legit, getting a blue belt.
Yeah, no, he rolls like a blue. He's solid. He didn't want it. He wanted to crush some tournaments as a white belt first. And unfortunately, that got denied.
I think people go too easy on me because of my leg and stuff, I think.
I know, but I tell people I'd be like
But
popping that shit off mid-roll. Like
element of surprise.
Okay,
all right, let's go.
So do you prefer to roll with your
well, that was one of the things, like, so when I started, so about like my back injury and stuff. So I had to had an open pelvic fracture, and I broke my sacrum completely off, broke both iliac crests, broke my right femoral head and everything. So when they screwed me and put me all back together, they had to do the sacral nerves were all compressed. I was actually paralyzed too. So they your nerves come out of your spine, they then go into your sacrum like this, and your sacrum, the bone protects it. So they had to actually remove the bone of my sacrum. So now my nerves are just there with skin, so it's real sensitive in my back right there. So when I first
started, if I have to fight you, I'm going to punch you.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So when I first started training,
noogie in the back.
Actually was training with Smiley because it was right by my house, and then you were teaching at Keni School. World WMA, yeah, you were teaching there. So, and I actually went, because my back was real, so I don't have to wear it now, but I would wear a weightlifting belt. But I got, not a leather one, I got this like plastic one, and I used to wear that underneath my gi and stuff. But, so one of the things I was like, man, do I want to roll with my leg on or off? So, up until that point, the only time I would ever take my leg off was to take a shower, to go to sleep, or to have sex. The only time I took it off. And so, but if I was in ever bed with my leg on, watch TV, or just kind of relax, it was really hard. It's hard to move with my leg on, or even on the floor. It was hard. So I was like, man, this is going to be pretty difficult. But I was like, if I ever, I'm also training this for self-defense. So if I take my leg off and I train, and that's how I train all the time, then if for some reason I do happen to get into a fight or something on the street, and I've only been training with my leg off, I'm going to have major problems.
Right.
So I decided to train with my leg on for that reason. So I learned. And I learned how to move better on the ground and stuff like that. But there are times that I do take it off. And everyone's always like, hey, you just take it off, you move a lot. But which is true, I move. Even when Josh watched me roll, I rolled with Josh before, which was cool. But he's like, man, you should take your leg off and stuff.
I'll take it.
Which,
There was a video.
Just hit
so I probably will. So I probably... When I probably start training again, I might probably take it off more a little bit. It is a little bit. Plus, it's kind of hard. People can't trap me as easily and stuff. Yeah. And it's harder for them because they haven't rolled against somebody missing a leg. So, to some degree, I would say I may have an advantage with it on. But I like training with it on.
There was a video last week that went viral. through the jiu-jitsu
The
community.
dude without legs.
It was a kid. He's getting in the
Yeah.
street fight. He
I
had
saw
two
that.
prosthetic legs.
Popped
And
them
he
off.
popped them off. He was fighting at first. He's like, you know what, screw it. And
He
took them off.
both
Oh, really?
off.
Took them both
What's that?
off,
Yeah.
went to the ground, and was like chasing the guy around
Yeah.
and got a hold
And
of
then
him.
he got on top of him and
Got
started
him.
wailing on him.
Yeah.
Dude,
Yeah.
He got
that
him.
was crazy.
Yeah.
So
There's actually a movie of this dude. He's a wrestler. He was born like with no legs.
Oh yeah,
I don't,
and the dude fought in
black dude. I can't
oh
remember.
god, I can't remember his name. It's been so long since I've seen something on him.
The black dude.
No, there's another guy.
No, this one I just saw. I'd never seen. He's in a movie. He's a black dude, and he's got no legs or anything. And he ended up doing wrestling in high school. I don't know if he went to college or something. But there was also a wrestler that I don't know if he was missing both his legs or one of his legs. But then the other, I don't know, the parents or other competitor, they were like complaining, he's got an unfair advantage and all this.
Yeah,
type
but
of
do you
stuff.
remember the guy?
Like,
There was
yeah,
a
they're
guy
like, yeah,
with 4 nubs.
Yeah.
I've seen that.
And
that guy.
he wrestled
Yeah.
in high school, and then he
Might be
started
that
doing
guy.
jujitsu. Then he fought Naga and won. Like he beat like a dude his weight class,
Yeah.
and I can't remember if he won on points, but and then he fought MMA where he just got the shit kicked out of him. But
Oh yeah, when he was
yeah, he kept trying to
he
run in.
put him out. Yeah,
I
yeah,
felt-
yeah.
It's bad laughing.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
the dude's got heart like a
Why?
mofo, but he just
Don't worry,
tried
I'll
to run
laugh.
up and
I can laugh at this.
use his nubs.
I can laugh at this.
And the dude was just standing back like kicking him. It's like, oh god, it was bad.
Yeah, I remember that.
Dang.
It was really bad.
Yeah. So what do you think is going to happen with Conor and Khabib?
You know,
Oh.
I haven't watched Khabib. Everyone's all excited about it.
Yeah, I haven't.
Connor's gonna make anything exciting. The guy's just.
I like
arrogant,
listening to him.
Yeah,
out
I like
there,
that.
man.
He's so funny.
Yeah.
the notorious.
Anytime you put confidence out there like that, right? That just attracts people, right? Like that's always been the thing that differentiated people. That's what made Chuck Liddell stand out, or Tito Ortiz stand out, or whoever it was. He just went out there with this mad confidence, and he's got it. But Khabib's got it. It's gonna be a good fight. Stylistically, I don't know. I haven't seen, man. And I know you're old school, right? A lot of these, you have to be really old school, and you had to have come from Pride to understand that UFC is just not as good, and it just doesn't satisfy me the way Pride did. So UFC, when it first came out, it was awesome. It was like, oh, well, first off, no rules, practically no rules,
No rules, no time.
blood all over the place, people getting their teeth knocked out.
Nice.
But then you have Pride, and Pride, when they fight, you can hear a pin drop. So you can have 60,000 people in an arena, and they'll be on the ground, and you'll just hear the mat, and
Oh, that's
and
nice.
and they appreciate the ground game, so they won't stand you back up.
Yeah.
What I hate about the UFC is you take a guy who's a better grappler. Now in a fight, no one stands up a fight in real life, right? It's like if I get you on the ground, you're screwed, you're fucked, right?
Yeah.
But now let's take UFC. Well, it's not exciting. Stand up,
Yeah.
and you just
I hate
change the outcome of that fight. And I also think rounds change the outcome of a fight. I've seen dudes getting the shit beat out of them. They're getting ready to lose. The time runs out. They go back to their corners. They rest. Then they make a comeback. But that changed the outcome of the fight. If you really want an accurate fight, you don't stand them back up, and
no
you don't
time.
have rounds.
Yeah.
It's just
Just
15 or
let
20
Yeah.
minutes.
Fight to the death.
Why can't you do that?
Yeah. That makes a
That's-
lot more sense.
that-
now,
If you had that in Japan, I would never miss one. Because they're going to respect the ground game. Unlike us, we got a bunch of drunk NASCAR fans out there.
yeah.
Stand them
Yeah,
up.
stand them up. Yeah, I always
Yeah.
hate that.
Knock 'em
Especially now,
out.
they stand them up. They stand people up way too quick,
Yeah.
and they're in a good position. Or you get I guess to some degree it's getting a little better, but you get the refs that that they don't understand that, and they don't understand what they're watching. And you can the guys, they'll be actually there working. They're working on the ground, but to the untrained person, they're thinking they don't know what's going on. So like, stand them up. They're not doing anything. No, they're doing something.
Yeah,
You know?
have to give it
takes
a minute,
time, yeah. Or sometimes you might be waiting a little bit for the other person to make a move or do something or slip up. So
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
I've always disliked arrogant fighters. My favorite fighters were first and Hoist. I respect more than that guy made it all possible. He laid the groundwork for every fighter. Without him and his family, we wouldn't have the UFC. We wouldn't have Pride. We wouldn't have any of that. But Kazushi Sakuraba was a different breed of fighter. You had Kazushi Sakuraba, you have GSP, you have Genki Sudo, you have these guys out there teaching kids the right thing, the right
Yeah.
virtues, right? And then you have people out there, opening up graves, like, cut his head off, whatever. I'm gonna bury him, just saying they're undefeatable, and the confidence and ego.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a good thing to teach, right?
Yeah.
I don't gravitate. I mean, when I saw Ronda Rousey, I thought she was smoking hot. I had every reason to want to be a fan, but then she was so arrogant. Nobody can beat me out. It's just
like with the,
and then
the
it
newness.
made me not like her,
Yeah.
right? And it's like I still respect her. Love to sit down and have lunch or dinner with her, talk to her, but I couldn't respect her attitude. But I wonder if all that's just a show, because they know that's how you market. I wonder if that's them, or if they're just like
her. Just like Connor, a lot of people like show. That's him.
Some
I
of
normally
these-
don't like arrogant fight, but something about Connor, I like.
That's
I love
what I'm
Connor.
saying. Like,
I don't know what it is
something
about
it makes
him.
me
I
like
just
him.
like him, and he is
I don't
funny.
know, but
Yeah.
I
But
heard
there's some other ones I don't like.
I heard Tito Ortiz in real life is actually a super cool dude, but he struck me as the most arrogant dick on the face of the planet.
Yeah, but I kind of always saw the same thing about him, but I've been watching him more recently in some of his newer interviews and learned some more about background stuff that went on, why that different attitude that he had and stuff, and I understand it. So I'm a fan of Tito now. Before I wasn't too much, but there's some just stuff that I've learned since then and stuff. So he seems like a pretty cool guy.
Do you watch pretty regularly still all the fights, or?
I don't get the pay-per-views and stuff too much, but I'll always watch the next day post-fight press conference, or I'll catch the fights on YouTube or something like that. I'll watch them and everything like that. So
Yeah.
What's pretty good.
What about you, Nikki? Are you a fan of the UFC? And
Yeah, I'm still a
Yeah,
fan though.
I mean, I watch it when we come here and watch it with you guys. Like, I'll try and watch some stuff on YouTube, just, see fights from, like, fighters that I like GSP, or, I'll watch, like, a Ronda Rousey fight or Royce Gracie, but, I usually only watch, like, the UFC fights, maybe if we go out to eat or if we get it on pay-per-view here,
Right.
so, because I can't really watch it on my TV. I don't really have cable, so, yeah.
what about you, Brendan? Are you a big fan?
Yeah, I try to stay current now. Now that I started here, I definitely pay more attention and watch a lot more videos. I remember UFC 1, 2, and 3, and as a teenager, I think I was in middle school when that came out, when it first aired. And, my dream was, oh man, one day, I wish I could go to Brazil and train with these guys. I didn't know where they trained. I just knew that, so I thought that was pretty cool that you were able to do that in your life.
Yeah.
Yeah, even when I was younger, I would watch fight. Like, if I was watching something with my dad and he had, like, fights on, I would just, like, watch it. And I'd, watch all the people, like, punching each other, all the blood. And I was like, dude, that looks kind of cool.
When
but,
I was growing up, like, it was like karate and ninjas, right? Like, I remember dressing up and wanting to be a ninja and buying, like, I had these magazines delivered to my house, and there's ninja stars and nunchucks and Chuck Norris. And up until UFC, none of that stuff was really proven effective. So what the Gracies did was, like, life-changing, and they proved that their technique and their art was unbeatable.
They certainly proved it's the most effective singular martial art on the planet. Like, hands down. If anyone still disputes that, you got learning difficulties.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, people do still now, they try to dispute it, but they're not realizing, they're comparing people that are trained
in multiple
arts.
Right.
And they're trained, and they have some ground game, or they'll be like when a jiu-jitsu gets beat by a wrestler or something like that, they'll be like, oh, see, wrestling is better. No, he's a wrestler, but he used submissions from using armbar. There aren't arm bars in wrestling, or something, depending on what type of submission he uses. But yeah, I think they pretty much proved it, obviously. I like any type of ground game wrestling.
Let's go back to my favorite topic here. Do we have any more? So that's it. So Kenny, you're into no conspiracies. What about aliens? Are you?
No, I think there's aliens.
You think? With what probability? How much probability?
Up in the 90s.
Yeah. Are you up? Do you research any of them? Or are you like? Do you like? Are there any specific kinds?
I don't. No. I don't research any of them, but
you know what?
I don't know if we've had any visitors or something like that. But the consensus seems to be that they visited, they've come here or something like that. Maybe they haven't. Maybe they're dumber than us. Maybe they're sitting in their front yards on their lawn chairs waiting for us to come in. You know what I'm saying? Why is the assumption that they're coming and visiting us?
Well,
Maybe
I think
we're
it's
going to be the
because
ones.
the cosmos is so large and it's been out there
Well,
for
that's
so
just
long. Right.
We always want to think there's something more out there than just us. That's why we search more as far as religion, aliens. Like, we're not happy with it just being humans need more. So it could go. They could be dumber than us. It could be out there waiting for us to show up. It could go either way, but.
I wanted to go to. They have this thing, and it's called Contact in the Desert, and I wanted to go this year. I didn't. I was going to use my vacation to go for it, to go to it, and you camp out in the desert.
You wear a tinfoil hat.
You don't. You can. It's optional. They don't sell them.
Oh my
maybe I could sell them there, but I think it's headed up, if I remember right, by this guy named Dr. Stephen Greer, who was like a some type of surgeon, like a head surgeon at a hospital, who quit that to start leading up like alien contact, right? Like he wanted to head up like I forget the name of his organization, but he wants to like represent Earth, in as far as contacting the aliens, and they go out there and they try to make contact, right? And when they do this stuff like the Contact in the Desert, they disclose all the latest proof of aliens and whatnot, and they want to put it out there that they don't want our government representing us, because our government is a shitty representative.
Yeah, I would agree.
Right?
They suck. We can all agree on the government.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
They're going to dissect them.
Wait, so where in the desert? Is it like
I think it's in
Mexico?
Nevada,
okay.
or it might be New Mexico or Nevada, but
well, because Roswell. That's
Area
where
51.
everybody's talking about. The aliens are here.
Oh yeah.
So.
Well, it would be cool just to camp out and hang out with all these open-minded people, because that's what it is to me. It's like, no, I don't know if there's aliens. Nobody does. We don't know because they're not here. But I think you're incredibly closed-minded to just write them off and say, no, it can't be there. We're the only planet in the cosmos that could have life. There's no way.
100%. There's something out there.
For me, it's 100%.
100%.
Yeah.
There are solar systems. Billions of solar systems out there, the billions of planets. Yeah. There's no way we're the only being or organism out there. It's just that's impossible.
More than likely, well, and I talk about this. I actually talk about this a lot. But when I was a kid, I used to sit and ponder endlessness, and I was like, man, you can have a ship that does 1,000 times the speed of light. Just like it can bend space-time. And I can go in any one direction for an endless amount of time, and that it doesn't even measure because there's no limit. It's like, and the real irony is, if you were to change just 1 degree, but then go for a light year, you now have millions of degrees inside of that 1 degree, because that's how degrees work, right? Mm-hmm. As you go farther out, there's more, and you go farther out, 1 degree turns into 10 degrees, turns into So. And that's just on one ellipse. Now you can take that in another 360-degree direction, and then you can have multiple ellipses. It's like there's limitless directions. There's limitless directions we can go in, and it's unlimited in how far you can go in any direction. That's crazy to fathom, right? Like not just our galaxy, our cosmos would just be a speck, and that's. And if someone thinks there's not aliens, I don't know how.
Very close-minded if you don't really think.
Well, they're happy living in the now and in their own little bubble and reading the magazine what Ben Affleck and Jennifer Lopez are doing and stuff like that.
He's back in rehab, by the way.
Oh,
Ben Affleck.
I never knew he was even in it before,
I
but
didn't either.
that he was an alcoholic. But Jennifer Gardner took him. He just said they're too busy worrying about Ben Affleck. It just came up by accident.
No, that's
the
fine.
The other day, one of the thing when I open up one of my browsers, stuff will pop up, and I was looking at, I don't remember what I was looking up stuff, but and it came up and I clicked on it because it said Jennifer Gardner drops off Ben Affleck to rehab. Yeah. He was like willing to go, and I was like, what the hell is going on? So I clicked on it and I read a thing, and it's like his 3rd time or something like that.
Didn't know that.
Yeah. So like the paparazzi, like a few days before, they caught some delivery person dropping off a case of alcohol or something. He drinks Blue Label.
Johnny Walker.
I think so.
You know how he got his start, Ben Affleck and Matt Damon?
I think they wrote a movie, and then they ended up having to produce it itself or something. Was that Good Will Hunting? No, they did something before that.
Clerks.
Like that guy, yeah.
Kevin Smith got them their start, man. Like that dude made
Jay and Silent Bob.
Yeah, Jay and Silent Bob. I've seen every single one of his films.
Yeah.
Clerks, Mallrats, Chasing Amy.
Dogma? It was one of them? Yeah.
Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. I've seen, you name it, they're all hilarious. Like that dude, Kevin Smith. I never thought I had a favorite. What is he technically? Is he a director? Is he,
Producer.
Man, he is
Director,
my favorite.
producer.
Yeah, I think he does everything. He's like director, writer, producer. But yeah, he is by far my favorite. That dude's a genius. That would be. And then he did a horror. Did anyone ever see the horror he did called Tusk?
No.
So he.
I'm writing all this
and you would know Kevin Smith, anything by Kevin Smith, and I can watch Clerks today and love it. And Clerks 2 was really good as well. This guy
you told me
captures this young man, right? Like this older guy captures this young man and basically converts him into a walrus. Yeah, by doing like skin grafts and shit, right? Like by it's like, and the guy's he's like doing plastic surgery and just converts the dude into a walrus. And the dude had a really beautiful girlfriend, and they find him in the end, and the girl like finds this dude. He's all jacked up and converted into a walrus. That was this dude's dream, was to like turn a human being into a walrus.
Tusk.
It's called Tusk. It's really, it's interesting. It's the only time Kevin Smith, like, I didn't know how to take the movie, because when you watch Kevin Smith, is what he's good at is being hilarious. But I started watching this, and I'm like, is it, because it's filmed with a comedic filming flair, but he's actually serious. When I was watching the film, I'm like, I don't know how to take this. Is this a joke?
Turning the guy into a walrus?
Huh?
The one turning the guy
into Tusk. I think it's called Tusk. I'm 99%
You seen
sure.
Centipede?
Yeah, I've seen those 1, 2, 3.
Oh my god, I've never seen that. I don't think I want to.
But you heard enough about it.
It's disgusting. Yeah, I've just heard so much about it. I'm like, oh my gosh,
I didn't
what
see
is
Centipede.
wrong with
There's
people?
like a Centipede 2, right?
So
I think there's 3.
There's like
is there
3?
3?
Yeah.
Oh, I gotta watch it. I only watched part 1. And when I watched it, I hadn't heard about it before. It just
Same thing.
I'm like, oh, let me see what this is.
See what's
and,
about.
And then it was after that I heard all this crazy.
Yeah, I've heard it was very disgusting. So I was like,
apparently
I'm not watching that. Nope.
But
yeah.
No, go ahead.
Oh well, I was just gonna say, because the first time I heard about that movie, I just got done watching the Fourth Kind, and if you haven't seen that movie, that
is that
freaked
POV? Is that
me
point
out.
of view? A point of view? You know, like Blair Witch Trial. That's a point of view movie.
No, I think it's
No.
a regular.
I don't like point of view
It's-
movies.
it's like-
They've got some footage like that, but it's a regular film.
Okay.
movie.
Is it?
Yeah, I mean, but it's just like about aliens and like Nome, Alaska and stuff. And we just got done watching it. You know, these videos they freaked me out. I don't even know if I want to watch it again. But then there was people saying it wasn't real and stuff, and I was like, dang. But no, we were like looking up more scary movies to watch, and I'm like, I'm not watching that. It looks disgusting.
Do you believe those things, those videos they show?
Yeah.
We got alien autopsy. I believe in aliens, but I don't believe any of the. I don't think any of the alien
We have
autopsies
some really
are real.
interesting black and white photos.
How come every time they're doing an autopsy, it's like in a shady room and it's dark out? You know.
Yeah, but honestly, like,
I don't think.
I was looking at some old 1991. Now, granted, this was supposed to be in the 50s, but I was looking at some 1991 where I had like what at the time was a cutting edge camcorder, and that was just some absolute shit quality, you know. And I'm filming indoors, and then it's actually. Last night I was thinking about putting some of this stuff out there. I was like, man, this is like well before GoPro. This is 1991. I get my buddy Doge on the back. We're in Italy, riding around northern Italy, and I rip it up to about 130 miles an hour with him on the back. And there's some pretty cool video I thought about posting. So, but anyway, the quality shit is where I was going. It's absolute, just shit quality. So I can imagine in the 50s, like maybe that's just how it was. Like I had some indoor footage where it was, you couldn't even see. It was just like black. And it was like, man, this looks like some conspiracy shit. Like someone intentionally made the shittiest video they could.
Yeah. Well, talking about autopsies, this one's a little out there, but do you guys believe, now I'm not talking about the Little Mermaid kind of mermaids. Do you believe mermaids are real? Like, I'm talking about like mermaids as in they're because I watched a documentary on it, and they were bald. They have big eyes, but they live all the way deep in the depths of the ocean. Considering the fact that we've only discovered like what 0.5% of our oceans.
Right, we know more about the solar system and
exactly.
It wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
The thing about that is that like one of the reasons that whole thing kind of lost some ground is because I don't remember what channel it was, but there was a channel that released what they called a documentary. It was a major channel. It was like Discovery. Channel, and it was actually purely fictional. Like it was supposed to be like some boat, like they see it swimming at you, and then it swims off, and they had this footage.
Yeah.
And they literally billed it as real footage, and then it turned out they admitted it was fake. I don't even know how they got away with that. That's some bullshit right there.
Yeah.
Because they hyped it all up under the auspices that it was real. And
I don't know if I believe mermaids. Actually.
Well, there was something that I saw, and it was they went into some cave or something, and they had drawings of these creatures in the water with like manatee tails. So it wasn't like an actual, but it wasn't a manatee. So it's not like, mermaids like people really think it is. And I know it sounds really stupid.
No, it doesn't.
But they were talking about the evolution of the apes. Well, half of them got stranded on an island out in the water, and then another portion got stranded on land. And then eventually those apes that were in the water, they evolved into the water. So something like that kind of made sense to me, but they just lost all their hair and stuff, and they lived like really deep in the ocean.
Maybe we should try to find some lost mermaid autopsy footage.
Have you?
So we have alien footage. Why don't we have any mermaid autopsy footage?
Yeah.
Have any of you ever heard of like I think it's called like the 100th dog experiment, or so there's this experiment they did. Well, it was unintentional. So here's what happened. These scientists are giving, I forget the type of monkey. They're giving these monkeys, they're dropping them down like apples and shit, and they had never been observed anywhere in the world rinsing their food. They'd never been observed doing it. But one of the young apes figured out, because they were dropping it was sandy. It was an island. They were dropping it. And it always had sand on it. They were just eating it and dealing with it. One of them figured out he could rinse it off, and then it caught on. So like the other monkeys on the island, it slowly picked up. And what they found out was that once a certain percentage of the monkeys figured it out, then the whole like all of them on the island just started doing it. It just became a natural thing. But then it started happening all over the world. Now, mind you, this had never been seen anywhere in the world, but now it just went all of a sudden.
Monkey Twitter, they tweet.
Oh yeah, the monkey Twitter, right? Well, so they came up with this hypothesis that when a certain percentage of a species learns something, it becomes innate somehow to the rest of the species.
So you're talking about other species in other parts of the world, not even connected with.
Right, without communication. So the way they tested this, the way they came up with a test to test this, the BBC tested it. They ran this. They aired this photograph where it had all these hidden faces in it, and they said, see how many faces you could find. And they only aired the photograph in the UK. And people found like 7, but let's say there were 20 something.
Find how many faces that you recognize?
And how many faces you could see in the photo, right?
Oh,
it's like one of those hidden faces,
right, okay.
and they'd see like 7. But then afterwards, after everyone, they kind of got the consensus and said, okay, well, the majority of people saw 7. They did it again and showed them. They're like, hey, here's like 22. And now, mind you, this was only shown in the UK. But then the following week, they did it to all of Europe. And the very first time they showed it, all of Europe got all 21 faces or whatnot. And then they did other experiments other than that. But basically what they came to was that, and I think it's either called the 100th monkey or 100th dog theory, but they believe that when a certain amount of a species learns something, it becomes innate to the rest of the species. And just automatically. But I'm not doing it justice at all. My memory is terrible. I can't remember little details, but it is a really impressive, and again, BBC is the one who aired it. It was pretty good.
I guess it kind of depends what it is that you're learning.
Yeah, well, it's obviously not trigonometry, right? But
Yeah.
Yeah.
But even still,
like
probably some
basic
basic stuff. I don't think that's. I wonder if we could find examples where that's happened with humans.
Yeah.
Teach them
Well,
how to
you
twerk.
know,
Yeah.
birds. I think it was either crows or ravens or something, but this was a long time ago when I like read about it. But they would drop like nuts in front. They would sit on the stoplights.
Yeah, and they'd wait for the cars to run over.
They'd wait for the cars to run over the nuts and break them, and then they'd go down when the cars would stop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They even understood the light system, right?
Yeah.
They knew that it was safe. They wouldn't try to fly them down. They'd go down there and set them down. They even knew roughly where the tires were going to go. And they'd wait for a red light. They'd go down there and set it down, fly back up to the perch, and then they'd get ran over. They'd wait for another red light, and then they'd go down there and get their nuts. I saw that.
Yeah.
That was really cool.
Yeah.
That's something.
They also knew how to raise water levels. They knew how to get stones to drop. Like there'd be a floating fruit in like a little thing, and then they'd know that, but the water level would be down here. But they'd know if they go drop pebbles in it, it'd raise the water level to a point that they could reach the food that was floating in the water. They're really smart.
They are. They are really smart.
Super
I
smart.
don't think people give enough credit to them.
To bird brains?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, all right. More conspiracies. Oh, has anyone seen the Toltec face? Have you seen that?
Oh yeah, you showed us.
Check that out. This is a photo that NASA released from the Mars rover, right? And someone zoomed in on one of the photos. It's on NASA's website. I verified that. Actually, everyone's verified it.
Right.
And someone zoomed in and found the statue here. And all they did was they didn't manipulate the photo in any way other than cutting it in half and flipping it over. And it creates that when you do it. It's a monkey's head with a snake thing on the top.
They found where did they find this?
That was on
again?
Mars.
On Mars.
Yeah.
That's crazy. How they find structures like that.
Well, it means,
on Mars.
to me, that's not natural.
That's not natural.
There is no way.
Oh, saying they didn't cut it
something
open,
like
but you're saying they just
They
all
just
they
took
did
the
is
original
image it
image
in
and
half.
flipped it.
right
And flipped it.
and to make a complete thing.
Yeah. So what you're seeing is half of a head and a
Right.
bonnet, in the shape of a
cobra.
cobra, and that right there is, and what's really interesting is when you get into all these conspiracies, they tend to corroborate each other because the Sumerians claim that we were fashioned from apes. And they also claimed that the astronauts that fashioned us had an outpost on Mars. They claimed that that's where the gold that they mined here on Earth was taken to as a waypoint. And then it was taken from Mars in larger ships to, So it's interesting when it's like, oh, we were fashioned from apes. And then if you look today, the number one thing we fear is snakes, and it's also like a very, if you look at the caduceus, right, which is the thing for like if you're in the medical field, right, that has snakes on it, and if you look at Egyptians, snakes are like, and sure enough, you have this monkey and a snake together, right? That's just, so what are your thoughts on that, seeing the Toltec face? Like, do you think that could possibly be natural right there? You think that
Right.
could be natural? You even have to think about that? You have to think about that, seriously?
No, I mean, I'm not saying that if I don't believe it debunks the others, what you're saying about Sumerians, but there's so many
wind rounds.
I mean, but think about it. Crunch the numbers. There's so many rocks and stones and the way weather can cut through them and different things.
Weather.
At some point in time, it's probably going to make a monkey face. Am I right?
Somewhere in the cosmos, maybe. Just
that's somewhere in the Milky
Earth
Way.
To Mars.
Somewhere. It just so happens we're that close.
Man.
At some point in time, they might find one that's looks like Beyonce.
Like
that looks like
face.
Beyonce at some point.
That looks.
That's not a similarity.
Yeah, I mean, even without them having to mirror the other side, you could look at it and say, that looks like a monkey or something.
Oh, when you split it in half, it's precisely.
Yeah, when they
a
mirror
monkey.
it, but I mean, even without mirroring it, that's more than enough.
Man,
to come to that
I know
conclusion.
this.
But I'm just saying.
I know enough that I would bet. Like if there were an opportunity in front of me right now, and someone said, "Hey, man, you can bet everything you're ever going to earn in your life, and
wow, that's a big bet.
it's a big bet, right? Everything.
Yeah.
And if you're right, you can win that times 1,000. And if you're wrong, that was everything you earned in your life. You're now broke for the rest of your life. I'd safely take that bet. I wouldn't even I have no doubts. There's no doubts because nature does not chisel, right? It can't make an eye socket.
But we have to. Yeah, but that image is still. You know what I'm saying? You know, when you see things in real life, looks a little bit different.
The question I have though,
I'd have to see that.
How do we know that's from Mars though?
We don't, but that causes another problem. Mm-hmm. The point of that is that either A, that's on Mars, or B, NASA's lying to us, and they're not filming. We're not on Mars.
Oh, you're saying how do we know that picture was taken on Mars?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were saying how do we know that originated? Like I was like, well, then you're still at the same point. Like if somebody brought it there, it's like who's been to Mars to take it there?
Right.
No, but I'm just saying how do we know the picture from
Right.
It could have been from like
some
mountain
way
or something, you know.
The only way we quote unquote know is because NASA has it on their website and says it came from Mars. Mm-hmm. Now, how much do I trust? I don't trust NASA at all.
Right.
Yeah.
But some people.
But it's like what do they have to gain? That's the thing. Because like I could sit here and say,
that's
well,
true.
You don't want to believe NASA that we went to the moon, but you want to believe them that this, you got to pick and choose which one.
Well,
but the thing is, they have something to gain. We have something to gain by saying we went to the moon if we didn't. There, NASA, we don't have really anything to gain to say, hey, we found this, other than maybe funding. But they don't really have anything to gain to say, hey, we found this rock with a monkey face etched in it.
Yeah, but also...
So which would make it
it's
more realistic? Which would make it seem more realistic? That's true.
Saying we went to the moon and saying we put a motorized vehicle on the moon are two different things. Like getting a person to the moon is a completely different task.
Right. But I'm
getting
just,
a robot.
Right, but like you were saying there, like you got that off their website and stuff, and saying that now you believe that. So, but I'm not.
No, I'm
not saying it very well could be. I'm just saying there's also a chance that I'm not 100% doubting that. I'm just being open-minded on both sides, saying there is a chance that somehow that's just the way the rock.
I'm saying there's.
Broke or cut.
I'm saying
there's no chance that
there's
you're
no
saying
chance.
that somebody carved that out.
I'm saying that was carved out. There's no because when you look at the other side, you see
well, the other side is the same side. It's just a mirror, right?
I know.
So
but then you see how perfect the monkey face is. It is a perfect. The lips are perfect. The nose is perfect. The symmetry, the ratio is perfect. Everything, the cheekbones, the cutouts of the eyes, the nostrils, the angles of the nostrils, the fact that it has ears, even the little indentions on the top of the nose they have, the brows, the brow bone structure.
Well, you say brows, but the right side is just a mirror image of the left, right?
Forget the right side.
Okay.
I don't even care about that.
Okay.
Even on the left side.
All right,
but it's perfect in every way. That level of perfection, nature doesn't make. Nature doesn't make that level of perfection. I'm 100% certain. We've never seen. Nature doesn't create Mount Rushmore.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I'm looking at it on here. It just. I don't know. That doesn't look like it was made by nature.
Yeah.
Let's see. Let's touch on some other things. We went over 9/11. We went over. We didn't talk about JFK or Princess Diana. So you're mainstream on all this. You think JFK was the government had no participation?
No,
in that?
I don't know. I think they looked into this, but no one talks about it. Maybe because it was just a normal thing to look into. So. What was JFK's wife again? What was her name?
Jackie.
Yeah, Jackie.
Jackie Onassis. Yeah.
So who's the guy she got with after JFK shot and died? She started dating this guy, and I don't know if they got married or not. He was a big, either New York or something, business tycoon or something like that. I don't remember exactly. I don't know if he was tied in with the mob or not. Well, I don't know if it was a year before or a month or sometime before that. I think his son or business, somebody was killed or died somehow, and they never could figure out exactly the way it was. But when I was reading it, I kind of put this together myself. Wasn't anything just from different stories that I heard. Somebody close to this guy died. I don't know if it was a son or whatever. They disagreed on. I don't know what happened. And then after JFK dies, he gets with Jackie. And so there's some other things tied around there. So I was wondering. I'm wondering if, and I think he was friends with Jackie before this. If him and Jackie were messing around before that, and if he had something to do, because there were other people around the same time that died, and I don't know if they looked into him killing them or not, or it was just unexpected, like things didn't add up. And so I don't know if the FBI then, after JFK died, they didn't look into this guy, but it just, nothing about it ever got publicized, because that's would just be kind of there were so many other theories about it and everything, but it's just kind of odd to me how this guy kind of stepped into the picture.
Yeah.
So maybe something small that it could just been this guy killing her just to get to
well,
Jackie.
you know, but JFK wasn't really the most loyal either.
Oh yeah,
so,
yeah, I know.
I don't know. Maybe it was payback. I don't know.
Yeah,
What do you mean he wasn't loyal?
He was not loyal to Jackie the whole time. Just saying.
because I think she even said later on, like he kind of was doing his own thing, and then she started going out doing her own thing or something. So I think she was possibly seeing this guy before, and then, you know, it may have just been something as simple as that. But
my teacher,
I don't know why they, wanted to keep all those records. Trump released some of them, not all of them. But I don't know why they would want to keep order those President Johnson.
I saw a documentary called The Dark Legacy, and it goes into the government conspiracy of JFK being murdered, and it's absolutely amazing. It sold me. For me, it's
sold you on which theory?
That that George Bush Sr. killed JFK and was rewarded with presidency of the United States.
What?
Yeah, you got to watch it. I mean, to hear that and doubt it, watch the documentary and then have an opinion.
Yeah.
But there's so much evidence.
What is it called?
It's called Dark Legacy, and it's absolutely amazing to think that we would reward someone with presidency for killing a president.
Yeah.
That's messed up.
It is, but you have to watch it.
Is it on Netflix?
You can just watch it on YouTube.
Oh, right.
You can practically watch anything on YouTube today.
Yeah, that's true.
Save that one to watch list.
Yeah. No, you should see.
So Brendan, I don't know if I asked you before. Do you think we went to the moon?
Oh. You haven't asked me yet. No, I don't.
Yeah.
I'm there with you.
I don't. And I don't think we really want to. Like, you had mentioned I don't recall the name, but the
Space race.
No.
Space Force.
Oh,
the
Van
toxic
Allen
radiation, the radiation belt, like going through that, like
Van Allen radiation.
Thank you for backing me up on that.
You're welcome.
The David Allen at large radiation belts.
It's interesting. I love that we are exploring space. I love that we're sending stuff out there in orbit. There's a lot of space trash out there. That'd be interesting if we could clean that stuff up. And
yeah, why don't we clean that up?
I don't know. I think it's kind of moving fast.
Yeah.
Now the the radiation belts, they change in sizes. Doesn't always maintain the same strength and the same width.
Okay.
It goes back and forth, so they could time it in order to get through the radiation belts. And they sent out the they called them the Allen probes in 2012, and they found the first belt. It doesn't produce as much radiation or disruption as they first thought. Doesn't affect things as great. And so also the space station, there are times when the radiation belt is crossing over the International Space Station, which we always have. I guess since a certain year, there's always astronauts out there. So,
I don't think that the ISS is high enough to be in the Van Allen radiation belts. I think
they're not in it all the time. The belts swell. The belts swell.
Like 250 miles up or something like that.
It's like low Earth orbit, right?
Yeah, it is low. It's low Earth orbit.
No, it's still there. The belts swell and they go into different sizes. And certain times when the belt swells up, it'll encompass
I had seen some, you know, who I considered at the time very intelligent, you know, purported, you know, scientists, physicists saying that you would need 6 feet of lead to safely go through the Van Allen radiation belts. That's what I had seen. And
who had said that?
And again, I don't have a name. It wasn't Neil deGrasse Tyson or anything, but it was someone who certainly presented themselves like they knew what they were talking about, and they were good enough for me to believe them. You know, I need to go back and write it down and research who they are, but it's also brought up in Astronauts Gone Wild, where they interview all the astronauts, and you can see the look on their face. Like, if an astronaut is going to be flown through the Van Allen radiation belts, you think he'd know about it, right? Like, you can't just be like, oh, hey, by the way, you get back, you know, you flew through some radiation belts, right? Really? No, you didn't even tell me.
Yeah, you would think an astronaut would know.
Right. So when this guy does this documentary called Astronauts Gone Wild, and he's interviewing these astronauts, he goes, hey, how'd you get to the Van Allen radiation belts? And they're like, you know, it's either Neil Armstrong or Buzz Aldrin or both of them, and they're like,
well, they're not going to say
saying
it was going to kill them instantly.
And they're like, yeah, there's nothing wrong with these guys today. They're saying there's like I don't know what they are, you know, particles out there just electrons zipping all through space that are just, you know, if they, you know, they could kill you or give you cancer or whatever
later on down the road. But they won't kill you instantly. They'll just, if they're radioactive, but they may cause problems later on. But it's not something that'll kill you. So they can fly through them.
Yeah, but we like,
and they would, and flying through them, they're not actually spending that much time in the radiation belt as they're flying. You know what I'm saying? They're flying through it, so they're not hanging out there. Yeah. So.
But it's interesting.
But
I don't know. Yeah. I'm not sold that we've been to the moon. Like,
I believe we had every reason to
lie about it.
To fake it. Yeah. I believe that. So, which makes me think, but I don't know if I've seen enough evidence to say that we haven't been.
There's a documentary called "A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Moon." Yeah. We definitely, and even like
I watched that.
Yeah, it's like you see them faking the scene. Like, they're sitting there talking, and they're like, "Yeah, man, here it looks like."
Yeah, but you know, from that, there's this other guy that he made a couple videos on kind of debunking different things, and he talks about that. And so you have to think about, at the time, where, you know, Russia had just put up Sputnik and put a monkey in space, or a man in space, and a couple other things, not to the moon. So when we're ready to go to the moon, we don't want any mistakes. We don't want anything to go wrong. We don't want any type of embarrassment or something like that.
Like the Challenger?
So or Apollo 13. So think about it. They don't want, and so it's not, when they're filming when we went to the moon and put the man on the moon and the trip there, it's not a reality show. They just don't have the cameras running all the time. So before they decided to get the actual footage that they wanted to get, that they wanted to use to show to the public, they're setting up the camera. They're not just setting up the camera, turning it on, and that's the footage. So they're setting up the camera to get the right angle, how they want the correct lighting. And if you listen to the narrator, she talks the way they actually quote what one of the astronauts is saying, but they kind of debunk themselves. So the astronaut says, "We've blocked out the sun and turned off the lights in the cabin so you can't see the inside of the cabin, so you can just see the Earth." Yeah. Well, if they're not really in space and there is no sun and it's artificial lighting, why did he say we've blocked out the sun?
No, they say they're in that documentary. They say they're in low Earth orbit. Is where they say they're supposed to be halfway to the moon. Right. And they say they're in low Earth orbit.
Right.
Low Earth orbit.
Right. They're saying they're in low Earth, but they're saying NASA was saying they were already 135,000 miles out or whatever, something like that. But their practice, they want to make sure they get the right shot for what they're going to show. So they're just like you. Before we get started in here, you're kind of setting everything up.
Right? No, they made that shot look like an Earth. That's what they're doing. They're making something. They made it look like
no. They're trying to get the correct shot through. They're trying to get the correct shot through the window, so that they don't want. So that they
they're
don't.
They're way away from the window. window,
No.
and they did it to make it look like the round portal that is the window is the earth, and they're trying to say that the cam is up against the window, and you're seeing a round earth, and you can hear them talking about it. Yeah, does that look right? Yeah, and then
because I
and then
think
that's the
because
footage they
they're
gave
trying
us.
because they're trying to get the correct shot, just like you were messing with the cameras before to try to get the correct shot.
No, they were taking
Now,
cutouts that made it round. They were making something that wasn't round look round. I remember that one, man.
Yeah, I know. I remember that one too. I think they're. I remember that part too, where they're talking about, and here you see that they put some type of cutout or something like that. I don't. And they might have been trying to make it look round, but that doesn't mean that they weren't halfway there. Because now, mind you, that window, you know the shape of the window of the capsule that they're in.
Yeah.
You know the shape of the window.
No, but it's not round. I
Exactly.
mean, they're making it look round.
Right, exactly. It's square. So they're trying to make it, enhance it, just like they do on a reality show or any other type of thing. They want to get the best possible view of the Earth. So just because there's now footage of them trying to set up the camera, wait, move the camera here, do this and do this, that doesn't mean that necessarily didn't go to the moon. They're just trying to get, and that's footage that they omitted because nobody necessarily don't need to see that. That's them talking. They're trying to figure out which way they want to get. So when they get ready to film, they have the correct shot. They're not there doing all that stuff. We don't want to be making mistakes, look like, oh, we're moving or we're doing this in front of the Russians and stuff. We want to we're flying, we're going to the moon. Here's a shot of the moon, right? They want to, right? Just like they're not going to start filming as they're taking the camera out of the camera case. And then that's still part of setting up the camera and setting up the shot.
I got a completely different vibe from that. I watched that, and as someone, like, what my common sense told me when I was watching it was,
I think they're just setting up the shot.
They were faking it.
That's
how I interpret it. When I watched it, I'm like, they're absolutely faking
Well,
this
you
shot,
weren't faking
100%.
it when you were setting up these cameras.
Yeah, but I wasn't sitting there talking about, I'm going to make it look like we're in a car.
No,
we're not in a car. I'm sitting there saying.
They didn't say we're going to make it look like we're halfway to the Earth when we're not. I mean, halfway to the moon when we're not.
I know that they tried to make
and that was the documentary that said they were in low orbit.
I think you got to watch that again.
NASA didn't say that.
We're gonna have you back, and we're gonna let Brendan.
I want to watch it.
Nikki
The
documentary.
We're gonna have a full-on conversation.
assumed,
I think it's gonna be 3 against 1.
We're gonna have a whole episode.
The documentary made the assumption that they were only 9,000 miles out, or they were in low orbit. The documentary made that assumption.
No,
they said that.
What's not an assumption is the fact that they're trying to make a window. What they're setting up is they're trying to say that they've got the camera butted up against the window, and here's a small round Earth. When in fact they're way back, got everything blacked out, and they took a portal and put pieces around it to make it look like a round Earth. That's what I saw. I saw 100%.
Did they say in there? They said you hear the astronaut saying the window is the camera is next to the window.
Yeah, basically.
I didn't hear anybody say the camera is next to.
You got to watch it.
I kind of want to watch this now. See what we're.
I'll watch it again.
Very
heated debate. We'll probably have to have like another episode.
I think they're just like the one guy that I watch. I think they're just trying to.
So you all have tasks now.
Okay, I'm gonna just write this.
You got some homework.
You got some homework. It's called "A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Moon," and you tell me if the astronauts were faking a shot. That's the only thing you got to tell me.
I've got that and Dark Legacy written down.
I have it in my phone, but I'm gonna write it down again.
Now here's a really amazing.
And then when you get it, look up this guy, Greater Sapien.
Greater
Sapien. He's made a funny thing, Moon Conspiracy Debunked Part 1 and Part 2.
Okay.
All right.
So he talks about that part. And then he also talks about the shadows. He talks about how
I love this pen.
So in the conspiracy thing, they talk about the shadows. One's going one way where they converge and stuff like that. And they're saying if you just have one light source, the shadows are going to remain parallel and nothing will affect that. Well, that's not true. Land bumps, curves, they can affect that. And he talks about what's the thing called? Well, in pictures and stuff like that, certain things. It's not zero. It's called. Let me put it real quick to get the word. But
Well, let's
we'll
shift gears to something really similar. Has anyone heard this conspiracy that
like how
the Challenger the Challenger astronauts didn't die, right? There was no astronauts in the Challenger when it exploded.
That's messed up, because that shook me as a elementary school kid watching it. There's
some documentaries you can watch out there, and I call everything a documentary, and excuse me for doing that. All right, I'll what's a better word for someone? There's some YouTube videos you can watch by
doppelgangers. No, I'm just kidding.
And well,
stunt doubles.
What's messed up is these people. When you see the videos of these people, holy crap! I'm sold. It's like that is the same person, and they even have the same names, and they would even be the same ages.
This guy's got a gap tooth. Can you grow a gap tooth later on in life?
Actually, there's been people who have they do it in like London and stuff. They actually get procedures. They get gaps in their teeth. They consider it cute. Yeah. I'm just like, you look like a little child. They look like children to me.
Or cocaine.
So look into that. Look into
it does it in every tooth.
And there's some videos out there that are very compelling that all of the astronauts from the Challenger are still alive. Just YouTube it, and it's.
What is this one about?
That none of the that they're all still alive. All the Challenger astronauts. They even know who they are. Some of them even have the same names, and you see them, and it's them. It's like that is that person.
Oh, that they didn't really die and blow up.
I don't know. Because we weren't sending them into space.
Well, they sending them into space. So now they're saying we weren't even going into space. We were just sending empty spaceships. So for now, first they're saying we weren't going to the moon. Now they're saying we weren't even sending them people in.
Well, space. I'm saying it's possible that sometimes we're not sending up astronauts. If we're sending something up and we're saying it's going to the moon, and we know it's not going to go there, maybe we're just. And maybe there aren't astronauts in it, and it does explode, and then we're like, what do you do? It's like, oh crap, there were supposed to be astronauts on there. These people are all dead now. We got to create some fake identities. But you got to. That's an interesting one to look into it. Well, it could be, but they have the same names. They're living in the same cities. You gotta watch.
Same cities. They don't get out.
It's a long story.
Dang.
You gotta watch the YouTube videos, but.
What a great life.
I know. It's amazing what our government can do for us.
Yeah.
Let's see. What about the reptilian shapeshifter?
Oh God.
What do you think about that one, Kenny?
Refresh
the reptilian shapeshifter. So there's people out there like, and I watch this stuff from time to time. Like here's the thing: you're not woke if you don't research it. Like that's my thing, is that you're not woke if you don't research. If you haven't researched the flat Earth, you're not woke. You can't just go, well, it says in textbooks that the Earth's round. I need to have my own opinion, and I have to be fair. I have to listen to the opposing opinion. You'd be a shitty judge if you just said, based on my belief system, I'm going to go with it's round. That's a shitty judge. But
what if a bunch of people came out now and said the Earth's a triangle? Would you say you're out of your you're whacked out? Are you gonna be like, I gotta research that? I'm gonna be a good judge, and I'm not gonna believe that it's round or flat. I'm gonna do my own read and see if it is a triangle, or
if I were gonna be asked about it, and I knew I were gonna be. I'm not interested in all conspiracies, but I want to have an informed opinion.
No, not if you were gonna be asked and needed to have an educated.
I don't feel
just in general. If somebody said the Earth's a triangle, Bobby.
If it were someone that I cared about, or someone that was a good friend of me, or someone that asked me to research it, I would say, show me that.
No, not if they asked you to research. They were just like, you're saying you're not going to believe the Earth is round.
No, I'm not going to tell people it's not a triangle if I haven't done the research. If something comes out and says,
well, would you believe it was?
Well, I already have my own thoughts.
Okay, but now, all right, so you have your own thoughts.
But now there's a new theory out.
But now there's a theory out that it's triangle.
I would just want to know, if I heard that theory, is there any credible evidence?
Right, but what you're saying is that if people that believes the Earth is round, and when someone comes to tell them it's flat, unless they do the research on flat, that they should not believe that it's round. You're saying you can't just believe it's round because that's what you've been told and that's what textbooks say. You're saying you need to first go research the flat theory before you say that you think that's what you were saying.
Well, no, I said if you want to consider yourself woke, I said that's the difference. It's totally cool if you want to have your opinion or you want to have your belief system. That's totally cool.
Yeah.
But you're not woke on the subject if you haven't researched it.
I think if you
I
think without having to research, I think if I told you the Earth was a triangle and you're still woke without having to go research it.
No, it's like 9/11. If you say no, it's our government didn't do it. Did you watch all the documentaries on it? No, then you're not woke.
Depending on maybe certain things, but I don't think everything's like that to say that we're not woke. To say,
man, because everyone on this planet thought the Earth was flat 1,000 years ago. Everybody. That was mainstream. That was, and you were a retard. It was to even question that fact, right? I mean, look, it's flat. We walk on it, bro. Come on, common sense, you know? And then later it's like, oh shit, it is round, right? Things that seem like common sense, we've been wrong on so many times.
I think the Earth is a pyramid, and that's why we built the pyramid.
But you know, like I kind of subscribe to this, to the possibility that it's round and flat at the same time. I kind of subscribe. I said I subscribe to the possibility that the Earth is round and flat at the same time, because it could be both, and I can explain it. It absolutely could be both at the same time. Did you know that in federal court, a guy won a case saying that the Earth is flat? In like the last 100 years, I want to say in the last 100 years. So it's went before federal court, and the guy won the case saying the Earth was flat.
Well, people once believed that the Earth was the center of the universe, and now it's not. So, what was the scientist? Nicholas Copernicus, I think it was. Yeah, he believed that the Earth was the center, and then they proved him wrong. So, I mean, you never know. Can't ever really tell.
What if we? But you know, what if we? So go back to reptilian shapeshifters. There's a guy out there named David Icke, right? He's really like this guy's. He's written books. He's got a huge following. He gives, he gives. I don't know, what do you call those speeches or whatever?
Are they gay like the frogs?
I don't know if they are. Gay, but question.
Do you believe it? Do you believe that's true?
Do I believe it?
Yeah, do you believe in it? Because I don't think I ever asked you. You asked me.
I believe it's possible. I do believe it's possible. I'm not. Do I believe in it? I think that's a stretch. Yeah. But like, it's interesting. I will watch the videos. I have a family member who I love, who sends me videos almost daily on reptilian shapeshifters.
Does he believe them?
Do they what?
Does he believe them? Does he believe they're real? Is that why he's sending them to you?
Does this family member believe? I'm not going to say it's a he or she, but does this family member? Yeah, they're sold that our world is ruled by reptilian baby-eating shapeshifters.
Baby-eating?
Yeah. Well, I can
didn't
imagine
hear
who
about
it
that.
is, so I'm not going to say it.
You might be wrong. You might be wrong. That's all I'm saying.
He's like, no, I already know.
But it's interesting. Like, you watch videos, and you're gonna watch the videos, but videos can be faked so easily today. Like, that's the real problem. The real problem is that how do you substantiate anything? Video. But you can
everything
like now
you
can fake anything. You can take, I forget what it's called, but it's Google something, and you take a couple photos of different angles of yourself, and they can, you can overlay anyone over you, and you can become that person. You can make videos like, hey, I'm Nicki Minaj, or hey, now you can just fake anything.
Yeah. There's no such thing as reptilian shapeshifters.
But well, based on what? Like, they're how can you say there's not? I mean, what part of it makes it impossible? Shapeshifting, or what's the part? What, we came from monkeys. Like, I mean, that's the thought process.
No. That's actually no. What process is that we came from monkeys?
Well, that's
evolution.
There's
supposedly,
evolution.
right? Yeah, that's what we've been.
Darwin says we came from monkeys.
No.
Darwin says we came from monkeys.
No.
I think it was a different, ape.
The theory of evolution is that humans.
Well, okay. Are we gonna get technical?
No, it's different. No, I'm talking
well,
about
hold on.
breed.
It's not that we came from apes.
Like
neither.
Neanderthal.
It's not that we. Well, it's not that we came. He didn't say we came from apes. This is where everybody gets it wrong.
Anunnaki.
What Darwin said, the theory of evolution is that apes and humans have a common ancestor. There's not a direct line from apes to humans or monkeys to humans. That's where people get it wrong. We have a common ancestor, which is what we call the missing link. So that's where people get it wrong.
Well,
so,
the missing link is a link between ape and man. That's what they call
well, it's
the
part. They
missing
don't
link.
know what that common ancestor was, but that's an argument that a lot of Christians put forth. I've sat in church and do that, and they get up there and I was at church one time. This pastor, he was there trying to debunk evolution and stuff like that. And I was like, yeah, and they say we came from monkeys, and I'm sitting back there. No, that's not what they said, and it's not. And it's not even that. Even if he said that humans came from apes, that's totally wrong. So it's like he's not even educated about evolution, and he's spewing all this stuff to other people, and then they get it wrong, and then they repeat the same thing. The theory is that, as I said, I'll say it again, that apes and humans have a common ancestor. That's a big difference than saying that we came from apes. It's total difference, a big difference. But that's the theory, that we have a common ancestor, not that we came from apes. But I know where you were going with it.
The Anunnaki.
Anunnaki made us.
Yeah.
The Anunnaki
They
make
took
us.
early hominids that were walking around, ape-like creatures, and they spliced their DNA with us.
To make us
They
like
made us
slaves or something.
Slaves.
It's written
Right.
in
Yeah.
our books.
For gold.
Yeah.
It's also bastardized in the Bible.
Yeah.
I mean that term as politely as possible, but I think it's the right term.
I just
The
don't
Bible
think there's
comes,
any- I
man.
don't think there's any-
The Bible comes from the Sumerian tablets. Like if you can't recognize that, it's only because you haven't researched the Sumerian tablets. If you're not aware of that, you just haven't researched it. So for anyone that would study the Bible, and I'm not putting anyone down. I was religious. I grew up Baptist. My parents read the Bible so many times. Some of my family members still go to church. But when I started researching the, Zechariah Sitchin's translations, the Bible comes from the Sumerian tablets. All the stories in there. The ark, the dimensions of the ark, what it was made of, where it landed on Mount Ararat, the Nephilim, the giants, all the angels, the Tower of Babel, Sodom and Gomorrah. It's all there, all of it. All the Great Flood, the Great Deluge. It's all that. Noah splitting the water. Everything is there, and it's like, so how could you not want to read that? Everyone on this planet is, well, not everyone, but the gross majority of people on this planet are subscribed to an Abrahamic religion. And all of that, no matter which one of those, whether you're Jewish, whether you're Muslim or Islamic, or whether you're Christian, that all comes down to the Sumerians. All of it, 100%. And I'm like, how could you not want to read that story? It's like if you're going to even remotely want to be woke on your religion, if you can't see that correlation, that's common sense. It all came from there, and so how someone could not want to research that is amazing to me. Like that blows my mind. The fact that anyone wouldn't want to research that, because it encompasses every religion, and I think that's how we get religion. Religion is lore, right? Religion is lore that got passed down because we didn't have computers. It was so powerful and so believable that we told our children, this is how it is. And it got passed down and written into, and then you find some 100-year-old clay tablets that substantiate all this lore, only it adds more details to it. It says they landed from a ship and they came from another planet. All of a sudden, crap gets real different. And Adam is the word for Adamu. Adam came from Adamu. Adamu is the word the Sumerian used for the race that was created. They said that the Anunnaki created the Adamu, and they actually created the Adamu in Eden, which is a place in in the Middle East. There's actually a place called Eden. It's there, and then you see, it's amazing to me. Like I could talk about that stuff for a while, but you got to watch some Zechariah Sitchin stuff, man. That's the man. Zechariah. What amazes me though is like I'm not going to throw their names under the bus, but some really reputable podcasters out there will talk about Zechariah and call him Zachariah, right? They'll go, oh, it's Z-E, by the way. They'll go, oh, Zachariah Sitchin. I'm like, how are you going to, you don't even know how to say his name. You're not an expert on it. It's Z-E, it's Zechariah, not Zachariah, right? So, so,
as Brendan Traub would say, what else you got?
What else have I got? Let's see. The Earth is flat. Have you ever looked at any of the videos about the Earth being flat?
No, it's too ridiculous.
It is?
Yes.
It's too ridiculous.
Yes.
Okay. Well, let me ask you this.
Do you want me to watch some for the next podcast?
Yeah, because here's why. Here's why. Let me tell you why I did it. Because I have a family member that I care about and that I love very much, and this family member kept on sending them to me, and I kept arguing with him, going, first off, let me preface this and say I'm not a flat earther. I'm not a flat earther.
I'm just narrowing down the people in the family.
I'm saying I am open. And let me explain why, though. Let me explain why. I'm not a flat earther. I'm not the representative of the flat earthers, right? Even though they have members all over the globe.
Those reps are just having seminars, making lots of money. That's my conspiracy. I'm going to start
let me talk. Let me talk.
Okay.
All right.
So what I said was, crap. It's the 21st century. Can't I prove the Earth is round? Wouldn't you think that you could prove it? Like, if they were having this arguments and they didn't even have computers 1,000 years ago, and they're like, I can prove the Earth is flat around. Shouldn't you have the technology to prove the Earth is round? Should
I
today,
personally,
in the 21st century, shouldn't you personally be able to prove the Earth is round? Okay, so that's all the proof I need, bro.
So you believe it then?
Let me go further. What's the easiest way? That's what I said. I said, all right, well, I'll just send them irrefutable evidence. What's the one way that I can prove? Because the only way we know it's round today is because it's written in books and our government tells us it is, right? You haven't proved it's round, right? So I said, how can I prove it's round? What's the easiest way? Well, the easiest way is because everyone talks about the curve, right? Well, the Earth is round. There has to be curve. Well, what is the curve? Well, it's X amount of feet per X amount of miles, right? And even Neil deGrasse Tyson's talked about it, and everyone's talked about the amount of drop. There's been plenty of scientists who have said it's X amount of drop, right? Well, I used to have that written down. I don't remember off the top of my head, but I'm terrible with numbers. But there's X amount of drop, feet. I want to say it's like 15 feet for 60 miles, right? Now, if you have a round object and you place a laser at the top and point it straight, as you get farther away from that laser, there should be drop. Lasers don't bend with gravity, okay? Well, very wealthy people, much like, people who talk intelligently on YouTube, went out there. Some of these people have a lot of money, and they said, I'm going to take a laser, a big laser, a BFL, a big freaking laser, and I'm going to strap it on the shore, and I'm going to take a small boat, and I'm going to put a white board on the back where it hits that, and I'm going to have marks for every inch, and I'm going to, on the ocean, which has to be flat, because see, land, like, you may think, oh, well, I did this on land, but what you may not know is that it might have had a gradual rise that was taken out, so that the ocean has to be round. It has to be the roundest. So they waited for a still day where there was no waves, and those do happen because I've been out on the ocean when there was no waves. Mm-hmm. And they went out 60 miles. And they're on YouTube, they're filming the whole thing. Here's the laser, it's a freaking, $10,000 laser, it's this big ass laser, and we're gonna go out 60 miles. And they go out 60 miles, and the laser hasn't moved an inch. And those videos are on YouTube. Multiple wealthy people. So the only thing that I learned from that video is that the measurements are off. If nothing else, the measurements has to be off. Because that's the one we can prove. That's the one. But then when you're like, well, how are the measurements off? But then I said, how could the measurements off? I know by looking into space, planets are globular. We know they're round. We know. I'm certain that's a moon. I'm certain that we see stars, and those are, suns of other solar systems. So, but if you think about it, what if? Let's just say what if. So what I asked myself is there any scenario where we could be on a round planet, but it could also be flat at the same time? Well, there is a scenario. If our Earth were much bigger, and if you've seen comparisons of other planets, our Earth looks like this, and there's planets that are like this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But if our Earth were much bigger than we were told it was, and we were in a confined area on that Earth, we would technically be on a round Earth and a flat Earth at the same time. We would be living on a round Earth, but in a flat area. And this is what's really ironic, is when you take Antarctica. Now here's the thing, like when you look at a flat Earth, when you flatten it out, what is north is the center. It's actually the very center if you flatten it's called the azimuthal equidistant map. You take that AE map, which ironically our government tends to use for logos. We use it for the UN nation logo, ironically a flat Earth map. And we use it for our basically the national division of the government that does mapping. I forget what it's called, NGIS or something, I don't know. But they use the AE map. So you take the AE map, which is basically a flat Earth map. Magnetic north is the center. Navigation works perfectly on a flat Earth because you can't navigate to south. Well, you can, but only because there's a north. Compasses point north. If you go south, it would take you to Antarctica if Antarctica circled our flat Earth. If that were just a wall, a frozen wall that encapsulated our Earth, right? If you went north, you'd get to Alaska, and if you went south, you'd hit Antarctica. And if you went east or west, you would circumnavigate that flat Earth. You would. And it's ironic that the measurements of the what do you call it? The perimeter of Antarctica, if you stretched it out, it just so happens to fit around what would be a flat Earth. It just so happens.
So you're talking about if somebody gets in a boat, they're going to wind up on the other side of the Earth because they're riding around the perimeter, not because they went around a globe?
I'm saying that absolutely works, 100%. It does work. It does. That's not up for dispute. I'm saying on a flat Earth, it does work.
Well, even on a globe, you don't have to go this. Even on a globe, you can come around. You can come around this way and get. You know what I'm saying? There's multiple ways, but that just because you can go around that way doesn't prove that the Earth is.
It works in any way
or flat.
Navigation works exactly the same.
Right. Hold on. We also can go. You can also go to the. If you start.
You can do it on a flat.
In the North Pole.
Listen. Any way you can navigate on a round Earth works perfectly with a flat Earth. Any way you can navigate. Anywhere you can go works perfectly. But let's go a step further. Let me twist your mind.
You can go anywhere, but the way you go.
No, the way would be the same. It is. It actually is. When you go down and look at it, and if I pull up a round Earth map, I could explain it.
No, so if I'm here, let's say I'm here. Let's just say I'm here. Let's say this table is a globe, and I'm here.
Yeah.
And I go straight that way, and I go around. I'm going to come back up this way and wind up there. Right?
If you fly over Antarctica, yeah, but you can't.
No. What I'm saying is, let's say you're.
Yeah. What are you saying?
Let's say if I go this way and there's a land of mass, so I go in a boat.
What you're saying is you can go south to north and get back to north only by going over Antarctica, and we don't do that. No, there's no one on the planet that's claimed to have done that. You find that person or that video, and then you've smashed the whole theory. You win, but it's not out there. It's not there. In theory, could you do it if the Earth is round? Yeah, but where's that video? Where's that flight? Show me the flight. The flights. So what you're saying is, now, let's
go around.
Let's go a step further. Yeah. You're saying that there are ways we could navigate, hypothetically, with planes, right? Would that be a good example, or with boats?
No, or just like.
Hold on, with what? With what? Planes or boats? Give me one example, just one.
Using both. Come across land.
Ask for one.
Well, no. Now
give me one.
You're trying to take something out of the equation. It's like, when you get to land, you need to then go this other way.
No, I'm trying to. You're throwing multiple variables, and I'm trying to narrow the variables.
I'm just saying that if something's round and I want to travel around it, if there's not water the whole way
on a flat Earth, you can. It works in every scenario. It works.
Flight.
Flight. You want to take flight?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it makes sense because you could fly over
that would be
Antarctica,
great.
right?
You would think you could circumnavigate the Earth.
They do it around. They do it east to west. Why
east
not
to
go
west?
north
No,
to south?
no problem. You could go north south, but that doesn't exist. Why didn't it exist? Where's that flight? So here's the thing.
Where's that
we
flight?
have websites that are flight tracker websites that actually track every flight in the world live.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what's interesting about those? Even though they supposedly use GPS, which is satellites
global
in space,
positioning system.
none of those will show the flight over the ocean. So they'll only track them over land. That's interesting. And the flights that you're talking about, you say, well, here's another thing. Did you know that all the flight paths that we take, if we say, let's say I'm trying to go to Asia, and you say, if you look on a globe, you'll go, oh, well, the flight, it's fastest here to here. But we always end up going something like that, all these flights that are going to the other side of the world. But when you flatten it, we actually took the fastest path. But on a round globe, it looks like you took a much, much, much slower path. And there's guys that have analyzed the shit out of this on YouTube. I'm talking, they've took it to the nth level, and they're like, all right, so if I want to fly from here to here, this is clearly 1/3 of all the, when I go to buy the flight, I always end up getting sent this way. So let me go try to buy this flight. Mm-hmm. And these are guys with a lot of money, and they're on YouTube, they're out there. They go, this flight should be here. Why should I have to go 3 times farther? Well, the funny thing is, those flights are advertised, but when you go to buy them, you can't buy them. You can't buy them. They try. They go out there and just, because they're like, I can squash this whole theory. All I got to do is buy this ticket. And you go out there and buy the ticket and it gets refunded. Just go out there and buy that ticket. So you would think, there's one of them going from like, I want to say it's Australia to Greenland. I think that's what it is. I want to say it's Australia to Greenland. That's like, now don't quote me, but I'm 99% sure that's the one. If you look at that on a globe, it's like, it's here to here. This is the fastest way. But if you look out on a flat Earth,
well, just because it's shorter
it's
doesn't necessarily mean it's
3 legs.
faster. Because don't how they certain, like when I would fly to Japan, it would go from Jacksonville to DC, and then you think they would just go straight across. You've taken the same flight. You think they would just go straight across the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
But when you look at it on the thing, we kind of go almost up into Canada and go around. Now, part of that's because of, what is it called, the Gulf Stream or something like that? The wind up there, the wind helps push the plane or something like that. It's called no, not the brand name of the plane, but it's called the Gulf Stream. Sometimes the air, the force, or something like that. So they purposely fly up there and around that way. Plus, there could be other reasons of why they don't fly straight across.
Restricted flight areas, flight paths, like certain
Exactly.
flight paths.
Yeah,
Exactly.
but
So you're telling me here
what
with the
you're-
flat Earth. So if you're saying like if you start right here, you're saying you can, and I take off this way. How can I get to there without turning left or right on a flat Earth? How can I? So if let's say starting right here, let's just say I got a garage with 2 double doors, and I fly out. How do I get here without turning left or right?
By using a
flat
compass?
Earth. No. If it's a flat Earth, how do I come back? How do we do
it today with a compass?
How do I?
How are you going to do it without a compass?
How do I pull?
I'm trying to tell you. You won't listen. You won't let me talk.
Oh, okay.
You're not letting me talk.
Yeah, no, not without. You don't need a compass.
Okay, then let me answer the question. You're asking, but you're not letting me answer.
Yeah.
Show me north. Where's the North Pole in all this?
I don't need to know that.
You do need to know that because you can't
You
make
gotta
that navigation without. You need navigation to do what you're talking about doing, right? That's how we know the Earth is. That's the whole argument for how the Earth is round or flat is because we use a navigation system.
So if you're in the North Pole,
With Santa.
yeah, you're up in the North Pole with Santa. I'm right here. I'm in the North Pole.
Because what you're saying is, I should just be able to go like this, just to set my flight controls and just leave it, and then just no one's ever done that in the world.
Well,
That's never been done,
obviously
never.
the plane might possibly drift off or something like that. But what I'm saying is, if the Earth is flat,
It would
even if
drift
you
off.
have,
We can
yes,
only
right. So you're
navigate.
going to have to steer it back straight. But what I'm saying is, without purposely turning left or
Forget
right and coming
purposely.
back
It
around,
does-
how are you going to
purposely
come
is
back?
not irrelevant. Take purposely out of it. We navigate by compass. We navigate by north, south, east, and
Yes.
west.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
If this is
Okay,
the flat,
let's take. Give
you
me.
can't take that out of it.
Give me.
You can't take
Even
that
though
out of the
this,
equation.
just in general, just show me. Let's say this is a flat Earth. Let's say this is Earth.
I
This is
wanted to. You
flat.
took it back from me. I was going to show you. I'm
You know what I'm
trying,
saying?
man. You
Even
won't let
the
me.
north, south, east, west.
You won't
what
let
is
me.
it?
I'm trying to, but you
Okay,
won't let me.
Go ahead.
All right. If this is the round Earth map, the azimuthal equidistant, and here is, let's just say Alaska, all right?
Okay, first of all, it's not round, it's a globe. There's a difference.
Globular, okay? So, and here's the worst drawing
Yeah.
of North America and South America.
I want to show
Yeah.
it.
And here's Alaska and all this, whatever. Here's Alaska, whatever. But it's really in the center, okay? If I want to, if my garage is here and I want to fly east,
Right.
and this way is east. If I just keep flying east, I will eventually come back to my house right here because I flew east. Why? Because this is north and I fly east to west. If this is magnetic north and I keep my compass on east, we're talking about.
Right. I understand what you're saying.
Right.
That's why you take that. That's why that needs to be. Yes, if you keep traveling east,
Right.
you're a moron. Because as you go over the globe, everything changes. Like if you're standing in the North Pole, if I'm at the North Pole, if I go straight, guess which way I'm going. If I'm standing on the North Pole,
I don't understand any other way you would do it.
If I'm standing on the North Pole and I take one step forward, which way did I just go?
One step forward.
Which way did I go? North, south, east? I'm north, so did I go east, south, or west? If I'm standing and I take one step forward, which way did I go?
I would say you went south.
Okay, if I take one step backwards, which way did I go?
North.
No, I went south. If I'm standing on the North Pole, no matter
And
which
you
direction
went forward, you just went south.
I went south. If I go to the left, I just went south.
Yeah, but you said you
If
took
I-
a step backwards, then you went north.
If I take a step backwards, I went south. I'm at the furthest point north. I'm at the North Pole.
No, because you stepped a foot away from it. You're no longer at the furthest
Well,
point.
okay,
You're
I
a
take
foot
two
off.
steps back. What I'm
Okay.
saying is when I say take a step forward, but if no matter which direction I take a step, I'm standing on the North Pole. If I step backwards, I just traveled south. I'm standing on the North Pole, and if I go left, I just travel south.
All I can tell you is.
Do you agree with that? Wait, do you agree with that? If you're standing on the North Pole, if you're at the furthest point
Yes,
north,
but you're
no matter
taking-
which way you step,
Kenny,
you've just gone south.
You're taking navigation out of. You're saying if we can magically fly.
What
in a
they're trying to
perfectly
say
straight
is
line.
now I go east, and so like a moron, I'm gonna keep watching the compass and keep going east. Yes, if you keep going east,
Kenny, how
eventually
else can
that
you do
changes.
it? There's no way to do that today other than that. That's the only way you can do it. There is no other way. That's how we navigate.
No, because I don't need north. I can take a basketball, and I don't need north,
You
east, or
think
south.
someone's-
And I can draw a dot on a
Kenny,
basketball,
hold
and
on,
to get
listen.
to the other side, I'm gonna come around to the point that I started. Right?
It has never been done. What you're talking about.
It doesn't need to be done. I can take a basketball and put a spider on it. And if he
Yes.
walks, I don't need to.
Kenny,
the fact that nobody has done it on Earth yet.
If we could do what you're talking about, we could prove the Earth is round and with the dimensions that we're talking
Right.
about.
So right.
But
So
you
right.
can't
So
do that.
what I'm asking you is if the Earth is flat, how are you getting? And you're just saying that you're constantly following the compass as going east is what you're saying.
It's the only way we know to navigate. If
Right.
if we're saying that the Earth is round because of our only known, we can only say it's round because our known ways of navigating it say it's round, right? If you go, hey man, I know the Earth is round because if I start at my house and I fly in that direction, if I just keep flying east, I'm going to come up to my home again. So I know the Earth is round. But you actually didn't go perfectly straight because we maintained east based on magnetic north. So over 25,000 miles, you don't even know that the yokes have changed. That's so gradular, it probably never would move. For all intents and purposes, you'd think you flew straight. We're talking about a 25,000 mile circumference, right? You're talking, man, it would never change. You would think you flew perfectly straight.
Okay.
Now you're saying if you took a laser and somehow the laser bent, but we don't have that.
Okay, so
technology.
so you're saying you're flying east, and at some point, as you keep following east, you go this way. So if you could ever figure out what point that was, and let's say you stop going east and you just keep going this way, can you fly this way? You don't have to actually turn left, right? Even though your compass is even though you're following the compass going east, and because you're following east,
Yes,
you're
but what
actually
you're
turning
talking about
off.
can't be
but
done.
you're saying here,
That would be great if you could magically do that somehow.
why couldn't I keep going this way until I fly to the edge of
Because
the flat
how
Earth?
are you going to know what pilot can do? What's their basis for? If you can't, if I'm flying,
Tell me the plane won't let me steer that
like
way?
this, okay? How am I not going to know I just deviated 1 millimeter over a mile?
Well, just stop following east. You're saying if you just keep following east, it's going to bring you back around this way.
If
so
I
it's
stop,
flat.
what am I going to follow?
Oh, you're telling me there's no way to there's no way to fly to the edge of the Earth.
I'm asking you. You tell me.
So there's no way to fly to the edge of the Earth? Is there no way to fly to the edge of the Earth?
Yeah, it's called Antarctica. In the flat Earth theory, I'm not
So
the
what's here,
representative of it.
So what's here, a wall of ice?
I'm telling you how it would work. Yes, there is a wall of ice.
And so you could get there, and there's just
if you fly south,
it's a giant wall,
listen,
and we can't.
If you fly south from Alaska, you hit a giant wall of ice eventually. Yes.
And it goes up
300 feet.
Okay, what happens on the other side? It drops off.
Well, that's interesting that you should say that, because there's something called the Antarctic Treaty, and all the major countries of the world have agreed that none of their citizens are allowed to go there, and you cannot go there.
Nobody
it's
can
highly
fly.
militarized.
Nobody can fly.
We haven't done it yet. We need
well,
to.
if you
Break
were
the
a
law.
military force of a first world country, you could. But then again, that all supports the theory that our government is controlling us and knows what's going on. Right? The point of it is that the round earth theory does work. It does work. The only proof that I can't prove it wrong with today's technology that I have access to. Can you prove it wrong with today's technology? You tell me because I just asked you and you're like, well, yeah, if I can magically fly in a perfectly straight line like a laser, then I can prove it wrong. Well, great. Do you have that laser? What I'm saying is, how would you prove it wrong today using 21st century technology, which should be way ahead?
Fly over here to the wall and then fly up 350 feet and see what's on the
no
other
one
side.
can do that. Nobody.
You said we have the technology to do it. You're saying we're not allowed.
No, I'm saying you. What technology do you have?
No, I'm saying us as humans. So, we have the technology.
Yeah, sure. Our governments do have that technology. But if governments were
probably even people that aren't. There's probably some private individuals that have the technology to fly.
Yeah, if they were woke, and wanted to do it
and see what's on the other side of the.
But there's a thing about it. Like the real question is, do you get to be a billionaire without being in cahoots? That's another side of it, right? Like, do you have to play the game? Are anyone that's in riches, can Brendan become a billionaire? Can Nikki become a billionaire? Or do you have to be connected and part of the game? Can you become a billionaire? Or do you have to be connected and part of the cabal? Can they shut you down? Can they end your life with no repercussions?
Probably if they want to, but I don't think you have to be part of the cabal to become a billionaire.
Well, that's a really good question. If you,
but yeah, of course the government can shut you down anytime they want. Of course.
Well, here's the great thing. With 9/11, thanks to 9/11, all these conspiracies play together. Because before 9/11, for the government to be able to go in and throw Nikki in jail, they had to go get a warrant from a judge, right? They had to go get a warrant from a judge. They had to go in front of a judge and say, we have evidence. After 9/11, they don't have to do that.
Something.
Now, our government can go throw Nikki in prison for the rest of her life legally, and no one can get in trouble for it. All they have to do is say she's a terrorist.
Thanks, guys. Just throw me in prison.
We figured you out, NSA. Because they are listening.
Well, now I know what to do to get rid of Nikki.
Oh my God, no.
So there's a
Put
guy.
her on the list.
So there's a guy. I do watch these. I do watch, and the reason I know the navigation works is because I do watch them. And I'm not. Look, don't get me wrong. I'm not a flat earther representative. What I can say is that their theory works. It works. It does work, and that should be concerning.
Yeah, but their whole theory, their whole thing is based on you can't prove it's round.
That's pretty.
That's what
fucking serious
that's what
shit.
Their theory.
Well, hold on, but I can prove it's flat. That's a step further.
How would they prove it's flat? They proved it's flat.
Okay, so now you forgot my first argument, right? The first argument, the number one thing is that the way me and Brendan right now should be able to get together and go, hey man, let's prove to all these nut jobs that the earth is round. Are you down? You got some money? I got some money. Let's buy a laser and let's shoot that shit over the ocean. All right? Because Neil deGrasse Tyson said there should be 15 feet. I'm just making up.
Yeah.
Neil, come talk to me. But such and such just said there's 15 feet of drop for 60 miles.
Right.
We have the technology. You and I can get our hands on that technology. Well, guess what? It's already done. It's already done. YouTubers have already done it. People with money have already done it. They can't observe the drop. So if I'm saying that the flat Earth theory model, if the flat Earth model
you're
works,
saying
it does
model
work.
works.
It does.
Right. But nobody's actually, and the round Earth theory model works, but
it does
but
work.
you're saying nobody's actually either a round earther or a flat earther. Nobody's actually has been able to fly to the top of this ice wall in Antarctica that you talk about.
Well,
so
arguably our government has.
Well,
I mean, isn't it interesting?
So neither.
Isn't it interesting that nobody owns Antarctica, but all these
Well, maybe they're trying to hide. It's a cube. Maybe they're.
You're being defensive and divisive
No,
now.
it's not, because if you want to say it's flat, you can now say, well, just nobody's gotten into it yet. They just want to go start from the basis of flat or round.
So there's this dude named,
maybe it's a cube.
There's the leader. If there ever were a leader,
battery on the GoPro's out.
We're still on this one. It's okay. So that's when we'll just use this one. If the flat earthers had a leader, it would be a guy named Eric Dubai, and he has 200 proofs, 200 in a video. He says he has 200 proofs that he presents in his video that the Earth is flat, and it's actually pretty impressive. If you watch it, you get to like 150, and you're like, damn. Like, I mean, it's like. I mean, that's actually, it's not all like stupid shit. Like, I can walk on it. Look, water runs off, look, water stays on my table. It's not stupid shit. It's actually fairly convincing. It's like shit that makes an intelligent person go, how's that work? It's like, you got to watch it. Like, if you haven't watched it. So, but wouldn't it be interesting if 50 years from now, we found out that we were ran by a different breed or race of, beings, and we were on a prison planet. Like, what if Earth was much bigger? Let's just say it were much bigger, and there were tons of little confines, and they were running different experiments on each of these confines.
Yeah,
right?
that's what I'm saying. Like the Earth is a cube, and then each face of the cube is.
But you're
You know what I'm saying? No. I mean,
obviously,
that's what you're saying. Like, there's different right? You're saying the Earth, right? Well, that's kind of what you're saying. You're just saying it wasn't a cube.
Like, people out there that are going, oh, it's a flat Earth. They just assume assume it's a disc in space. I don't think flat Earthers believe that. I believe that they believe that there's something that's not matching up. And when you do, just like Eddie Bravo, he's a sharp dude. The guy's intelligent. You can listen to him talk. He's not a dumb guy. He's just someone who did the research. Crone Gracie believes the Earth is flat. This is a guy who knows he could ruin his. The thing about it is when you have any degree of fame, you say one stupid thing. He's smart enough to know that. You say one stupid thing and you can ruin yourself, right?
Yeah.
Do you know how much he must believe in it to throw that out there? Like, do you know how much his buddy didn't just go, hey, dude, the Earth is flat? He went out there and did research, man. He did enough research that he's willing to. He'd rather be known later as someone who was woke that did the research than someone who now agrees with mainstream. He's done enough research that he believes later he will be vindicated. That's what Eddie Bravo and Crone Gracie believe. They believe they'll be vindicated later. And if you do the research, there's compelling evidence to believe that you would be vindicated.
I don't know.
We should be able to prove the Earth is round.
Well, let me know. Okay, so out there right now, there's satellites we launch into space all the time, right? That they track, and that's monitoring. How do you debunk that? How do you debunk low Earth orbit and satellites?
Would you all like your mind blown right now?
Yes.
Sure.
You would. All right. I'm going to blow your mind. And maybe you can explain this. I'm sure you're going to have some kind of whack fucking answer. All right.
Well, so the belts
maybe I shouldn't answer them.
Are we all okay with my language? Because I normally cuss more. All right.
Yeah.
I might have said the S word.
Yeah, so the Van Allen belts,
Good job,
they kind of
Brandon.
go.
Good job.
Oh, shit.
They're like a rectangle.
Did you know? So someone else with money, said, I'm gonna take a rocket. I'm gonna make a rocket that can go into space. We could send it up 500 miles. I've got enough money.
Is this guy that just did it like a couple months ago and it went?
And he says, I'm gonna put a GoPro on it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put a GoPro. All right. Well, here's the video. Slow as shit. My internet's slow as shit. Come on. I think my internet's messing up. I think I do need to use your hotspot. It's all jacked
Okay.
the
It
fuck
didn't
up.
sound right.
The
Excuse
hotspot
my
on the
language.
phone.
Yeah.
Okay, you know what?
So,
Well,
Some minds work different
Here.
than others.
I'll turn it on.
All right, here's it's
Okay.
coming up.
So
It's coming up.
quiet.
Here it is. So
Okay.
this will make you go, definitely. If this doesn't make you go, nothing will. All right. We need some talking while I'm pulling up this video.
yeah.
So, what's your favorite taco spot in Jacksonville?
Taco Lu.
Taco Lu?
Yeah.
Have
I
you guys
love it
been to
so
Pepe's
I haven't been
Hacienda
there
though?
forever,
No.
Have you been to Pepe's Hacienda? So now
I'll have to go.
Is
I'm
it
about to make
good?
you woke. That
Okay.
is
Woke on
legit the
tacos.
best.
You can be woke on tacos. You have to do the
Yes.
research.
You have to do so.
Oh my
yeah.
god.
So
Where is it?
it's off University Boulevard.
Okay.
It's actually like a Mexican store, but
I'm gonna have
it's
to
connected
talk
to
while
a
I go
restaurant. They
there.
make their own. They make their own corn tortillas right there in the spot. It's
see that, please?
actual
Yeah.
like
What is it called?
Mexican people serving Pepe's Hacienda.
See, Nikki takes notes. She's trying to be woke. You guys
I
aren't
am.
trying
I
to
took
be
notes.
woke.
I
You
drew a
didn't-
whole
You didn't
flat
even take
earth and
notes,
stuff.
bro.
My
You didn't
pen
even
ran
take
out.
notes.
My pen ran out.
How do you
But
spell
I got notes.
hacienda?
HAC.
Speaking of
See, I was gonna put it.
government conspiracies
Innuendo.
and just other things, did you ever watch
Innuendo.
Wormwood?
Well, let's hope.
Watch You'll like that. Watch Wormwood on Netflix.
Wormwood.
Is that good?
Yes.
Like I saw it and I
Yes.
was like, I don't know what this is.
Yes, watch it. You'd be.
Wormwood. Okay.
Yeah.
Got a couple
I also
things I wanna
have.
watch.
You should see all the notes on my phone. Hold on. I'm gonna show
That
you guys.
that was about when the government was secretly experimenting with LSD on like its own.
Look at all the
scientists and
stuff
stuff like that, and
I
they
have
didn't know about
recorded down in my memo.
Yeah, but you have
Let me
to.
see.
Is anyone's internet working?
Okay, well not all of it's from this chat.
The downside of
Okay.
living in a
It's
steel
from
building.
other-
Does anyone have
Let me
internet?
click on one of these other things and see if it comes on.
Oh god.
Yeah, I was trying
No,
to.
no, no, I'm clicking.
I was trying to.
Yeah,
join
mine's
the
working.
Awakened ones, and they're asking me questions before I can join their group. Like,
All right, so check this
Yeah,
out. Come
mine's
around.
working.
Come around here, guys.
Some of it's food too.
That's one of my favorite movies, Orphan Black. And Alter Carbon. So
Yes, I saw both.
So, guys, now this is a real ass rocket done with some people with some real ass money, right? So they wanted to prove.
Our mission as the civilian space exploration team is to be the first civilian team in history
This is a serious ass rocket. It's got a GoPro attached to it, right? Highest and fastest amateur rocket ever launched, so they claim.
People send me videos like my friends, and then you hear like a ball is caught at this point.
It's a short video. Got maybe 30 more seconds.
Hitting the dome in 3, 2, 1.
What just happened? Tell me what just happened. You tell me what just happened.
Hit space.
Hit the force field.
I mean, no. I mean, be serious
I
now.
mean, like,
like,
what do you mean?
tell me what just happened.
It ran out of power?
It hit the roof.
Stopped spinning.
Instantly, it just stopped spinning. It just stopped, and stopped moving. So here you had a rocket doing however fast, 100 miles. I don't know how many. God, you just went.
Cameras.
Where's it at though?
It looks like
Is
it's
that in
in
low
space.
orbit?
Okay,
Yeah.
so you're saying that, because the Earth's flat, that because it stopped so quickly.
No,
the
what
Earth-
I'm saying is, as I
Maybe
said
hit-
earlier, is when you research one conspiracy, it tends to corroborate the other. What I had said is, let's think of some scenarios. Sorry, guys.
You're fine.
I said, let's think of some scenarios where a flat Earth theory would work, and it would work in a prison planet situation, right?
Yeah.
And there would be a dome in a prison planet situation. And ironically, all the I don't know.
Oh,
if
you mean
know
like
it.
that
Did
movie
you-
with,
Did you Under the Dome?
No,
Did
no. The movie. There was
I
the other
saw it.
movie with
That was
James
good.
Carey. when he was in a little thing and it was like a dome when he
Like
finally he
Ed
took
or
that boat
something
to
like
the
that.
end.
Yeah.
Took that boat to the end or something like that.
Well, and there's. Did you know that all religions, just about every religion.
So you're
right?
saying that there's
Speak of a
so you're
firm,
saying that
speak of
opens
a
up a
dome.
door for the prison type theory that he got there.
I'm just
and then he
saying
was
that
stopped.
that's some shit that makes you go, That's all I'm saying. I'm not, because you're making it sound like I'm the leader of the flat earthers.
No,
I'm
no,
not.
no. I know you're not. the
All
lead.
I'm saying
just,
is,
yeah, no,
I
know.
can't prove it wrong, and that's concerning. That should be concerning. What that should make you do,
But they can't
is,
prove that the round Earth theory is wrong either. They're proving that they're proving
But-
that the flat
but,
Earth is a possibility,
Kenny,
but they haven't proved that the round is.
I'd
not a
like to think that
possibility.
I'm smart enough in the 21st century that if someone gives me the task to prove that the Earth is round, I should be able to do it. That's all I'm saying. That's
Well,
all
I think you are.
I'm
smart.
saying if
Well, I'm not
Copernicus,
saying you're
you
not
know, like
smart
that.
enough, but
Let's
you
just,
probably don't have enough money
if
for the technology.
if
to do
someone
it.
came to me today from 1,000 years ago and said, "Dude, with your technology, could you just prove that the Earth is flat for me? I'm gonna die. Like I've been persecuted and I'm gonna die." And I'd be like, "Yeah, man, let me hook you up." And then I'm like, "Okay, it's the 21st century, and even though cell phones are 20 cents on eBay, and shit that would have cost $1 million 10 years ago, like." NASA space shuttle computers are now like a dime.
Right.
We have more powerful things than birthday cards. Can't I prove that the Earth is round or flat? And
Well, what's stopping you from proving it? Time, technology, or money?
None of that. All the ways I can think of to prove it don't work. Which way can you prove it?
What do you mean all the ways?
I've already sat here and discussed 3 ways I've tried to prove that the Earth
The
was
way we
round.
can prove it is by going to the white wall or the ice wall. At the
You
end
see,
of the
you're
Earth and
being
going-
funny though.
No,
Now,
I'm being,
you
but I'm
are,
being
you're being
serious. But I'm being because
Yeah,
that's how ridiculous it is. Because
I
I'm
know
being
it is.
serious.
It is ridiculous.
I'm saying is,
but there's a
other than the
problem.
fact that the government won't let us go to the top of the 300-foot wall, we do have a way. You're saying we don't have the technology. We do have the technology, but the government is stopping us from going up to 350-foot wall.
Thank you for
So we do
corroborating
have the
my point.
technology. So we do have the technology. to
Anywhere
prove it
you
or not.
have the technology, you are shut down. That's a problem. That's a problem. I would love to go to Antarctica and just walk south, or even take I would do that. People would do it. See, that's the thing is, you say that like there's not multimillionaires that aren't trying to prove this too. They are. They'll buy the flight. They're on YouTube. They're out there going, "Dude, if I could just get this flight, I can prove it." And they're like, "But every time I go to buy the flight, it just gets refunded."
If they fly over there, they'll just get shot down or something?
No, there are no flights that go over Antarctica.
No, with their own plane. Why can't they fly their own plane there?
You're talking about more than a millionaire now. Your own plane is like $20 million, for a plane that can make that kind of
Well,
flight.
a plane on a boat, get a boat to go travel to the ice wall or the ice people.
Okay, but it's
And
not
then-
legal. It's not allowed. You'll get shot down. There's an Antarctic
How
treaty.
close
We're not allowed.
how close
Don't-
can you take a boat to the wall?
Well, you can go. To my knowledge, you can get as close as you want, but it's also like a death zone all the way around. There's like floating icebergs and chunks. It's like a freaking demilitarized zone. It's
And then-
basically safer to walk through Iraq's minefields.
And then there's the ice people.
Then there's the ice people, and then you got the reptilian lizards to deal with.
Yeah.
Can you circumnavigate Antarctica? Can you take a boat up there and circle the island? Or is
Well, it's
or is,
yes, but again, that would be the same thing as circling around the perimeter of
distance-
the flat Earth.
the distance would be the
The
same?
distance works the same. So it's mind blowing, right? It is the same. Listen, it is. That should concern you. That's how a flat Earth map works. How can you have a flat Earth map and have it be accurate and have Antarctica all the way around it, and you can use that to circumnavigate and you can end up there? It does work. That's concerning. That's concerning.
You're saying so the whole edge of the Earth is Antarctica
It works.
for the flat thing.
And you can navigate that way on a flat Earth map. It works. It does work. The math works. That's mind-numbing. If that's not mind-numbing to you, then you don't understand mathematics. That should be mind-numbing to you. You should be able to go, let me get this right. Our Earth just happens to be, such that if you flattened it out, Antarctica's walls just happen to wrap all the way around. That's right. And there's a treaty saying I can't go there. Why? No one can go there anyway. No one has the money. Why do you need a treaty? Who's going to go there? Why would every country in the world have to get together and go, we need to make a treaty and make sure that no one goes there? even though it's impossible
That's
anyway.
suspicious.
We'll have
So
to take a globe and flatten it out.
the first
With-
ever.
Well,
Or
just take an
Antarctica.
orange. You take an orange, draw a map on it.
Draw
just
Antarctica.
peel the orange
Yes.
all the way.
The first ever Flat Earth conference is going down next month in Canada.
Oh, I thought they already had one. Really? The first one? They had
Yeah.
some
Well, that's
little
probably
mini
of
ones.
one specific organization. I'm sure there's others, but my point is, look, I'm telling you this. If you were to, all I'm saying is, if you were to take the time to listen to Eric Dubai's 200 points, you would have questions. The fact that Antarctic's perimeters does stretch, and the fact that navigation works, and the fact that the map is accurate in a flat Earth map, and the fact that our government uses it for their official symbol for our national geographic.
Well, they use it because so they're not constantly having to build a globe, or inside of a book you can't put a globe.
and also the
inside of a
UN
book.
uses it as their official
So-
logo.
Yeah,
that
well,
AE
of
map.
course it's going to be flat, so you're not carrying
No,
around it. So
no.
when
There's
you have
other
your-
maps that work other than the AE map. There's the ones where it's in like someone actually took a ball, and if you do flatten it out, then you get all these little
Right,
strips.
because
There's
it's
other things
easier
you
to
could
stick
use.
a map drawn on a flat piece of paper inside your briefcase than it is to stick a globe in your briefcase.
You can correctly flatten
understand
the
what I'm
globe
saying?
if the measurements are and keep our measurements, but it won't circle out the way it would. Instead, you get these little strips like this.
I know what you're talking about.
Right. But what I'm saying is, you're saying they use this. They use this map for whatever they use it for display purposes or something. Or
I recommend watching it for entertainment purposes, and you'll have questions. And if you're a
Which one?
smart
This
person,
guy?
you're going to say something's not adding up. Something. Again, I'll go back to the lowest level, at the simplest level. Someone wealthy should be able to buy a laser and shoot it over the ocean on a flat day and observe the drop. People have tried and can't. That would be the test I would do. 60 miles.
Well, they
should've been-
They didn't go. They should go farther. Than
Well,
60
but all this,
miles.
see, that's the thing. That's the measurement. That 60 miles should have been more than enough, like way more than enough. That was
I don't think 60
overkill.
miles. I don't think that's very far. But like you're saying, there are measurements of the Earth is wrong, or there are that measurements where they measure the drop could be wrong. They might need to go. 60 miles isn't that far. Even the size of the Earth that we believe it to be, 60 miles is not very far.
But that's what the brainiac. And honestly, I tried to figure it out. I tried to figure out my math wasn't good enough. Like I wasn't confident. I said, all right, it takes a real mathematician to get the drop of the Earth, right? But I have listened to mathematical professors at colleges at like major, I don't remember the colleges, but major ones say what the drop should be, and there is a consensus. And I don't remember what the consensus is right now, but yeah, pretty much all the major physicists and scientists believe that, and it is an easy equation if you're doing math every day, right? If that's your life. But the numbers should be at least similar. There's no drop in 60 miles. I think it's like 15 feet a drop, right? But when you don't drop an inch, that's a huge disparity. That's a major discrepancy in globe size. That would lead, if you're talking about you should have 15 feet of drop every 60 miles and you're not even seeing an inch, that's a major.
Well,
major
also if they
discrepancy.
don't believe the Earth is a globe, why are they using that as their starting point? Why are they saying, okay, well, let's take this globe and smash it out into a flat map, and then we'll go from there?
Because that's what works for the model that they do see.
Yeah, because
that is what works.
well, of course it worked, because they're taking a globe. What I'm saying is, why are they using? They don't
What
even
would
if
they
they don't even
use?
if they don't believe. Well, they need to figure out their own. But if they don't even believe this is real, that the Earth is a globe, why are they even using that as? So they're already.
Well, they still believe that
so
there's
the-
Australia and
so they're
South
already.
America and North
Yeah, but if they don't
America.
believe, that's the location and the shape, why are they even starting? You
They
put in
do.
garbage in,
All
you're
those,
getting garbage out.
All those.
But they're starting from that globe. Why don't they start from someone's flat map or whatever? Why is their starting point the globe?
Well, I'm not saying it is for all people. I'm sure they all have different arguments.
Well,
but
I'm just going by what you said, is where they said they've taken the globe and then they flattened it out.
I'm
when
just,
they flatten the globe out,
I
it
said
works.
from my own personal experience that those measurements work for navigation perfectly, and that should be concerning.
Right, but in that the
If
government.
that's not concerning to you, that should be concerning. You should say,
No, it's not. Of course, the measurements work when they're taking the round globe and then they're flattening it out. But they shouldn't even be. That shouldn't even be their starting point.
they shouldn't
prove
work.
that
We should travel.
That it's flat.
When you flatten when you take a round object and you flatten it, you change fastest. Well, A to B is no longer in a round situation. It's different. Where it looks faster to go like this, when you flatten it, it's actually faster to go like this. Only because you flattened it. If it were round, it'd be faster to go east to west in many instances.
Right, I understand that.
But what I'm saying is, when you take the flat Earth, why is it that we take all the flights when we travel follow the fastest route as if the Earth were actually flat? And they do. The cheapest one, right? You ever wonder why it's like, why is it cheaper for me to take 3 flights? Like, that makes no sense. Why is it cheaper? If I look for the cheapest flight, why I could fly straight there, you know? Why do I have to take this? I travel the world a lot. Man, I don't know how many. I couldn't even count. Like, I've done a lot of traveling, and every time you should have asked yourself, Kenny, I know you've done a lot of traveling. I know you should have been like, why do I fly this? Why is it 3? That's much longer. It's got to burn more fuel. But if
they're picking up more passengers and stuff. They take that direct flight.
I think the answers you're coming up with are you're just coming up with an answer to justify a round Earth.
No, well, what I was saying before is, if their starting point of trying to prove it's flat is you're saying they've taken a round Earth and then flattening it and working from there. Or maybe not everyone's doing that. Maybe just the example.
I don't think everyone's doing that. I think there's people that do research.
But I think if you're going to put, they're putting that. If they don't believe that, then why are they even taking that to prove? I can understand what I'm saying. Why are they even taking that and then use that and draw whatever they're drawing and say, okay, it's flat because of this and this and this.
Nikki, will you settle this argument, please? Is it round or flat?
No comment. I really don't want to.
So, Brendan.
Man, the whole time you guys are talking about this, it's confusing me. I'm like, well, he's got a valid point and he's got a valid point. So, I don't know.
Yeah, but you got to research. Like, Brendan, so do you?
I'm gonna have to research it more and
coming into here. What were your thoughts on a round or a flat Earth?
Round Earth.
Round Earth. And do you still have no doubts? Still 100% no doubts? Or
I'm gonna check out your your video.
I have to check out all the videos and stuff to see it.
The ice people.
See,
Yeah,
I wrote it down.
I'm gonna check it out. It's like it's worth a shot.
I'm not trying to convert anyone. First off, I'm not. It's not my goal, and I don't consider myself a flat earther.
But
I do consider myself.
You're saying they have a
intelligent.
compelling argument.
I'm saying that their argument works. That's all I'm saying, and that is concerning. If that doesn't make you do more research, there's something wrong with you. There's something wrong, right? Like that is so the odds of that, right? The fact that you can take our Earth and make it flat, and navigation works, and the measurements of the perimeter of Antarctica works, and there's an Antarctic treaty that we can't fly over.
Of course it works, because they've just taken a round globe and just flattened it out. So the navigation, of course, is still going to work. So that's what I'm trying to say. You understand what I'm saying?
But the fastest point everywhere is using. You're missing.
There's no
part
difference
of
of
argument.
let's say you take that you're taking the globe, you're peeling it
We're gonna
off.
leave this argument.
You're peeling it off, and
just-
you're peeling it off and making it flat. Technically, it's still the globe. All you've done is just peeled it, so now you can look at it without spinning the globe around.
Yes.
So of course that
But you're
same
not
navigation
listening
that
to
we
me
use.
to my primary
So
point.
no, so of course that navigation that we're using for it as a globe, of course when you have that globe map torn out and flattened, of course it still works. Because that's the same navigation that they're saying that, well, that proves it's flat. Now that I've peeled it out and I've created it flat and I use this navigation and it still works, that means the Earth is flat.
What you shouldn't have. Wow. Mass shooting at Jacksonville Landing.
Yeah, sorry.
What?
Yeah.
Man, that's
This time, stay away. Wow.
today or just
right now. Yeah.
So like a mass shooting, as in somebody.
11 people
Not a
shot,
shootout.
4 dead.
11 shot. God dang, 4 dead. That's
Let me
crazy.
look
Stay away.
this up.
Well, this is not live,
Yes.
so I hope everyone's all
Well,
right out there.
yeah, we can-
What's going on out there?
I
Like,
don't
is there
know.
some not
I
a
don't-
football game or something going on, or just a regular day?
It's just Jacksonville.
Just
Yeah.
Duval.
Florida. Why is it always Florida? Like, well, I stopped watching news. I'll tell you. Like the last couple months, I used to watch the news early in the morning, and I
did too,
but I just
don't get up
stopped.
that early though anymore. So.
I was following
time?
politics.
Time you get up?
I usually get about 4:30, 5 o'clock.
Well, I would get up at 5:30, but if
But
I
you
had
go to bed at
time.
5.
What?
But you go to bed at 5.
No, no.
Playing Fortnite.
Oh heck no, sorry. I haven't actually ever played that, so.
Neither have I.
But I only get up at like maybe 7 or 8 now. But with my school schedule, I'll probably have to get up at like
God,
7.
I would love
Probably
to
7.
sleep into 7 or 8.
That's
I know.
late to you.
Well,
Yeah,
when I was in
yeah.
elementary school, I still used to have to get up at 5:30 every morning because my dad would make me do workouts and
Mhm.
stuff. So, yeah. But I guess I benefited from it. Thanks, Dad.
See, this is why everyone should have a gun. Because we just would have just unloaded. Like the group just would have turned around. Well, there's the sick one right there. Pow! Just.
And took them out
Yeah.
back to the landing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think everyone should carry guns. I'd be totally okay with it. If they came out with a law today saying
Yeah.
everyone can carry, I'd be clapping. I'd be jumping up and down.
It'd stop a lot of that dumb shit.
It would.
Well, you
It
can't
would.
over
It
there
would.
I
before,
forget
if you're
where it
fishing or going
is.
if you're going to and from. Like let's say there was a gun range down the street, or no matter, even if it was 3 or 5 miles away, you can open carry.
Yeah.
I don't know about open carry.
You don't need a license to open carry, and you can open carry if you're hunting, fishing, or going to and from the gun range.
So all I gotta do is say I'm going to a gun range.
Yes. Now I don't know if you can stop at a gas station, go in and buy a soda or not. I don't know what they mean direct
Probably
is back
not.
and forth, but you can go. You can go and go to the gun range. And
Yeah,
what's weird
for
is,
sure you can have
what's
an
weird
open-
is so you can have open carry, you can walk there. So what's weird is, but if you don't have let's say they stop you. Hey, what's going on? Why do you have the gun? Well, I'm going to the gun range. But let's say at the same time you have a concealed gun, but you don't have a concealed weapons permit. Well, then you're going to go to jail. Then you're breaking the law.
Right.
Yeah.
But you can open carry, hunting, fishing, or to and from the gun range, or to and from hunting. So let's say you're out hunting, and wherever your vehicle is parked, and you're walking back to your vehicle, you can open carry.
Right. Well, yeah.
You know,
You're walking back to your vehicle, and I always understood it.
but it's wherever. It doesn't say a certain area. It's wherever. I read this. I read the statute. I'm like, man, because there's a couple gun ranges down,
Mhm.
and there's one far from where I live, way over on Wells Road, back from. I'm like, man, technically, if I want, I could get my shotgun or rifle, and I can walk to the gun range. Imagine how many calls you would get. They would say,
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
probably frowned
But-
upon.
What's that?
That's probably frowned upon. Like if you're.
It is, but what's surprising is a lot of the police, they don't even know, the law. They don't even know about that statute. I was watching a video of a guy doing that. I did that once, and the police stopped him, and he had to tell him the statute. And the cop's like, well, what is the statute again? He said, to something like that, section H or something. He goes, okay, we're gonna look that up. Really, you're the police officers, and you don't know? I mean, I know they're not required to know every stat, but I mean, normally they don't know any statutes at all. And they didn't even know that.
Wow.
That one exists.
Yeah,
I've
that
never heard of
one
that. I always went by when I didn't have a concealed weapons permit and I was going to the gun range. I had my gun locked up, but I kept the magazine in a different part of the car. Like I kept my ammo and magazines in the
You're
trunk of
supposed
the
to be
car.
3 steps, right?
Right, 3 steps.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very hard.
But now with concealed carry, which I
Yeah.
have, and I
Yeah.
think everyone should have
I do.
here.
Yeah.
And I got myself a new fanny pack that will hold my handgun now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wait,
I
you
had
said
a really
fanny
cool
pack?
fanny pack. Yeah,
Hers.
but I lost it in a tragic.
What, the one that had America on?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
It broke in a river rafting vacation.
That's why you don't bring your
so-
best stuff with you doing that stuff.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Or your favorite stuff.
Yeah, don't bring your favorite
We're bringing
stuff.
it back though. We're gonna bring it back. I've got
Fanny
2.
packs?
I've got 2 fanny packs.
I saw one that goes over. It's like over the shoulder.
That's over the shoulder, but I've got 2
That's
fanny
not a
packs.
fanny
I want the one on the hip.
Yeah, that's
a
Legit OG.
Yeah.
We're bringing it back.
Someone
Everybody.
said Joe Rogan wears a fanny pack. I don't know
I
if
did.
it's true.
I did. Because I was.
He
I
can
think
bring
I've
it
seen
back.
him in a couple of his stand-up things
He-
with his fanny pack on.
Yeah. If you give him the right support,
Wow.
he can bring it back.
I was watching one of his
They are
podcasts. He was.
convenient.
They're amazing.
Yeah, why don't you just get a camel pack? I have a camel pack. So
He was on board
you
the plane.
carry your water and everything you need. You're good. That
Camel
carries
pack?
more. Yeah, it carries way more than a fanny pack. Just saying.
I do have a camelback.
Camel packs are useful. Like you just drink your drink,
for
and then
water,
you have.
but
But
water.
you can
you
still
gotta get to your
put
gun
stuff
or
in
your
it.
phone or
Yeah, it's
something,
not gonna work.
No.
Yeah, well.
Snickers bar.
We're talking about killing
True.
mofos.
Okay,
You
yeah,
gotta be-
well,
You're talking about
maybe a fanny pack.
Staying alive on water.
Well, never mind. I'm not gonna say that.
So.
But you don't need a weapon, right? You are the weapon.
Yeah, that's what I told my dad last night.
Wait, what does your shirt say?
So.
What does your
No,
shirt say?
I gotta tell you guys a story.
Okay,
So
we'll come back to it.
last night, I heard something. Oh no, it was the night before. I heard something outside, and we have a lot of animals in our neighborhood because we live like right next to the river, and I have big oak trees. So I heard this like screeching sound, and I think it was like a small cat or something like meowing, or I don't know what it was. But I was like, but it sounded like it was next to my window, and my dog was like growling. So I was like, man, if this is like a raccoon or something out there, I better make sure it's chased off or whatever. So I'm like going out my room. My dad can hear everything. My dad comes out of his room. He's like, what are you doing? I'm like, dude, I heard something. He's like, what? I said, I heard something. I'm going to go check it out. He's like, wait for me. Don't go out there yet. And so I went out the front door, and, you know, I was listening. It was some cat, of course.
It was a cat?
You know, and then he comes out. He's like, I don't hear or see anything. I'm like, yeah, I think it was just an animal. Then I go back inside. He's like, don't go outside without me anymore. And I'm like, Dad, like, I got this. He's like, yeah, you may think you got this, but don't go out there without me, you know. And I'm like,
Where's your
Dad?
dad?
I'm like, Dad,
Yeah.
look, I'm the weapon. He started laughing. He laughed so hard. He's like, man, if you don't get out of here with all that crap. But, you know.
Yep.
He said if we ever went to battle, though, I'd be right there with him.
Yeah,
So.
one of my favorite shirts. I had a Rodrigo Gracie shirt, and it said on the back, "No weapons needed." I
Yeah.
just thought that was cool.
That's
I don't need a
cool.
weapon, bro. I am the weapon.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, what does
And-
yours say? What does your shirt
This
say?
my shirt says, "Touch me and your first jiu-jitsu lesson is free." And when I first got it, I just wanted to wear it all the time. But my dad's like, "You better not wear that at school." And I'm like, "Why not?" And he's like, "Cause you know people are gonna try to start stuff."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Yeah, that's smart." So, but I do wear it wherever I can. Like I love this, and I have another one, another shirt, and it's like the jiu-jitsu map. So you know how it has like all the body parts and stuff. Yeah, I
That's
like that
cool.
one too. Yeah.
My favorite now, or like my recent favorite, is the "No brain, no gain."
I saw that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I'm excited for our new shirts to come in.
We're gonna
If they
order
do.
those
Oh.
eventually.
If- when they
We haven't
come in,
ordered
I
them
don't
yet.
know.
Yeah, we got the design. We just haven't. I've been so busy with other things.
Nah, that's okay.
So for the new guy here, where do you get your jiu-jitsu gear from? Like your shirt, what did you buy your shirt at? Another,
Oh, you're saying where do I have mine made?
or no, the jiu-jitsu, the one, your favorite one.
No,
that
I
you-
just saw that somewhere. I haven't bought. I quit wearing jiu-jitsu shirts because, like now, if you see me out, I just wear plain shirts, right? I don't want to give up my element of surprise.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's why I wear these
I don't want
at
to-
certain
like,
places.
You,
You, know?
you don't want
Except for
someone
the tattoo on your ankle.
Yeah,
Or
well,
calf,
I don't do
yeah.
that if I could now, and I probably
Yeah.
will.
Get it covered up.
If someone knows you're a grappler, they may try to keep you from getting to the ground. Like, I'm pretty confident I'd get to the fight to ground, but let's just say it's a real big dude, 250, bodybuilder. He sees I'm a grappler, you know, maybe he's got some striking, whereas otherwise he might have the confidence to go to the ground, like he's big and he's got a little grappling, wrestling, whatever. I don't want anyone to know anything that I know. So there was a time when I was like very boastful, very confident, and you know, it's kind of jacked too. I was like 215, and I always wanted to wear my jiu-jitsu shirts everywhere. I had just 50 jiu-jitsu shirts, but then as I got older, I'm like, man, strategically, that's not a good idea, right? You don't want
Yeah.
people to know you have a skill
Yeah.
because you're letting them prepare, right?
Right. Especially if they're gonna try to mug you or do
Yeah.
something or whatever.
I'd rather them to have no idea that I know
Yeah.
anything.
I
So,
only wear my
yeah.
jiu-jitsu shirts at like certain places, but if I'm just going to the store or something, I'll wear my jiu-jitsu shirt.
yeah, if I'm
I
out
don't
with my
care.
boys, I'm gonna
Or,
support
yeah,
my
out
school
with
or
my,
whatever. Yeah, if
you
I'm out
know.
with my crew,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
I remember I was at the beach.
The flat
I was at the beach when Chin first got here, and man, there was like a
Right.
group of thugs,
Thug
5 or 6 of them, at least 5.
Dang.
And they're walking behind us. and they were just talking about what to do to Chin. You know, like, oh yeah, I'd bend her over.
What?
And they were just disrespecting hard, and they were saying it loud where I could like hear it, and I'm like, man, where's my crew? Right? It was like it's only one of me right then and there, and you could see they were looking for the fight. They wanted, and I'm just like, man, I'll just be the bigger man today. I'm just not worth it because I felt confident it wasn't going to be a one-on-one thing, right? And I was like, fuck it, just let it happen. But damn, it pissed me off. Holy shit, I wanted to hand out my card and go, bro, come on, meet me at my school. Let's go do this. But
right.
It wouldn't have went down that way.
Yeah.
But the other night, they've heard this story. You haven't. Some dude knocks on my door at 12:30 at night. He starts ringing my doorbell again and again and ding dong, ding dong, ding. I have no idea. I'm thinking it's a friend.
Gracie challenge.
I go downstairs, 12:30 at night, and there's some dude with a baseball bat with tattoos on his neck. He's like, and he's just like kind of looking all crazy, swinging the bat out in front of my door. And in my head, I'm like, man, it took me a minute to get down here, and he doesn't know I'm in here. And I'm thinking he wants to break into my school, which looks like it's just an empty commercial building.
Right.
And it's got a glass front door, and go in and pillage it.
Right.
And I'm like, if I go upstairs to get my gun, he's going to bust down this door because too much time's passed, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, man, I'm standing, because he can't see me. I got that perforated sticker on the front. And when it's dark, you can't see in.
Right.
So he doesn't know I'm looking at him.
That's what I like about it, too.
And I'm like, man, if I don't open this door, though, he's getting ready to bust the window. And then I'm just going to have to pay for a new front door, right? So I opened the door and crowded him fast. I got inside his personal space where he couldn't swing that bat. Like I opened the door and stepped right up to him, he couldn't swing the bat. And I'm just like, hey, what do you need, bro? And he's like, he's kind of like backing up a little. There's a chick behind him. She's all methed. They're both methed out. They're on meth, I'm certain. She's walking back and forth. She's just like, she's not looking at me. She's just like doing this back and forth behind him. And he's like, have you seen my cell phone? It's fucking 12:30 at night, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I haven't seen your cell phone. It's in a plastic bag. I left it around here. It's like, what? I said, no, I haven't seen your cell phone, bro. I'll let you know if I see it. But the dude was whacked out.
Oh, God.
But, yeah, man, I thought about just hemming him up, man, just like taking him down, breaking his arm or something. And I'm like, what would happen?
Drugs.
Well, there'd be repercussions. Like, what would happen is the windows would get smashed out of my vehicle, my tires would get slit. You think about stuff like this, and it's just you gotta answer it the right way. If we just follow our instincts, you're gonna pay for it. There's gonna be a karma. So he knows where I live. I don't know where he lives, right?
Exactly.
But I wanted to absolutely go out there and just hem him up. It's bad.
What do you think about that? I guess it was about a month ago now. So a chick, a kid, and her boyfriend, they might have been married. If not, they were together for like 10 years or something like that. They pull up to the gas station. Where did that happen at? They pull in the handicap spot.
Oh, I saw that. I saw that video.
Some old guy gets out.
And killed him, right?
Well, some old dude gets out, and he starts yelling at her and through the window.
Handicap spot.
And the boyfriend comes back out, pushes the guy on the ground, and then the guy takes out his gun and shoots him.
That's what it was. He shot him.
And actually, it was here in Florida because he was covered.
We look like idiots to the rest of the country.
Covered on the standing
We do.
ground.
Like I'm embarrassed to say I'm Floridian now.
That's what I'm saying. Like.
So it was a fight over a handicap spot.
Yeah.
Well,
so I'm not familiar with it.
Well, actually, no. It wasn't a fight over. Some people keep saying it wasn't a fight over handicap. It was a fight over you're yelling at my girlfriend. So he wasn't saying get out of the spot, don't go there. But he was saying, look, why are you parking in here? Your boyfriend got out, or are you handicapped? Well, actually, let's say I'm disabled and I have a thing and I got Bobby with me and I pull into a handicap spot and Bobby gets out and goes in and comes back out. We're gonna get a ticket.
Really?
Because I didn't get out of the car.
I didn't know that.
It's
messed up.
Yeah.
Wow.
And you also can't park in. You know how there's a handicap spot and then there's the white stripes next to it, and people on motorcycles park their park their motorcycle.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And they don't know that. Lots of times they get tickets, which they should. They should get tickets.
Right, they should. And that's room for someone if they need a wheelchair.
That's room
right?
for the auto, for the wheel, for the vans, for the wheelchair.
That makes sense.
But people don't think like that. But anyways, so he was yelling at her about that. And at first they had said, oh, there weren't any other spots, so we were just going, we were going in real quick and all this stuff, which there actually were other open spots. But even if there are closed spots, you don't park in the handicap spot.
Absolutely.
But the guy came out and he pushed him. I don't know.
The boyfriend came out.
The boyfriend came out and stuff and pushed him. So like you're saying, you
And
got to
in
kind of
Florida,
think
he was in the clear.
you're following your instincts. Some people saying, oh, the guy was backing up, he was doing whatever, but it's from the perspective of the person that was attacked.
And someone got shot during this?
Whatever. So the guy on the ground pulled out his gun and shot the boyfriend, and he died. And the cops found. They came to the conclusion, they were like, stand your ground, and the guy was covered. And so it's going back and forth. People are like, no, clearly he was backing away. That guy shouldn't have shot him. It was just over this, just over that.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah.
Wow.
So that's why it's a little bit.
Keep talking, Keni.
Yeah, keep going.
Talking.
Yeah,
You guys are getting.
we're eating donuts over here. If you don't know.
So I didn't know if you saw that. I was gonna get your opinion.
Yep,
on
I
it.
did.
Yeah.
I think that's a problem. I mean, we're obviously talking. We brought up guns because of the landing. I just found out that there was a mass shooting at Jacksonville Landing.
Yeah.
That's just horrific.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Where are we coming? Where are we coming to as a society when that?
I don't want to live in the city. I don't want to live in the city. I want to live in the country.
Yeah, there's got to be a shooting in Jacksonville area. They just found 2 dead women the other day somewhere in Jacksonville 2 days ago. They found 2 ladies shot, killed somewhere. Yeah, I don't want to go into Jacksonville no more. Orange Park is looking pretty.
Orange Park.
Safe.
See, I don't even know what that is. To me, that's a different country.
Is it really?
I've always lived in Arlington, Mayport.
You're way out.
But I work
you're so
out
far
there.
away. Yeah,
But to me, that's like a different town.
Well,
I
the same thing
get
to
there
me.
and I'm
To
like,
me,
ooh, this
to me,
doesn't feel
Mayport-
right. I'm not
Mayport's-
safe here.
I've only been to Mayport once. Mayport's like a different country to me.
Really? I like
and
that
so if
little
I keep
area.
traveling east, I
Mhm.
just go east of my compass, I'll end up in Mayport eventually. But
So-
yeah, I've only been out there once.
I don't know. I think
Yeah.
with TV and video games and stuff, the generations are getting, what do you call that? Like, just getting numb to it, and it's like not a big deal to go out there and shoot them. Like, especially like you were saying with the thugs, it's like they don't think about the repercussions. We're normal people.
I think they're snapped, and honestly, I think that's what this world is set up to do, is to snap us all, man. I think it's being engineered that way. I do. I believe that. I believe that it's being engineered to crush us. Man, if you're in the mood to watch a really good documentary, one that I would put at the top of the list as well is called Resonance. It's on YouTube. It's called Resonance: Beings of Frequency. And
I think you sent that to me.
you got to watch it.
I was watching some of it.
Man, what they did was this lady. It all starts with this lady gets breast cancer, and she's like, "Man, why did I get breast cancer?" And she gets the idea. She's like looking up, and she lives beside a cell tower, and she's like, "I think that cell tower gave me breast cancer." So she goes and pulls all these stats in her city, and finds out that everyone within a few miles of a cell tower there's a much higher, like way higher cancer rate, right? So that's off. That's off now. It timed out.
Both of them?
Yeah, I didn't have the other one on, just the one. But
So what are we using?
all these.
Oh.
Yeah. So now we're just on these. We won't be cutting it.
We're
out
just
of that
looking
one.
at our faces.
So she does the research, and she's right. There's pockets around all the cell towers. Everyone has the cancer rate is much higher. And then it goes further. So then they start doing experiments on, and she does research on other, frequency-related health issues. And there's this one experiment that was done where people were taken below the surface of the earth, underground, to live underground, right? Young people, healthy people. Mm-hmm. And what they found was when you go below ground, you're out of what's called the Schumann resonance. So there's a resonance that kind of regulates all mammals. It regulates mammals on Earth, and it's called the Schumann resonance. And that's why all mammals on Earth have a 9-month gestation period, is because of this resonance. At least that's the
Theory.
That's the theory behind it. And only our planet, and that resonance is because whenever you put an object inside of another object.
I mean to cut you off, except for elephants. Elephants carry their baby for a year, don't they? A year and a half?
I don't know.
Mm-hmm. I've read about that.
Whales too. Whales.
Well, go ahead.
Forever.
So anyway, this frequency is created because the Earth is inside of the ionosphere, and anytime you put an object inside of an object, it creates a reverberation, right? It creates a frequency. And this is an EMF frequency, an electromagnetic frequency, and it's at approximately 7.8 hertz, right? Mm-hmm. And we're healthy as long as we get that frequency. That's the frequency we evolved to. It actually formed us. Like if you evolved in another frequency, we would be completely different creatures, right? Arguably. Well, they took people and they took healthy young people and they put them underground, and these people instantly, very shortly thereafter started getting sick and started having anxiety and started feeling ill, right? Mm-hmm. So then the person running the experiment introduces what's called an EMF generator. And he introduces the Schumann resonance into the underground bunker using this generator. It has another name. It's not called a generator, but let's just call it a generator. And the people get healthy. They don't know that he's doing it without telling them. He observes that they get healthy again. All of a sudden they're back to being chipper and happy again. Then he turns it off. Within a week, some of them are reporting feeling ill. They have anxiety again. They don't feel good in general. Some of them are actually getting sick. Turns it back on, they're healthy again. And he basically proved to me, and there was a double-blind experiment. He used multiple groups, and if you drown out the Schumann resonance, we start having anxiety, and you start getting sick.
How far underground did he have to take him?
Well, he didn't. Well, it goes beyond that. There's a problem. You don't necessarily have to cut it off. You can drown it out with other signals as well.
Right.
That's a problem. And our DNA starts messing up. Like our DNA starts going, I don't know what the hell to do. That frequency is not there anymore. And it starts malforming and doing shit it wasn't supposed to do, right? So that's why we have, like right now, bees don't know to return to their nests. They're affected by it too. They say that's like anywhere within like a 5-mile radius of cell towers, like bees are just going nuts. Birds are, they can't navigate anymore. They don't know where they're going. And the problem is we're putting this, now we're going to what's called 5G, like the new towers. And if you ride around, try to find a place that doesn't have a tower right outside of my building. When you walk out, if you look right, there's a tower right there. Mm-hmm. The good thing about this, and I learned about all this after about living here. I got turned on to frequencies to the extent that I have, is that I live in a metal building and it blocks, that's why we have no coverage. I'm always bitching about, if you're not wired in, you got no coverage. It blocks EMF, which is good. It works as like a Faraday cage. And there's people that are so woke on this, right, on frequencies, that there's companies out there now selling EMF blocking clothing, and they're actually like successful, thriving companies, right, where people are buying hats and shirts and jackets that have like nickel and cadmium woven into it, and it works as like a Faraday cage. And Faraday cages block frequencies, right? So you're essentially blocking out the harmful frequencies. There's people that don't go outside without this. And there's also materials you can hang in your house. I forget what it's called, but it's like they get them for like mines in Russia or some shit, but it absorbs EMF. It'll actually like kill signals. But I'm to the point now where I don't want, that's why I got shitty coverage in here, is I've got one Wi-Fi access point, and I put it in the farthest part of the building because I want the signal to be weak. They actually say that Wi-Fi access points mess with your well-being as well. So if you watch that documentary, you'll see that frequencies really mess us up. And if I think back to being like 14, 13 years old, there weren't cell towers anywhere. And I had no anxiety. I didn't have any anxiety. Today, I think everybody struggles with anxiety. Like I have anxiety. There's times I'm like, well, it's like there's nothing wrong. It's like I have this big bill over my head or something. It's like even if I did, I should be able to just tune that out. But you can't. You have this anxiety like weighing down on you, like something's wrong, right? And I associate all that to frequencies. And if you could what I started doing to feel better, I did two things. I started wearing blue blocking glasses all the time. Like I got my little blue blockers on now. And I noticed that there's a lot of great people that did that. If you were to look, like Bono and many other people figured out, they always have yellow glasses on. Like you remember the saying, like, yeah, he looks at life through primrose glasses or something like that, right?
Rose-colored glasses.
Rose-colored glasses. it actually does, blocking blue makes you happier in general. But beyond that is the frequencies. I started listening to the Schumann resonance when I'm at my desk and I'm trying to work, or I'll just put on the Schumann resonance. They actually have it all over YouTube. And for it to really work right, it should be in stereo. Make sure you're getting a stereo version because if you listen to the Schumann resonance in mono, it's not really working. You'll hear it. You'll hear the wavelengths.
Oh, you're saying just listening it in order to try to hear it?
Yeah, you can listen to it, and it actually makes you feel better.
Like playing on YouTube.
And when I'm driving in my car, I would put on the Schumann resonance and listen to it, and it'll actually, a lot of
Can you hear it?
meditation places will play it. Like yogas, they have it incorporated in the background of the yoga
you know
music.
what? Yeah, so
But
I was
it's this
okay, so I was I would look in YouTube and stuff sometimes when I'm going to sleep for like different like sounds or whatever, nature sounds or different stuff
I like
that.
listening to nature sounds.
Yeah, and so
That's the
some
best Schumann
of
resonance,
it,
is
and
when they
so then I
overlay it.
started seeing these ones, and it would say, man, what's the thing? So
binaural beats.
no, it would have in there megahertz. It would like they would include the
7.83
megahertz.
megahertz. is
So,
what it is.
but there's all there, and so I don't know, right? But there's all different ones,
yeah,
different megahertz for like different things.
Yeah,
and it
they'll
talks
have the
about
theta, the
stress relieving,
gamma, the
anxiety
theta,
release,
yes.
or whatever. And so I guess it's so
Yep.
some of these it's like the regular sounds, but
Yeah.
intermixed in with it is this.
Yeah, like
It's at a certain megahertz,
yeah.
so you don't even really hear it. You don't even really know it's at it.
Yeah,
So
the
it's just
normal frequency is 7.83. I can't remember which one that is, whether it's theta or whether it's gamma
Yeah.
or beta, but there's several different frequencies, and listening to them puts your brain, it makes your brain focus in that area. And one can be for sleep, one can be for
Anxiety.
focus. So yeah, if I'm trying to focus, and they also have these on YouTube and that go by binaural beats. You can either look for Schumann resonance or you can look for binaural beats. But I'll listen to both of those. I even keep them on my phone, and I'll just jack in whenever I'm not around people. Especially if I'm on a long drive, and I'll even subject Chin to it. I'll make her listen to it too. It's healthy for you.
Yeah.
If you listen to it, you'll see it can change your mood.
Yeah,
Well,
my pen's not working.
I struggled with
Only mine.
with like my job. Like I got a new job, and I just didn't really find it really rewarding. But so in the mornings, like when I first wake up, it's like, well, I'm getting ready for work. I'm listening, like I've subscribed to these YouTube channels, like motivational stuff. So like just hearing people talk about
Sounds
like
like my dad.
being motivated, and just
When my
well-being
dad's
in
working
life.
out,
So
he
the
listens to a lot of motivational
yeah, so
stuff.
like the first hour of my morning is all positive, and then and
Yeah.
then I hit the gym, or I'll do like with Brianna, we'll do some yoga or something, in the morning. But yeah, like I noticed that starting the morning off, making my bed, something simple like that, like just making my bed so when I come home it's made.
Yeah, there's a TED Talks documentary about the first thing you should do is make your bed.
Yeah,
It's like
the
that's how you.
Navy chief.
Yeah.
The Navy
Yeah,
chief.
it's the very first thing you should do to start your day. You just accomplish something right off the bat. Make your bed.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it
Well,
starts
the
every
first
day.
thing I do in the morning is worry about. Well, first of all, I hug my dog and I give her a kiss, and then I go find something to eat. That's because that's what makes me happy. So.
Food.
My dog
What do you
and
eat? Cereal?
What's
No,
your favorite
I
food?
Your favorite cereal?
I actually don't like cereal.
I love cereal.
The only cereal that I actually really ever liked was Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
CTC.
I remember
but-
that
It's
came
the
out.
best.
Come on,
What I normally eat.
peanut butter crunch. Man.
Oh God,
No.
no.
Reese's?
No.
Cocoa Pebbles. Or...
When I get
Yeah, but
up
that
in the
cereal
morning,
wasn't around
I
when
eat
I grew up.
eggs.
Sorry, go ahead.
No,
Eggs?
it's okay.
Oh, I eat
no,
eggs
I
every
eat
day.
eggs,
I eat
2
eggs every
eggs, and like I'll get a piece of fruit, and that's my breakfast.
Do you wash it like the monkeys?
Yes, I wash it.
The sand of.
I wash it in salt water just like monkeys do.
That's awesome.
What was that thing you said? What did you write down?
Schumann resonance.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or binaural beats.
S-H?
I'm gonna see if my
I mean, I'm
Alexa-
sorry. Yeah, SCH.
Because I think I remember learning about this
Yep. That's it.
in school, though.
Yeah, because it's the frequency that bounces between the surface of the Earth and the ionosphere. A scientist, or it was actually a professor by the name of something Schumann. He's the one who he was trying to explain how when an object is inside of an object, it creates a resonance. And then he said, well, there should be one between the Earth and the ionosphere. And then he calculated it out to be roughly 8. And then sure enough, science, they did research and found out he was right.
So at night, I have an Alexa in my room, right? So
Oh, yeah.
the NSA is
I've heard your
listening.
Alexa.
So it's like, hey Alexa, play Babbling Brook. That's what I listen to. But it's just sounds of streams. Like it's just just water going down a stream.
Yeah, they have
sound.
apps you can download to your phone.
So I'm wondering if I can
used
tune
to
in
play
the
that, but
Schumann frequency
I don't know,
for
when
that.
I'm in my room, it's
If not, they probably
well,
have an app
like
you
if
can
I'm
add
having
onto
trouble
Alexa
sleeping,
for it.
I'll
It'll
listen
be
to
a little bit.
rain.
Yeah.
But like now, I kind of just lay in bed. Ever since I got my dog, I sleep way easier. Like when I got my dog when I was like 15, and before I would have like my lava lamp on. Then I finally got into the state where I would like turn it off, and then I would listen to like rain or something to help me sleep. But then I had my dog in my bed with me, and I don't need anything else. I don't know. I don't know what that has to do with what we're talking about. But I'm just saying, like,
Just don't sleep with
animals.
cats. They
No,
take your
I
soul
think
when you're asleep.
like animals really do help with a lot of like emotional and mental. Like you can just hug
Oh
them,
yeah,
and
for
it's,
sure.
You know, because like if I'm having a hard day, I go to my dog, I give her a hug. She like looks up at me.
Yeah, so
and
here's
I'm
some.
just
So
like,
the
yes.
so the Schumann is 7.83, and then there's other ones like 432 hertz.
Yeah, I'm familiar with them.
Which I guess would be 4.32 megahertz, 428 hertz, delta waves, 1,000 hertz.
And you should try them. You should listen to them. I listen.
417.
There's
740.
the one I listen to in the most, the one I have saved on just about all my devices is like
Nice.
they overlay it with like dolphins and orcas.
Yeah.
It's like
That's cool.
Schumann overlaid with like.
I'm gonna have to
Sounds
listen
of
to
the
these.
Speaking of orcas, did you ever watch that Blackfish?
Yes. Oh my God.
Yeah,
That-
you should watch that one.
That
That
that's
was-
actually
orca?
why I don't
The
go to
blackfin?
SeaWorld anymore.
Yeah,
we
no,
don't.
Blackfish.
We don't
Blackfish,
was,
right?
yeah,
I
the
haven't
Yeah.
gone to
stuff
SeaWorld
like that.
since.
Yeah,
No, that's why
me
we don't
neither.
go to SeaWorld anymore.
No, I know
Me
it's
neither.
messed up. I know. I've
Yeah.
seen similar.
And then
videos.
that part on it when they took, man, I don't remember the names of the whales now.
Tillicum.
Yeah, there was Tillicum, but it wasn't. Tillicum's a male, correct?
Yeah, he was the big. He was like the
so
biggest.
the female, they took one of her pups at like, I don't know, as soon as you can kind of take them away or whatever, and and this was probably like maybe this, I don't know if it was the 70s or 80s or whatever, or 90s, and so they took her pup away, and because they sold it to another place or something like that, and so she started, squealing or whatever they
Crying.
do, crying.
Yeah.
I would say it's crying.
And so they ended up
Yeah.
measuring through the megahertz. They measured sound she was putting out in the megahertz, and something they had never heard. They had never recorded it ever in the history of all of them recording the orcas before. Remember that part? We talked about that part.
Yeah.
So it was at some level or something, and they figured it was some type of
Distressor, right?
well, it was a call, and the hertz that it was at was like long range. It was like super duper long range that they had ever heard before, because she figured that the baby was
would
really
hear
far
it.
away, hoping
Yeah.
that it would hear it, and it was the first time they had ever.
That's
heard
sad
that
though
cry.
when you think
It is,
about it.
yeah,
It's
it
like,
is
oh
sad.
my
It is,
God.
because they're mammals and stuff like that. So when you think about that, when them constantly, they're separating the babies and stuff, and then about how it talks about when they first caught them and stuff, and then
Yeah,
the
'cause-
orcas went down. They sent how smart they are. How they sent all the babies down. Like one adult took the babies, took the younger orcas down the certain. A certain waterway down,
Yeah.
and then the rest of the adults went the other way. And because I guess they wanted to try to trap the smaller ones, but they ended up going the wrong way. They didn't
wrong
realize till later that they tricked them, and one of the orcas took them the other way.
Yeah.
And then
They're
and after
very
they got what
smart.
they wanted, then they just like killed the rest of them and stuff. And they talked to one of the fishermen that was tasked at doing that, and he was talked about it years later, and he was like, man, that was like messed up, and we just kind of
Still haunted him. Yeah.
slaughtered
No,
them
that was
and
one
stuff.
documentary I watched it
Yeah.
once, and I've never went back to SeaWorld
I haven't
since.
either.
I was
Like,
happy when all those performers, they were all canceling.
Yeah.
They stopped. Yeah.
stopped going and stuff
They
like
stopped
that.
performing.
They stopped getting. If you notice, they stopped going in the tanks with the whales also.
Right. Yeah, that's what we were talking about.
Because of the girl that died,
girl that
the
died.
trainer.
Yeah.
Now they just don't
Yeah.
even have them anymore, or they don't have the shows at all.
Yeah, I'm not really sure. I heard
Well,
they were
you
thinking
guys
to
went
get
to
rid of them.
SeaWorld recently. Did they
We
have
did.
any
Chin
shows?
bought. Chin had never.
Been.
Well, I didn't go to the. I didn't even want to go. We didn't see the whales. We
Oh,
just kind of
okay.
went there and walked around for Ushi, but
Yeah.
we never saw any of the whales.
Yeah. Well, they're very smart animals.
Right.
Like, very like. you think about, they eat sharks. They eat pretty much anything. Like, they'll eat another whale. Like, I think they're one of the most vicious predators in the ocean. That's my
the killer.
Because they're smart, and they hunt in
smart.
groups, and they have no mercy.
You know,
They're savage. They're kind of like you went out there and opened mat. Just
I know Nikki
swimming
should know
around,
it.
and
she is.
who am I gonna
I made up
roll?
my mind. Her moniker is Savage. Savage Nicole Baudin. That's her.
AKA killer whale. No.
Oh my God, the Punisher. I like how you
Tenderizer.
put that on. He has a YouTube channel, and he put Nikki the Punisher and then Joan the Ripper.
Joan the Ripper. Yeah. Shout out to Joan.
How'd
Shout
she
out
get
to
the
Joan.
Ripper?
He thought it. Yeah, go ahead.
It was just kind of off the fly. She was wrestling, or she was rolling with Jeff, and I was calling Jeff the jackknife. Was the name I gave, and I went through like 3 names, and I just said Joan the Ripper, and she said she hated it. She's like, I don't like it, and you know, like with guys.
Yeah, you know that's good, right?
Yeah, you're like, oh, boom, that one hit. Like,
Yeah.
she's like, oh, I don't like it. I was like, boom, just found your one. Right?
Yeah.
So we hope it doesn't stick. Joan the Ripper doesn't stick, guys. So don't call her that.
Well, every time when I first met her, because
She's
sometimes I
awesome.
do this with people, like I try and match like names to like certain things, and when I first met her, I was like, oh, Joan Jett, huh?
Joan Jett.
Joan Jett. But that's something I only say in my head, so yeah, because I don't want her to be like, I hate it.
We'll see. Maybe
so
maybe it
says
won't
that.
stick.
So
You don't want it to stick now because you want
I
it.
do, but I don't want to hurt her feelings. You know, like if it really does bother her,
Oh, why is it
She's
bother
gonna
her?
watch us and
Because
be
of
like,
Jack
you
the
better
Ripper?
not.
I'd probably, but I think it's a tough name, Ripper. That'd be cool. That's
Cool.
I think it's pretty cool, to be honest.
Yeah.
Let's close out with 2 more subjects. It's 3:30. Let's talk
Oh, wow.
about. Yeah, I know it's been. We started a little late though, so we're coming up on 3.5 hours, which I want to try to stay to. But let's talk about 2 more things real quick. I think we probably started closer to 1:30. I mean
I thought we
12:30.
started at-
12:30.
yeah,
12:30. I think we started around 12:30. 2 last things. Because I like subjects that are, what's the word for it?
Out there.
Controversial.
Controversial.
Controversial, yeah.
Controversial. Let's talk religion.
Oh.
What's your religious / spiritual beliefs, Kenny? Before we move around the table,
I don't have any.
you got to have some. Not having any is one.
Yeah, that's mine. That's mine. I guess.
So, what I mean, you don't believe. You got to believe something. What do you think? It's just there's no God. There's no creator.
I don't think.
There's
No, I don't think there's a God.
There's nothing. What about at the end of all this? What happens?
Dust.
Dust. And there's no memory of you. There's no inkling of you. The's no inkling.
Well, people that are still alive, there'll be a memory.
Really?
of
God,
you,
that's gotta be. That's
but,
gotta be a lonely. Do you need a hug?
No.
Depressing.
That's depressing, bro.
Yeah. Why?
I don't subscribe to that.
I don't know. But we humans, like, that's why we come up with different things. I think partially. I mean, to some degree, I think religion was created to control the masses. But at the same time, I think we go searching for things. Like, humans just can't accept the fact that they have to believe that there's something greater or there's some creator or something like that. Which is why we've advanced as far as we have in other aspects, because of that curiosity. But I think we kind of just come up with things to help us feel better. I think part of that is spiritually thing.
I'm kind of
Okay,
on his
so-
level with
so-
that, though.
Yeah,
0 on the spiritual meter.
yeah.
So do you lump spirituality and religiousness together, and basically you don't partake in either, or do you consider
No,
yourself
I think there is some
Could you be
spiritually, as in maybe there's some type of energy that connects all of us. I could maybe subscribe to that. I think,
Because I mean, like,
I don't. I say I don't really believe that there. I mean, there could be. I may, let's say, I maybe want to say I'm atheist, but maybe could say I'm more agnostic, where I'm just not.
just don't care.
Well, no, as in I, just don't know.
That's a
just
problem,
Don't
though.
know
If you
one
don't-
way or the other.
If you don't subscribe, I mean, you shouldn't subscribe just to do it. But god dang, man, if you think there's nothing after this, then no wonder people are just shooting shit up. Just like killing other people. It's
Actually,
like
all
there's
those
no
peop-
repercussions.
Actually, all those people that are shooting shooting each other and killing it. They actually believe there is something actually after this. A lot of them are Christians, I might say, you know, or believe in God, I might say. So I don't think you have to believe in God to have good morals or anything like some people think that, or think atheists are bad people, evil people, or
I don't think that.
you know, or something like that. I think you can still have a moral compass without having to have a God or anything like that.
Savage Nicole Baudin, what's your take on religion and spirituality?
Religion. Well, honestly, personally, I'm Christian. I mean, that's because that's really what I've been taught. You know, I believe in God. Huh?
Indoctrination.
Yeah, I don't know what that means, but okay. Yeah, I'm not that advanced. Sorry. No, I'm Christian. You know, because I believe it. I mean, I think, you know, like listening, because I was at church this morning. You know, I'm just like listening to it, and a lot of the stuff that they talk about in the Bible, it makes sense. But like, I'm open-minded. You know, because you see other religions that are, you know, kind of similar to Christianity. They believe in a God, but it's not the same one. You know, So I mean. And then you talk about, like, the Anunnaki, and that could be true, too. So I'm at a point in my life where, yes, I'm Christian, but I'm also open-minded to listening and learning about other things as well. So, and I think I like his answer with spirituality. Like, there's an energy in everybody that kind of ties us together. So I believe in that.
What about you, Brendan Secor?
We gotta
stuff.
find his nickname.
I was born into a Catholic family. I recently converted over to Christianity, but I don't know, man. Like the more I dig deeper and the more I start to learn, I don't know what I believe. I went to church a couple weeks ago. I sat there and I was listening through it, and like Kenny was saying, in my heart, I believe it was just a system that was created to control the masses. But I believe in a good energy. I believe in the karma aspect of things. Like a higher being, maybe. But I think right now, in my life now, is like I'm just trying to be a good person, surround myself with like-minded, good people.
I can agree with that.
And you know, and just kind of, you know, live my best life. You know, be a good role model for my children, and just.
I believe in. I had my first. It was actually my second guest, but my first podcast because I lost the first one. But Jason Backlund was on here, and It's funny because I didn't know, but he subscribes to the same belief that I have, which is there's a universal consciousness. That's what we. Like that's what I like to believe God is. When we die, we return to it, right? Like this is him learning. He just split himself off, and we're here to learn and refine ourselves, perfect ourselves, and go back to him with experiences, or go back to it, or he or she, or whatever it is. And that just makes sense. You know, can you kill consciousness? Is consciousness a physical thing? But you know, when I think about stuff like that, when I start thinking about religiousness, you know, religion and spirituality, you know, the one thing you have to think about is we're on the cusp of creating, what's the word for it? You know, AI when it's
artificial intelligence.
Yeah, I know.
But when it becomes
sentient, we're on the cusp of creating sentient AIs. And, you know, there's a test, I forget the name of that test, but there's a test where, you know, at some point it's self-aware. When you're self-aware and you start learning and forming your own opinions and your own beliefs, what if we create hundreds or thousands of millions of these things, you know, as AI, and we can just turn them off? You know, that's messed up, right? Like, hey, I created you. You're kind of like my baby, right? But if your hard drive crashes, you're gone. And this thing's like, dude, I'm going to die. You know, it's like I go to nothing. It's like, if it's truly self-aware, it's kind of a cruel thing to do, right? Like, yeah, I created you, but you just go away like you never existed. You know,
that's what happened with Skynet. That's what happens
Oh
with
my
all
gosh,
the, with
the
all the movies.
Terminator.
They're like, I don't want to be turned off, and they
Yeah, and, well, that's why there's
And so
people.
they
Man, there are people out there
destroy the human race.
that
There's a
say
few movies
the
like that.
next big war that we're gonna have, whether it's a war, or
AI.
the next big
World-
problem
yeah.
we're gonna have is gonna be AI. That AI is gonna
Be able to turn it off.
it's going to take over, and it's smarter than us, right? It's going to lock us out, and it's going to take control of robots, and it's going to be, and and like, wouldn't that be something if the Terminator were a prophecy, right? If the Matrix were a prophecy, and
Well, it's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy. It would be, because lots of things that have happened before anything can happen in reality, it must first be created in the mind, and then created normally lots of time by artists. So filmmakers are artists, writers are artists, and so all this stuff that they write eventually becomes, reality.
yeah.
Except for flying cars and Back to the Future.
Yes,
But
that flux capacitor.
But
Right.
but I believe in reincarnation.
Yeah.
I do. I think we've been on it. There's been people talk about it, and I even saw a video where a kid who'd never been out of his country, and he's like, I lived on this street, and there was this house, and it was this color, and they took him there, and it was all there, and he's like,
Whoa.
I think that I think we're reincarnated. I do, and I believe if you're a shitty person, you fucked
Come
up,
back
man.
as-
You're gonna come back in the Middle East, and I just think that your lot in the next life is all based. I believe that. I try to be a good person. I do. I try to do right by everybody, because I believe that you are. And I was looking at videos of myself. I was looking at those videos of the camcorder videos
But the
of when I
thing
was
is, you
18,
don't-
19. I was a
Yeah.
douchebag, man. I would never post those videos. I thought it would be entertaining. I'll post
Yeah.
these, and I thought, God dang, I'm a douchebag, man. Like 18-year-olds today are so far evolved beyond what I was.
But how often do people's conscience comes back to where they're, at some point, shouldn't we, like you said, there's that one, some point shouldn't we, are you coming back and you just don't remember your past life? Well, what would be the point of that?
So I've heard people talk about this, like
Or
you know,
are there just
and
a
it's funny, it's
select,
like,
are there
who
just a
told them,
selected
right?
few?
But I guess the belief system is, and for people who believe in at least for the majority of the people that I hear talk on reincarnation, is that in the end we get all of our memories back. In the end.
What do you mean, in the end, at some point when you're not going to be reincarnated?
So the thought process is, and I kind of believe in this. I do. I think that we're here to learn. This is what I actually do believe this. I really do. If I really, do deep introspection, I believe we're on this planet to learn. I believe it's a prison planet. I believe that we're part of a universal consciousness. I believe that going back to it is a very warm and safe and cuddly feeling, just like you could be put back into your mother's womb. It's not being dissolved, and it's going back and being part of being one again. And I believe that that we're here to perfect ourselves. That without trials, we couldn't perfect ourselves. Without hard times, like if you take the dude who grew up, I mean, you almost kind of feel sorry for like someone like Will Smith or someone that's had this perfect life, right? Because I don't think the trials and tribulations.
Well, I
that
think
they've
he had
had-
trial up until he got to where he was. I think.
Well,
He
but
had some
man, he ain't going through what I'm going through. He
No,
didn't go through
no.
what I went through. I can guarantee you, man. I know that. Like we can sit here and compare our lives.
Yeah.
His pales to mine.
Yeah.
I believe that. Like there's shit that's gone on in my life, and for 10 years, well, anyway, I don't want to get into it, but my point is, Bruce Lee said, "Don't give me the strength to endure." What did he say? He said,
An easy life.
"Yeah, don't give me an easy life. Give me the strength to endure a hard life." That's what and I agree with that. That's actually ingenious. You can't polish a gem without abrasion, right? If you want to be a perfected soul, you have to have trials and tribulations. You have to have that. And for someone who didn't have that or didn't have as much, I think they're a weaker soul. They're a weaker. I think they're going to have to go back. They're going to have to, there's karma for everything. But I think that eventually you graduate, you get out, you're done. I like reading stories about these monks. They have stories about, and even videos like quote unquote evidence. Like there's monks that can walk up to the top of the Himalayas in like a fleece, tiny, not fleece, like this tiny sheer cloth where any human being would die, but they can regulate their temperature. And then they even talk about they become light beings at some point in time. They get to a point where they go up there, and then they just like, it takes like 3 days, and they leave their body, and they end up with this little like midget version of themselves that like just kind of shrunk. And but I like to believe in stuff like that. Like I like to believe that those guys made it. They figured it out. Just like the monk that burned himself alive. He, self-immolation, right? How could he just sat there and burned and didn't show any pain, didn't show, I think he left his body, like he wasn't there for the destroying of
He
his
light
vessel.
himself on fire?
Yeah. You never saw that? You never saw
I think so.
The monk that set himself on fire in protestation to Tibet being taken by China? He just set himself on fire and just sat there peacefully and burnt away.
I think they stuck a clip of that in Something Happened on the Way to the Moon. Like they put a bunch of junk in that.
I think we have stuff like that tells me that we're capable of way more and that there's way beyond this. They know it, right? Like that monk knew it. He knew this isn't the end. Those are the ones that are fully woke, right? Like he didn't just end his existence. Yeah. He graduated. He moved on to the next plane.
There was a video I saw, and it was of a monk.
That's what they say.
And he had done something happened to his hand. And you know how your fingers have a lot of nerves in them, so you feel everything. It's like intensified. They were doing surgery on his hands. He didn't move a muscle. He didn't show any expression. He didn't do anything. And that goes to show, like, that's intense. You can't. That's like next level.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
You don't feel. You don't even show pain. Yeah. You know, and that's a sensitive area. That's a lot of nerves. You know.
Yeah, there's definitely something very cool and interesting, and I don't know a whole lot about, but monks and how they're so connected with their energy and their soul, and
Yeah, I think there's more out there. I've seen enough and read that I believe that there's more, and I think it's one. I think we're all one. We are all one. We're all one consciousness that's going to go back, and man, to hurt one another is crazy.
Well, you were saying like the monk moving on to the next plane. That's what the Scientologists believe.
Scientology? Like that religion?
Yes, they believe when you go to these different levels, and you're getting to a point to where you go to the next thing, and when you die, that's actually, you don't actually die. You're moving on to the next thing. And
you know who started the Church of Scientology?
That's what they all strive for.
L. Ron Hubbard.
Yeah.
Right. I remember when I was a kid, my dad had went out and bought his book called Dianetics. Yeah. And the guy was like a sci-fi writer, right? That's like the really interesting part. Is the guy who started it is a sci-fi writer. Yeah. And honestly, if I were going to be a member of any religion, I would probably be a member of that one, But
a lot of his writing, his sci-fi stuff, he ended up integrating that into what his religion and.
It's just kind of crazy though that he starts a religion. He's a sci-fi writer that starts a religion
and it's kind of based off of some alien talk and different stuff.
So let's talk about the last thing real quick before we close out. It's a long damn episode, man.
I think the longest chat was 4 hours though.
We'll get the most downloads though.
Yeah.
Nikki's winning the download race. Props, Nikki.
Really?
Just throw it out there.
She's gonna help us get more.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's the highest on the downloads of all.
And wasn't that the one where
views or what?
Both YouTube, listen, iTunes downloads. She's winning all the races. So.
I didn't know it was a race, but that's the video that kind of messed up too.
I know it was all butchered, messed up, and and I thought that was pretty cool. So people liked hearing what you had to say. So. I'll have to raise your salary eventually.
Thank you.
You'll go from nothing to $1.
Oh, thanks.
$1 an episode.
$1
wow, I'm
with
balling,
royalties,
guys.
A penny every time it plays.
Oh, thank you. A penny for my thoughts.
Yeah.
Better get that in writing.
Contact me in 5 years. I'll give you $10.
Oh,
get it in writing.
Here's a really interesting theory. This is a new one I came across, and this is kind of cool. Jeff turned me on to it. He didn't know the guy's name, and maybe he was talking about someone else. But Jeff Gates, Jeff, he turned me on to the theory that our Earth is wiped out. Civilization is basically reset every, let's just say on average 15,000 years. We don't know. It could one time it could be 50,000. The next time it could be 100. It gets reset again. And there's always a few stragglers that manage to live. They were in a cave or in a bunker or whatever, and then. But there's a guy who, this was like the Zechariah Sitchin of his time. His name was Immanuel Velikovsky, and he wrote a book called When Worlds Collide. And I talked about this in the previous episode, and I know I'm being redundant, and we got to start changing it up. But I just share this with you real quick. His proof for his book is the moon, and if you look at the moon is just absolutely just tattered, right? It's been hit everywhere on, impact on top of impact. There's no flat surface. It's just impact on top of impact. Well, the reason that's visible is because it doesn't have an atmosphere and nothing grows over it. We can't observe that on Earth because we have vegetation, and where there's not vegetation, we've built. So it's either city or vegetation. And we have an atmosphere. So he's saying the moon, if you look at it, there's craters. Some craters are, what did he say, 600 miles across. That is insane. If we got hit by something 500 feet, it could decimate the United States. It could just decimate it, right? Like that's what the last meteor was, whatever they call it, asteroid. The last asteroid they were talking about, which just zoomed by the Earth at 20,000 miles an hour. This just happened. And they were saying if that thing hit, that's like a small skyscraper, 500, that's 50 stories, right? If that hit the North America, it could decimate, just like wipe out a huge section. But imagine now, that's just 500 feet. You're talking about a third of I don't know, what is that? What's 500 feet to a mile? A sixth of a mile or something. But let's talk about something 600 miles across. Yeah. And if the Earth is constantly getting bombarded by, our atmosphere can't protect against something like that. And if the moon's been hit by it again and again and again, our Earth has. And it's just a matter of time before it happens again. So, like, this guy has the theory that we're just wiped out again and again. And like, we may hit awesome levels of civilization, but then we're just reset and we got to start over, And then all the technology we had just becomes lore that sounds unbelievable,
I think this time around, though, when we get wiped out, there's going to be lots of remnants of our buildings and stuff like that.
What?
No, they talk about
what would stay around.
Nothing.
Everything would dissolve and turn into dust.
They talk about like a city. The city would just be gone. And God, it was a really short amount of time. I want to say like 500
Yeah, but
years.
I'm saying but just if a 500, you're saying a 500-foot radius meteor just hits
no, I'm talking
the United States, it would wipe out
I'm talking up to 600 miles.
Oh yeah, like that, yeah.
But if you wiped out.
But if it hits one side of the, oh wait, I forgot the Earth is flat, so.
That's right.
So
it's flattened around at the same time.
Creates dust, and then there's no sun.
But if it provided
dies.
a globe, but if it hits, one side of the Earth, I can't imagine. You're saying it's just gonna destroy everything.
No, I'm saying is that even though as a race might survive, any trace of our technology would be gone.
I don't think so, because I think we still have the pyramids. I think we might have reached a point where that's already happened once. And we have
that probably has, and I subscribe to that as well.
Yeah.
But that's the only technology.
And I think,
that would make
and it might not even be a meteor. I think we might just do I think we're getting to the point now to where we're going to do ourselves in.
Messing around with dark matter in these basements and these underneath these mountains. Like I watched a documentary. These scientists. I don't remember. I'll get back to you on that one.
Thanks.
Nikki's woke.
But it's a scientist out in like
For real.
Peru.
Yeah,
He's under.
This from you before.
He works underneath a mountain in like it's in Peru or somewhere like that, right? And he's messing with dark matter, and he's building this tank, right, where they can try to. I don't know.
Yeah.
And he doesn't even know what he's doing, right? He doesn't even, but he's just doing it because he's a scientist to see if we can do it and see if he can figure out dark matter. And he's been working on it for 10 years now, and he's still doesn't know much about it either.
Did you all ever see this video of this guy? Holy shit, what was his name? the government came and raided him and took all his equipment, but he was making shit levitate, and he was also turning like metal objects into
bending wrenches. And
they'd liquefy like a wrench would just like start melting.
He was using frequencies.
Yeah, he was using frequencies. Absolutely.
Did you just say that?
Which is what I think they used to build all these megalithic structures. I think they used frequencies, and certain frequencies could levitate stones and stuff like that. That's like a theory that I subscribe to.
So manipulating the frequencies.
No, I saw something about that.
But that was crazy, wasn't it? I've got to. The next phase of what I'm looking at doing in here is the curtains are temporary. Although I am going to get a few more curtains and go ahead and get that as round one. I'm going to hang these shag rugs all around, so it's gonna like there'll be no echo whatsoever, and I'm going to put puzzle mats on the ground. So there'll be no reverberation, no echo coming from anywhere.
This has helped, though. I can tell.
I think it helps, but I need
when
more.
You listen to the different episodes.
Yeah, there was more tinny on the first one. So once I get the sound all worked out, and then what I'm working on, I'm actually going to leave today and go buy the supplies, is I'm making a super dope table. It's going to be a V. So this is going to be the center right here, and it's going to be about 4 feet, and it's going to go that way. So you'll have 2 and 2, and we can see each other. We can look at each other. But all the filming equipment and lighting will be front facing.
So
Why
not a triangle?
Yeah. Well, it's going to be
because
V for victory.
you can't have people's backs in front.
No, I don't see. You don't have to put people there, but I think it'd be cool.
But if it's a flat and 3-dimensional triangle at the same time.
Because if it's a V, because even if you're starting here, then you can still make it over to there just by going east.
That wasn't even funny. I think it'd be cool if it was triangle. That's all.
V for victory.
Yeah, I couldn't do it though.
V for victory.
The problem is,
there you go.
The problem is, you need a way to light everyone properly. Like right now, I can't put lights on Nikki because they'd be behind me, and then it'd be messing up my cam. And then so the only way you can do it really right, from what I've seen, is everyone needs to be facing the same direction. But we could bend that. Like I can make a V where we're basically all looking that way, but we can still look at each other. So by doing a V, I'm gonna have a table that's in the form of a V, and all the cabling will be under the tables. We'll just have flat tables and power. You'll be able to plug in your laptop like Kenny has, and by then also I should have all the headphones in. We'll all have our own headphones, so we'll be able to hear the if you're too far away from your mic, the sound's gonna go down right. So it should be pretty cool. That's all in the works, and I've got 4 new badass chairs, the gaming chairs, so it'll be
nice
be in
ones.
Comfort, right?
We'll be like,
and then the last phase is to graduate to
Starbucks,
Bold Bean or Starbucks. We'll take orders before, and we'll all
Bold
have
Bean
our
or Starbucks
scones and.
Oh, he's getting fancy.
Oh, we're gonna get fancy. It's gonna get fancy, and then. So what I'm working on now is integrating Skype, like so people can call in.
That's cool.
And we can record that. But I think this is pretty cool. Like we've got it set up now. I've got it set up now where we can just toggle, and I've got all the logos, and we can toggle between multiple cams. And I want to get people's some other handle, like whether you have a Twitter handle or Facebook handle or Instagram handle. We'll put that on.
I have Instagram and Facebook.
I don't even know what Instagram is. I know Twitter.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't know what
Instagram. You just don't use it, right?
I don't use it. I've never used it. Like I've used Twitter like 10 times.
Well, Instagram is now how they have it set up. Like Instagram and Facebook are kind of like doing the same thing with each other. You know how Facebook used to not have stories, but Instagram has stories. Now Facebook has stories. Yeah. You see, I mean, it's pretty much the same now.
I hate that because they have it there in Messenger, and I want to get it off of there. The stories.
Yeah,
comes up and then the personal circle. Yeah, and they got the stories. Sometimes I hit it accidentally. And
I don't even understand what that shit is. Do you want to add this to your story? I'm like, what the hell's my story? I don't know.
Stories like
story
Snapchat. Stories like Snapchat.
Yeah,
goes away.
And it's like Snapchat too. They're all making everything
I got rid of my
the
Snapchat.
same, and I'm like, well, what's the point of having this? But you only have certain friends on certain social media sites. So.
There's stuff I'll post on my story that I won't post.
You want to see what I did on Snapchat? I'm gonna show you guys after. Okay. What I did on Snapchat because I think it's funny. Someone thought I like really could.
Your eyes?
My eyes.
What'd you do with the video you made of me? She made this video of me.
I made 4 more videos.
Did you save it?
Yeah.
Send it to Kalani or me.
I will, because someone
ridiculous.
actually thought my eyes could go the opposite direction, and he's
Your dad about threw up.
He did.
oh, here we
my
go.
God.
Last thing. Let's for our viewers. let's give some suggestions for some super cool shows to watch. Because I know I have some favorite shows.
Or some
So let's, Kenny, what are you watching nowadays? You got any suggestions for the viewers out there on how to burn some the midnight
brain
roll?
time.
So like series, drama series, TV shows, whatever.
What's in your history on Netflix?
My history on Netflix, I've been watching Terrace House.
Terrace House?
Terrace House. Well, it's a Japanese show. Started a few years ago, and they put 6 Japanese people in a house together, and they're trying to, trying to find love or whatever, or something like that.
Like
And
Big
so,
Brother.
yeah, but it doesn't. It's really a cool show because it doesn't have all the like our reality shows where we put people together and stuff like that. So. And so they're not trying to. A lot of our shows, like they're trying to win something. Is Big Brother? Are they trying to win?
Oh, it's still going on.
Are they trying? Yeah, I know.
It's
Are
money.
they trying to win something? Okay,
It started off
Yeah.
like at 500. Now I think it's like
okay.
$1 million.
And then what
for
was
a
the
winner.
very first?
I don't like that show.
What was the very first reality show? One of the first, I guess.
Real
on
World,
MTV.
MTV.
Real World. Were they trying to
Yeah.
win something too, or were they just trying to?
No,
find
that
a
was just
boyfriend and
filming.
girlfriend? They were just putting
Yeah, I was
them
just
together and
putting
doing
people
stuff.
together.
And then
Filming it
and then
and just
And then what was the one with the? Was that also one of the Real Worlds with?
There's the Survivor where they
No,
put
not the
people on an
Survivor.
island.
Yeah, and they're trying to win. But what's the other one where they're in a house with?
Jersey Shore.
Yeah, okay, Jersey Shore. Okay, so
What I know.
so
is
this one
reality
is
shows.
all where they have the intention of going there either to get a boyfriend and girlfriend to try to meet. So that's kind of where they're going. And if somebody ends up leaving the show, a new person comes on the show, but there's not that type of drama. So it's cool because there's how on all these shows there's the drama and the fight. So the Japanese are not like that. So there's none of that nonsense and everything. So you would think it wouldn't be interesting because
they're
drama.
courtesy.
But-
Because
right.
they're courteous to
Yeah,
each
exactly,
other.
right. They're
Like
mindful of each other.
In
and
America
stuff
on
like
the
that. Right.
escalators, like everyone just stands wherever
Yeah.
and blocks people. In
this
Japan,
is-
everyone stands off one side and lets people walk
Yeah, yeah,
down
yeah.
if they want to.
Everyone
Just
stays-
common
yeah.
courtesy.
Yeah.
This is what messes me up, right? It's like the Japanese are supposed to be some of the most courteous, thoughtful people on the planet.
Yeah.
I think anyone who's seen any, they're really proud of this. So the fact that they, they move over if you're trying to walk around them or whatever, But man, I saw this movie called, and it was supposed to be, very representative of what happened. It was what happened in Nanjing, you might call it.
Oh yeah, the
and,
rape of China.
Oh my God, they were just like
Yeah, when they go to war, they ain't playing. Yeah.
They were just like stabbing babies on bayonets and walking
Oh my
around with them, and just
gosh.
like I'm talking like
Yeah.
the sickest stuff you can possibly imagine.
Yeah.
So it's pent up anger.
Yeah.
Man, it's like how do you have this nationality of people that are supposed to be the
Well, I mean, us too. We've done, everybody kind of when they go to war, but yeah.
War's ugly.
Okay,
They don't talk
So
about
it's called the rape of Nanking.
oh my gosh.
That was what it called.
Nanjing or Nanking?
Nanking,
Nanking?
sadly.
Alright.
So I was actually bringing up my thing in Netflix so I could see what other stuff my list. But so anyway, so I watch. So it's pretty good. But I watch it. You can have them where they speak English, but I watch it in Japanese. So part of the reason I'm watching it is to better my
So
listening
what does
skills.
ching
to
chong
help me
ping
use-
pong mean? I hear that. a lot.
That would
That's
actually be
Chinese.
Chinese.
Oh.
But you heard about that. But you heard about that lady running for office. I don't know who she was. The black woman running for office, and she was running against a lady her last name was Chang. So this lady is not Chang. The other one. While she's out on her podium or campaigning and all this stuff, she's like, yeah, and so you shouldn't be voting for Ching Chong Chang Chong. She's doing all this stuff, right?
Oh, God.
And so now imagine if that was reversed. People saying something about
There was-
black
Oh my
people.
Well, I think she
Right,
just
right.
There
lost
were
the
some
Asian,
repercussions, yeah. So she ended up having to apologize and everything and stuff like that. And the other Chang won.
Well, good.
And
'Cause
yeah,
that's
exactly.
bullshit.
Yeah, exactly. So, and then she was also saying, well, and if you vote for her, you're also going against your country or against your race and stuff
Oh
like
my
that, all this
God.
stuff. And she actually said that she needs to go back to her country.
Uh,
And Chang is
no.
married to a black man also. Her husband is black. So this kind of went on. This was just in the news like last week.
Oh my
and everything.
gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
those are
But
the
yeah.
types of people that make me hate people.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I was watching. So So that was Chinese. So I was watching. Yeah. So I was watching. Well, that kind of stuff really doesn't. It doesn't too much bother me and stuff. I think we should be able to make jokes about each other. What bothers me is the fact that if it was a joke made against black people or against her, we would have had all this upheaval and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
And so I think
double standard.
Yeah.
Dude, my favorite comedian is Tosh, and he is ruthless on all races, dude.
But now it's getting to a point to where, like, I mean, even comedians can't say stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
We can maybe go on this topic next time because I could, since we just now got on, like we could go off on a bunch of stuff. But we'll say that for next time. Write that down.
Yeah.
Talk about making jokes. Oh wait, I'm one of my shows.
Okay.
So that's why I kind of watch that. So that's pretty good. But then I kind of I watch I've been watching Madam Secretary.
What is that about?
On Netflix. It's with Taya Leone. Taya Leone was
like
the girl.
Taya Leone.
Yeah, she looked really hot. She was good in the movie Bad Boys.
Yep.
She was the one. The hooker that didn't get her friend is the one that got killed, and she was the one that they were trying to protect. But so she's in that. I was kind of just a political thing. But I used to watch House of Cards. Was always good. And,
with that sicko.
Yeah. And then I was watching
Kevin Spacey.
Yeah, Kevin Spacey. And then I was watching. I watched Orphan Black. That was back.
Oh yeah.
All right, I already watched.
Yeah,
that.
I've already seen all
I
the
watched that. Dark Matter.
seasons.
I watched all that. Watched.
Black Mirror,
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Those are
Altered
pretty cool.
Carbon. Those are good.
We'll let Nikki go ahead.
Okay, so you know how in our, I guess your second episode where we had Jason, yeah, I think it was with him, or it was the episode that I was in, I don't know. But I said there was this sci-fi movie with Will Smith and his son. Okay, so I remember the name of it finally.
I looked it up, yeah.
After Earth.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we had the GT 500?
No, I don't think so. No, that was.
They went to a different planet, right?
Yeah.
No,
yeah,
it was
yeah.
it was when they went back to Earth, but there was a creature on it that it sensed fear. So if you were scared of it, it like knew you were there, it would kill you.
Mm-hmm.
But he had to overcome. It's actually like I liked it a lot. And but when his father dies, he has to complete the mission. He has to keep going. And he defeats the creature or whatever, and everybody's like, wow, like nobody has ever done that before. And he eventually gets back to the spaceship. But that's a really good movie to watch, After Earth.
You just gave it all away though.
No, but I didn't tell you what it looked like.
Yeah.
When you said that last time, because I'm a fan of Will Smith. Obviously,
I am too. I love Will Smith.
I went and looked it up, and it didn't have great reviews actually.
Really?
And he said he hated it. He said it was the one movie he wished he could go back and undo. Yeah, which is interesting.
I thought it was good though.
And that's always the case, right? Like some asshole doesn't like it, and it's your favorite film. But it's interesting that he's quoted as saying he wishes he could undo it. He said it was like the one film he didn't like that he did or something like that.
I mean, I think he could have. I don't know. Like he didn't get as much screen time as you would think he would because he's Will Smith. But I don't know. I thought it was cool because it was different from normal like sci-fi movies. Oh, we're in space. But it was. I thought it was cool because they used Earth, and Earth was the hostile planet that they went to, not some other, Mars or,
right.
something. And, of course, Orphan Black, The Walking Dead, I watched those shows. And I do like to watch a lot of, like, survivalist shows. So me and my family, what we like to do, I think it's called Alone. And it's where they have these contestants. They go out, they pick few materials that they can take in their bags, and, like, let's say they want to take a knife and rope, but they have certain, like, it's limited, so they can't take everything they want. And they stay out there as long as they can. They have a camera to record themselves. No camera crews out there. They have, like, a help button. Like, if they're done, they're completely done with the competition. People come out and they pick them up. But basically, they send out X amount of people into this totally hostile part of the world, they're alone, they don't have anybody to talk to, they're by themselves, they have to make their own shelters, find their own food, do everything for themselves, like in the wild. And it's actually a really good show if you're into like survivalist stuff, because some of these people, they're like, oh, I can do this, and they're out there for like a week and they're like, oh my god, I miss my family. Like, really? You were like so tough, and now you're just saying you know,
Yeah.
you don't want to be here anymore. Like, and you see who the real strong ones are, and then the wimps in the end. But it's actually a really good show if you like watching that kind of stuff. Alone, yeah. So watch that.
Naked
that's
and Afraid.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. All right.
Survivor.
Brendan's turn. Brendan.
Oh, my turn.
Yes.
I'm super simple. Like lately I've been watching Ancient Aliens on the History Channel.
Yes.
And there's so many there's so many seasons.
Oh yeah.
So I tried to start at one and go through. Now I'm just kind of bouncing. And then when I just really don't want to think about anything at all and just laugh, I watch Impractical Jokers on True TV.
Is Ancient Aliens with that guy they always make the memes out of?
Yeah,
the
science with the crazy hair. Yeah.
I'm not saying it was aliens,
But
it was aliens.
Well, put another thing down to talk about next time but those ghost shows,
Like the Hunter
the ghost
Ghost.
hunters and stuff. Yeah.
Oh, paranormal stuff. I kind of like watching that though.
So for me, my favorite shows are, if you're not watching Schitt's Creek, you gotta watch. It's hilarious.
I watched some
Schitt's
of that.
Creek
That's pretty funny.
the cast is perfect. Oh my gosh. I don't know who the girl is in it, but she does her job perfectly. And it's got Eugene Levy, and it's got Eugene Levy's son who plays a metrosexual. Maybe he really is metrosexual. I don't care. The character is awesome. Even the side actors are everyone's role is perfect in it. Schitt's Creek is hilarious. Orphan Black.
Yes.
Tatiana Maslany, one of the best actors out there. You'll become a Tatiana fan. Man in the High Castle, really good.
I still have to see that one.
Oh, it's good. It's basically goes back on it's basically 1950s. Germany had won the war, so it goes back and Germany won, and Germany and Japan had won, and the U.S. is divided. Like half of it's under Japanese rule and half of it's under German rule, and it follows some Jews in there that are being tracked down, because they're still trying to slaughter all the Jews. And
they play it as Germany and Japan won the war.
yeah, so it just takes over as 1950.
And then they go, that's cool.
Germany and Japan.
Let me see what it's called. Because I've been watching a lot of on Netflix. Has a lot of Hitler stuff, so I've been watching a lot of.
Oh, let me tell you here. Before we close out, we'll close out with that.
What was it called again?
Man in the High Castle. Really good, really well made. But if you haven't seen Rick and Morty, do yourself a favor.
It's a cartoon?
It's a
Yeah,
cartoon.
it's a cartoon.
And
Adult cartoon.
There's two cartoons I'm going to recommend right now. If you haven't watched either of these, you will. What's it called when I binge watched both of them. I binge watched the shit out of both of them. Rick and Morty. Rick, look at me, I'm a pickle. Or Morty, dude, it's hilarious. These guys, they're nuts, whoever writes it.
Oh my god.
But the other one is Archer. You ever seen Archer?
Yeah.
Archer's
No, I haven't
hilarious.
seen
Oh my
it.
god, it's some high level. Yeah. But you brought up Hitler, and two things about Hitler. Someone made a YouTube video. I'm going to quit calling them documentaries. Someone made a YouTube video out there called, but it's well made. It's called Hitler. Oh shit. The Untold Story. Hitler, the Untold Story.
Mm-hmm.
And what it is an alternate, basically history is written by the victors.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to paint, if we beat someone in a war, we're going to paint them as the bad guy, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not, again, never, I hope anyone listening out there doesn't think that all of a sudden I'm saying Hitler's a good guy.
Yeah.
I'm saying that there is a possibility that he was framed in history. There's a possibility of it. Actually, what he did, and this is interesting because we're there today in our country. I mean, right now, if there were, oh God dang, I'm going to make some enemies on this. How do you say this politically correct? If you had to say there were one, when you're talking about, let's say you're talking about, if you had to say there were one race of people taking advantage of our planet or being unfair with the resources of our planet, I think most people in the world would say it was Jews, right? I mean, they own right now, 1% of the population they own all the media, they own the banks, they own, this is what Hitler said was the problem with Germany when he came into power, and it's what he ran on to come into power, is he said, Jews own our media. Jews own our banks. They're stripping the wealth from the German people. 1% of the, Germany is poor. All the German people are impoverished. The problem is that Jews came in, and I'm not a Jew hater. I'm just reciting, right? What they're proposing is that he didn't think Jews they're missing a mechanism. They're missing a compassion mechanism, right? They were colluding to strip all the other people of their wealth. And if you weren't Jewish, you were just out. They would strip you down to nothing, down to your clothes, so Hitler, I didn't know this, but apparently it's in the Versailles Treaty. When Hitler went into, and got office, he told all the Jews, he said, get out. He goes, I guess in as nice a way as possible, he said, I'll fly you back to your homeland. I'll buy you tickets. You can take everything you have with you, but leave. And that's in the Versailles Treaty. At least that's what it says in Hitler the Untold Story. I'm taking that at face value that it's there, but let me know if someone does some research that turns out not to be. Seems like a bold thing to throw in there if it's not. But imagine if he did do that. Imagine if he came out and said, hey, I just want all the Jews to leave. They're bad. They're taking all the wealth. They're stripping it from the German people. If you're Jewish, they're going to look out for you. But if you're German, and it's a German country, so for Jews to come from Jerusalem and then start stealing all the wealth of the German people, and Hitler got offended because 1% of the population, which is Jewish, has taken all the wealth of the German people. Germany was impoverished when he took office. It was practically a third world country. There was no work. So this guy, and then they talk about the first, battle or war he had was with Poland. And apparently there were pockets of Germans in Poland that were getting slaughtered, and 3 times at different peace treaties, Hitler said, let my people go, just release them, let them go, and shit won't get ugly. And after the third time when they didn't, and they kept killing his people, he just invaded Poland. So there's a whole bunch of, it's a really interesting documentary.
So you're saying it's the other side of, how you were saying the winners normally write history, so it's saying.
And if Hitler had won history, Hitler would be the good guy. And the rest of the world, there would probably be stories about what,
or not necessarily the good guy, but he would have been the one to write history.
He would have been the one to write history, right? Because we've done some messed up stuff, man. We have.
All countries have.
And I'm sure, we just are lucky that we got to write our government's lucky that they got to write the history. Because what we did to the Indians is probably worse than, I shouldn't say worse, that's not fair to Jews, but what we did to the Indians every bit as bad as what was done to the Jews, though, right? Look what we came and took a whole country from a people. We took the greatest country in the world from a people. I mean, that's kind of messed up, and you don't.
Yeah, but that's the nature of things.
Yeah, but then that's how it should be looked at with Hitler. Well, you could just go, well, that's just the nature of things, but it's not. It's instead Hitler's like a psychopath.
Well, because humans are actually, what's the word I'm looking for? Some argue this, but some say that, there's an argument: are we naturally just hedonistic? Are we born that way, or is it something we kind of learn or become, or whatever? So. It's 4:16. We laid down about 3 hours and 45 minutes. That's a pretty long episode. I think with that, we're going to go ahead and close out. And hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope someone made it to the end. If you did, message me and let me know. I'll be impressed. I'll add you to our VIP something VIP. Until next time. See you.
I don't know if it's on me. I'm just waving.
No, that's okay. You guys can wave at the camera.